The story begins in a city where rain is pouring down in sheets inside a certain house. A girl lets out a faint groan in her sleep. Ugh, it's so hot. She sits up and mutters to herself, I've got a fever again. She walks to the window and opens it. I'm a member of the Fox clan. Even though fox blood runs through our veins, we still live like ordinary people. I get a rash once every year. Each member of the noble clans has their own special power. And my special power is, she suddenly sighs, wow, it's raining so much. Her eyes slowly close, then suddenly snap wide open. In an instant, everyone and everything seems to freeze in place. She lets out a breath of relief. Finally, I can breathe a little. My power is the ability to stop time across the entire world, except for myself. I feel a little better now because I used my power earlier. When I was little, my rash could last an entire month. But now it only lasts 3 days because the older I get, the faster time passes. She turns to look at the wall clock. I wonder how many hours have passed. Even the clock has stopped ticking. I'll deal with it later. She continues gazing outside and murmurs, just as always. This atmosphere is so relaxing. Then she suddenly pauses, as if she has seen someone. Huh, that's Kwon Sung-jae's house. That's strange. Who's that over there? That's not Kwon Sung-jae. She recalls what Sung-jae had said. Hey, Eun-gyu, this is Lee Do-hun. He'll be staying with me for about 8 days. Oh, hello. Oh, right. Didn't he say the guy was his friend? The last time we ran into each other. But that was already 7 days ago. So maybe. Why is he so handsome? Kwon Sung-jae, you really know how to make friends. And you didn't even introduce him to me. When suddenly the man lifts a cigarette to his lips. The action makes her eyes widen in shock. She wonders, how could he move? Then he smiles and asks, hey, you're a fox, aren't you? As if he'd hit the mark. She is even more stunned and freezes in place. She can't help wondering, I use my power to stop time. So why can he move? Suddenly, he jumps off the railing, right before her astonished eyes, and the place he's headed is the very window where she's standing. She instinctively steps back. This guy is seriously dangerous. He must be an IME. She remembers what her mother once warned her. Listen carefully, my daughter. If you ever encounter an IME, stay as far away as possible immediately, because the IME are the mortal enemies of our clan. The IME once altered their bodies, and their faces could change into goblin-like masks. Mom, your precious daughter's life is in danger right now, and I think there was some major misunderstanding in your explanation. Only seeing them with my own eyes do I understand. They're like monsters. Yet the man standing in front of me is the most beautiful man I have ever seen in my life. He grabs her hand and interrupts her thoughts, saying, Hey Fox, where's your mark? His hand lightly touches her face. Answer me. She replies, I can't. My body is getting weaker because of the rash. He looks surprised. What? You're having a rash flare up? She lets out a helpless sigh inwardly. Huh, I feel dizzy. Am I really going to die for nothing because of this power? Suddenly he asks, do you want me to help? She thinks, help me with what? Is he going to say he'll grant me a painless death? Why did he barge into someone else's house like this? I can't even die in peace. Thinking that, she pushes his hand away and says, wipe up the rainwater you tracked in and get out of here, idiot. As soon as she finishes speaking, she collapses against him and faints. He quickly lifts her up, cursing under his breath. What a troublesome fox. He lays her on the bed and touches her flushed face. You're burning up. He looks at her intently, one hand pressed to the bed, then suddenly leans down and places a kiss on her lips. After a moment, he stops. Her complexion gradually becomes more stable. A while later, she opens her eyes and wakes up. Huh, I feel better now. I barely even used much power, but the rash is completely gone. This has never happened before. What did this IME do to me? But why hasn't he left yet? Suddenly, he turns back, and she immediately squeezes her eyes shut. Please, just go away. But he says, I know you're awake, so get up. She thinks helplessly he's really sharp. Hey, what did you do while I was asleep? He stays silent for a long moment, then looks at her and says, something far more expensive than wiping up rainwater. She silently prays, I just hope he's not the owner of my mark. The Fox clan usually describes an IME as, do you know what an IME is? Since ancient times, in the northern forest, strange creatures and humans with mystical powers live together. Among them, one species possessed the strongest abilities and stood at the very top, and that species was none other than the IME. Because the IME were so powerful, every single year many of them died because they could not withstand their own power. After much discussion, the leader of the IME decided to share that power with the Fox clan, the weakest clan, and establish a blood contract. Through the contract with the Fox clan, the IME found a way to control their abilities, and the Foxes gained power that helped them resist the yearly rash. Thus, the IME and the Foxes came to share a common mark. The two sides then formed either a master-servant relationship or became mates, one of the two. Altering or destroying the contract depended entirely on the IME. My mother also endured her first rash fever when she was 18, and her mark appeared afterward. Both of them disappeared when my mother had just turned 23. That means the IME with the same mark as her could not endure it and died. That's why you don't need to worry about it too much, Ungyu. That cursed contract will disappear on its own after a few years. Until then, remember one thing. If you have no choice but to use your power, you must never use it in front of an IME. I really believed I had hidden my power carefully until that day, and now, after all this, like an idiot, I use my power openly right in front of this guy. Hugging her head, she mutters inwardly, "This is bad." At that moment, Du-hun asks, "You know perfectly well what an IME is, and yet you still kept one by your side? Stop talking. Kwon Sung-jae, this childish idiot. So you really are an IME." He replies, "That's right. This is ridiculous. There's no way my mother wouldn't have realized you were an IME. That's because you can't identify an IME just from outward appearance. And I'm the weakest among the IME. When I was little, I got bullied too. Maybe that's why your aunt couldn't say anything. What about you? Did you know I was a fox?" Sung-jae replies, "At first, I didn't realize it. If I had known, maybe I wouldn't have become your friend." She asks again, "Then when did you find out?" He digs through his memories and answers. "During summer vacation in our second year of high school. You were absent for nearly a month and didn't even attend any extra classes. I went to see you because I was worried, and that's when I discovered you had rash fever. So you knew I belonged to the Fox clan for 12 whole years, and you pretended not to know anything? Well, it would have been awkward if I knew first. We've known each other since we were 7, so didn't you think that whether you were a fox or a monster, it wouldn't matter?" She mutters inwardly, "This childish idiot. He's even good at lying because he's an IME. And now there's another IME I've only just met sitting in my living room. Anyway, why does this guy keep staring at me like that? It feels like he's about to see right through me. The bastard who turned my house into a mess." She completely ignores Du-hun and asks Sung-jae, "You attended school normally all those years, didn't you?" He sets his glass of water down and says, "I'm a half-blood. I was born to a human and an IME, and maybe that's why I don't have a fated partner or powers that run out of control. And of course, I don't need the Fox clan." Sung-jae's mother had gone. "Oh my, Eun-gyu is from the Fox clan? You should keep her close." She asks, "Then your mother is also?" Haha, no. My father was the IME, but I don't even remember his face. I was left with the other IME when I was little, but after I turned 7, I ended up living with my mother. And after that, I completely cut ties with the IME. She curses inwardly, "Crazy bastard. How can he say that so calmly?" Suddenly Sung-jae says, "But Du-hun recognized you right away. Even before I introduced you to him, he already thought you looked like a fox." Eun-gyu is startled. As always, he's way too sharp. I was certain no one could ever tell I was a fox just by looking at me. Suddenly Du-hun speaks, making her jump. "Let's end this conversation." He frowns and stares straight at her. "Your mark, where is it?" She clutches her clothes and hesitates. "I don't have one." Du-hun's expression darkens. "I'm asking you one last time. Where is your mark?" Suddenly she shouts, "I told you I don't have one. I'm having a rash flare-up. I can't show it to you for at least another month." Du-hun grabs Eun-gyu's arm. "You have a fever for a whole month? My body is very weak. It's a lie, but the moment he finds the mark, I'll be trapped." Then Du-hun suddenly stands up and says, "I'll be right back." He quickly returns with a small sheet of paper in his hand. "Then draw it. Your mark. Draw it on this paper." She cries out inwardly, "What the hell? There. Are you satisfied now? It's the mark that belonged to my disappeared mother, but he probably doesn't know that, right?" Du-hun studies it for a moment, then asks suspiciously, "You say this is your mark?" She immediately answers, "That's right." But inwardly, she says, "You think I'd happily draw the real one out for you? If you're sure I'm not the owner of the mark you're looking for, then hurry up and get out now." But unexpectedly, Du-hun says, "Just as I thought." She startles. "What?" He slaps the paper down onto the table. "You came up with this fake mark in a very short time. I suppose that's why your parents ran away after betraying us." Huh? She wonders, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Just as the two glare at each other, Sung-jae reaches out to stop him. "Lee Du-hun, don't bully Eun-gyu. We had an agreement, remember? I get it. Why didn't I think of this sooner? You must have seen that mark already if you care so much about her." Sung-jae hurriedly says, "I've never seen it, not once." How am I supposed to believe that? You've lived beside a member of the Fox clan for so long and never said a word. Eun-gyu thinks helplessly, because of me. Wait, are they arguing now? Suddenly Sung-jae smiles and says, sorry, but to me, Eun-gyu matters far more than those so-called kin I don't even know. Hearing that, she is moved and calls inwardly, Kwon Sung-jae, Lee Do-hun, Eun-gyu's mark might not be the same as yours. I think the chances of your marks being different are much higher than them being the same. But Do-hun insists. I still think I'm right, and the reason is instinct. How many IME do you think are still left in this world? Now there are fewer than 200 IME left. Hearing that, Eun-gyu cannot hide her shock. That's fewer than I thought. That's right. Most of them died because they couldn't control their own power, and all of that happened because the cowardly Fox clan betrayed us and ran away, didn't it? She retorts, how can you blame us for that? The Fox clan was the one being used by the IME. Isn't it obvious we didn't run away from you for no reason? If you want to blame someone, blame your own ancestors for treating us like tools. Do-hun answers, in any case, it's true that very few IME are left alive in this world. So what? Foxes each have only one power, but IME possess many, and they share the same mark. There are always abilities that are either exactly alike or the complete opposite, and I am the one with the power to continue the time that you stop, which means your ability makes you my fox. Eun-gyu opens her eyes wide and freezes. It feels as if I've been turned to stone by his stare. I can't move. Sung-jae speaks up to stop him. That's enough, Lee Do-hun. Then he reassures Eun-gyu, you don't need to worry too much because Lee Do-hun has a lot of powers. So don't get too tense just because one of his powers happens to match yours. That's because he's pure-blooded. She thinks in surprise, he has other powers too? Right, now that I think about it, he was completely fine after jumping down from the 3rd floor. Sung-jae casually laughs and says, haha, really? She can only cry inside. He doesn't care at all? What will happen if my mark really does end up matching his? Is that what friends are for? Anyway, you'd better keep your promise, Lee Do-hun. 1 month isn't long at all, right? For a devil like him? Do-hun lets out a cold snort. 1 month. Eun-gyu can't help feeling anxious. I need to tell my parents about this, but why do they have to go traveling at a time like this? Their only daughter is about to lose her life at the hands of an IME. Suddenly, Do-hun reaches out and touches her face. Fine. I'll wait for you, little fox. Don't even think about trying anything in front of me. She quickly turns away. Don't be fooled by his looks. He adds, if you deliberately try to run away, then don't even think about seeing next month. His dark voice is threatening. Because I'll kill you with my own hands right after that. Understood? She trembles in fear. This crazy bastard. Trash. That damned handsome psycho. Kwon Sung-jae is way too carefree, even while this man is threatening me. Which means he won't be able to kill me that easily. No matter what, he acted like he couldn't kill me. But why? Come to think of it, Sung-jae said this bastard is pure-blooded, so he must be stronger than the other IME. And he's Kwon Sung-jae's friend, so we should be around the same age. Wait, how long can an IME live without the Fox clan? The more mature an IME becomes, the stronger they get, and the pain that comes with losing control of their powers grows worse. Thinking of this, she asks aloud, you're already reaching your limit, aren't you? Do-hun doesn't answer. She speculates inwardly. He didn't react at all. Does that mean he still hasn't reached his limit? Suddenly, Do-hun smiles and replies, that's right. I need a fox right now. More than that, I need a fox whose mark matches mine. She feels certain she was right. He can't kill me for at least 1 month. With that thought, she suddenly turns dark and says, hey, if you're done talking, let me ask you something else. Earlier I couldn't tell because I passed out, but were you the one who wiped up the rainwater in my room? Her question leaves both men blank-faced. She continues, I'm guessing you don't know basic manners because you live in the mountains. But since I'm a very kind person, I'll teach you properly, okay? Do-hun asks flatly, what? Listen carefully. You mustn't show up at someone's house out of nowhere, and of course you shouldn't come in through the window. Look, you come in through that thing called a door. Ah, right? Maybe you don't know what that is since there aren't any doors in the mountains. You ring the bell, introduce yourself, and only come in when the homeowner opens the door. And who taught you to enter someone else's house barefoot with rainwater dripping everywhere? Do you understand now? You socially isolated weirdo. The moment Eun-gyu finishes speaking, the whole room falls silent. Hearing her mockery directed at Do-hun, Sung-jae can't hold it in anymore and bursts into laughter until tears come out. Ha ha ha. Do-hun curls his lip and asks, you're bolder than you look. Do you have an extra life or something? After all, you won't kill me before checking my mark, will you? Keep bothering me then. I still can't kill you within 1 month, no matter how arrogant you are, right? She answers loudly, that's right. He steps closer, murderous intent pouring off him in waves. Then go ahead. Do you think I won't just because you said so? You think I'll blindly indulge you for a month? That's ridiculous. Since when does letting someone live mean blindly spoiling them? That's hilarious, you. She suddenly cuts herself off because of the killing intent coming from him. I told you, keep bothering me. Sensing the tension, Sung Jae quickly intervenes. Stop. I think you better stop, Eun-gyu. Even I can't beat Do-hun. What a pain. I'm both angry and scared, and it's making me feel awful. Do-hun walks toward the door. Hey, I guess you're not very cautious because I'm in human form. We are monsters. We are cruel and show no mercy. You better think before you speak next time. You should know who you're talking to. With that, Do-hun left. Sung Jae laughed and thought, I guess she's mad. Eun-gyu said irritably, this is all your fault. So why are you still laughing? Sung Jae, is that guy strong? Of course he is. He was born with the purest, most concentrated IME bloodline. The most concentrated? Aren't there other pure-blooded IME besides him? Well, yes, but pure-blooded IME are very rare. And Do-hun is special even among them. He's the only son of the current head of the IME and the heir to succeed him. Eun-gyu froze on the spot. The guy who just threatened me is the heir? I really shouldn't have messed with him. My life is basically over now. If my mark matches his, I'm dead. From that day on, the gates of the underworld will open for me. She asked, do you know what his mark looks like? I do. Then draw it for me. Do-hun will get mad if he finds out. She shouted, just draw it already. He doesn't need to know. Can he read other people's minds or something? He can't do that. He drew it on a piece of paper and handed it to her. I think I'm actually pretty talented at drawing. The moment Eun-gyu saw it, she went stiff, her mouth falling open in shock. Sung Jae asked, why are you staring at it like that? Do you recognize this mark? Sweating, she answered no. In that case, it's fine. He promised to keep your existence a secret. So if your mark doesn't match his, you'll be okay. He always keeps his promises no matter what. Suddenly Eun-gyu asked if our marks are the same, then what? He thought for a moment, then smiled and said, haha, then things would get pretty bad. Even if I wanted to help you, I couldn't beat Do-hun. Her hands trembled as she crushed the paper in her grip. This is insane. She screamed inwardly, that's my mark. But why are you asking that? You just said you'd never seen that mark before. I just thought maybe one of the unlucky people I know from the Fox clan might have the same mark as him. She thought to herself, that person is me. If he finds out my mark is the same as Do-hun's, he'll tell Do-hun, won't he? Curious, Sung Jae asked, you know someone from the Fox clan? Of course. She thought, no matter what happens, I have to keep this a secret from him now. He won't tell me even if I ask, right? Thinking that, she walked over and sat down. So you don't really need a fox after all, huh? Sung Jae only answered with a faint smile. After that, he returned home. I'm home, Do-hun. He replied curtly. You're late. Sung Jae noticed the suitcase and asked, what's this? What do you mean? I found a fox, so I should go back now. You're going home? Then you'll come back in a month to check again, right? No way. Does he really think Eun-gyu won't run away? Thinking that, Sung Jae said, aren't you coming back? How are you going to check the mark again after a month? Do you think Eun-gyu will just come looking for you on her own? What are you talking about? You said you'd wait for her for a month. Exactly. That's why I'm taking her home with me. Sung Jae shouted in shock. What? He's saying he's going to bring Eun-gyu back to his hometown, surrounded by IME? In Sung Jae's imagination, she was a fox who had only recently come near them. She's such a crybaby. Haha, is she crying? Hey, she's crying. In that tiger's den? Meanwhile, Eun-gyu set down her cup and thought. Lee Do-hun is the head of the IME. If he finds out we have the same mark, I'm done for. If I sign a contract with that bastard, my entire life will be controlled by that psycho. He might even lock me in a room without so much as a sip of water. Right now I'm unemployed because another company is keeping an eye on me. My first day of work isn't for another 3 months, so I'll have some free time until then. Should I go abroad or something? My passport should be at the house in Seoul, where her parents live. That's right. I'll go to Seoul, pack my things, and flee to another country. Haha, my break will become an overseas trip. She was getting excited when she suddenly froze in shock because Do-hun had appeared in front of her without warning. Eun-gyu shouted, what the hell? Since when have you been standing there? I've been here since you were showing off your weak little strength to that glass. He'd been standing there that long, and I didn't sense his presence at all. I could hear you scheming all the way from over there. She laughed awkwardly. What wind blew you here? I wasn't talking out loud, was I? Can he read minds? Do-hun said, pack your things. We're going to Seoul right now. What? Why do I have to go? Do you think I need any reason to say so? Of course. And I'm just supposed to follow you like a puppy because you say, come with me? Huh. Do-hun picked up the glass. You think there's no reason? I told you I'd wait 1 month. Do I need to cater to your every demand too? Then he tossed the glass up, watching it slowly fall. Ungu squeezed her eyes shut. The glass is going to shatter. But to her surprise, there was no sound at all. She stared blankly at the glass, suspended in midair. What? Do-hun sat down and said, I'm a guest, and you haven't even offered me a glass of water. There are countless ways I could take you with me right now. The easiest would be to tie you up and throw you into my car. In human society, I believe that's called committing a crime. Don't worry, there won't be any witnesses. And in a backwater place like this, there won't be any surveillance cameras either. In human society, I believe they call that the perfect crime. Sweating, she thought he has to be joking. If I disappear, my parents will report it to the police, you know. In what, half a year? Just then, the doors suddenly swung open with a click and Sung Jae's voice rang out. You have no reason to do that. You promised that if her mark didn't match, you'd hide her from the other IME. But now you're planning to take her back and expose her to everyone. I'm not taking her to my parents' house. I'm taking her to my place in Seoul. Did you really think I'd bring a fox whose mark I haven't even confirmed to that place? Just one glance is enough to tell she's so delicate she wouldn't survive a day there. If you're taking her to your place, isn't that the safest place to keep Ungu? Only about 3 IME ever come and go there. Ungu forced a smile at being labeled delicate. Do-hun replied, one of them is you, and the other 2 are overseas right now, so they can be ruled out. She thought to herself, if that's the case, then he's saying, in that house, no IME will visit except Koen Sung Ji and that bastard. I see. Do-hun said, you can't imagine how long it took me to find a fox. As long as you're not the one I'm looking for, I'll let you go. But if it's otherwise, instead of worrying about a missing persons report, you should prepare to pay for deceiving me. She tried to calm herself. Stay calm. Either way, I need to go to Seoul to escape this guy. Going to his place is safer than being found by some other IME and dragged to their den. This is my chance to get away. Thinking that, she pushed him aside. Fine, I'll go with you. But only if Koen Sung Jae stays with us. Did I say you were allowed to add conditions to my order? Can't you be a little more flexible? How am I supposed to trust you enough to live under the same roof? He shot back. What benefit do I get from trusting you? Right? I need to stay as far away from this guy as possible. I have to escape no matter what. I can't back down this time. What if I bite my tongue and die? Wouldn't you be the one to lose out? Do-hun fell into thought. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to have one more pair of eyes watching this girl. So you didn't know how to threaten people. I thought you were just a stupid fox, but you're smarter than I expected. Sung Jae said in confusion, you too. What do you mean? Fine, but what about my opinion? You're not going to abandon me, right? Sung Ji could only smile awkwardly at her sudden question, and she immediately shouted, you're really going to leave me alone in a house with him, even with the whole man and woman difference and all? And whose fault do you think this is, huh? Sung Jae, what kind of friend are you? What do you think your mother would say if she found out? That hit Sung Jae right in the conscience, morality, and guilt. Fine, I'll go with you. She cheered yes. I'll go pack and head out. So get out of my house. After that, she tiredly wondered, why is this so heavy? Did I pack too much? Suddenly, Do-hun asked, do you want me to carry your suitcase? It looks heavy. What's wrong with him? Why is he suddenly being nice? Why? Are you trying to stuff me into the trunk or something? Are you still mad about that stupid joke? As if you sounded like you were joking. And in the end, I went to Seoul with these 2 lunatics. One classical music monster is already enough to drive me insane. Outside, the streets were crowded with traffic. Ungu wondered, why is he looking at me so suspiciously? It's not like I look like I'm about to run away. She slowly closed her eyes. I am exhausted. Before leaving, I managed to leave a message for my parents. In the message from Mom, sweetie, have you eaten dinner yet? I've been taken away by an IME. I'll figure out a way to escape, so the 2 of you need to run when you read this. Goangu. I just hope Mom and Dad see my message before I manage to escape. And now I have to live with that bastard for the next month. How am I supposed to sleep peacefully? Wait, he said he was going back to his place earlier than planned. Surely it isn't some tiny apartment or something, right? If he lives alone, then, does that mean there's only one bed? She spoke up at once. I have a question. You said you live alone. Are there enough rooms for all of us there? Why isn't he answering? Don't tell me the 3 of us are going to live in one room with only one bed. Hearing that, Do-hun scoffed. He turned into another road before saying, why can't we sleep together? It wouldn't just be you and me. Sung Jae would be there too. Are you kidding me? Of course not. I can stay in a hotel. We're almost there, so prepare yourself. Eungu asked in shock. You live here? But this is a luxury residence for celebrities and politicians only. You can even see the Han River from here. Come to think of it, everything he owns is from luxury brands. Standing in front of the elevator, Do-hun said, It's only for a month, so you'd better start getting used to it now. Like I promised Koen Sung Jae, I brought you here because I can't take you to my parents' home until I confirm your mark. She thought, this is so unfair. Then Sung Jae said, You two go on in first. Huh? Where are you going? I have a call. Helplessly, she called out, Koen Sung Jae, you promised you wouldn't leave me alone with this bastard. A moment later, the elevator stopped on the 40th floor, and he said, Gomin. She marveled inwardly. The top floor, of course. Just how rich is he? Let me warn you first. Except for the bathroom and bedroom, every corner of this house is cameras. You know what that means, don't you? What? Cameras? What's with that look on your face? Are you disappointed that we're not in some cramped apartment? Don't look at me like that. This is still better than being imprisoned, isn't it? With that, he smiled and left. She cursed inwardly. Are you insane? The only room without cameras is right next to his. I don't want to stay right beside him at all, but at least it's better than being watched. That night, this is killing me. My life is such a mess. I got kidnapped by an IME after waking up in the middle of the night, and my childhood friends suddenly turn out to be an IME too. And now I'm under house arrest in a place covered in cameras. I'm exhausted physically and mentally. I don't even feel like moving anymore. Just then, someone knocked on the door and called, Eungu, are you hungry? You haven't eaten anything today, right? Get up and eat something. I made some ramen. A steaming, overflowing pot of ramen. Eungu happily said, Thanks for the meal. Just then Do-hun came over and asked, Where did you get ramen? I bought it on the way back. Want to try some? Sit down. I'll move over a little. Haha. Eungu thought helplessly. Does he seriously not remember anything? Do-hun replied, I'm not hungry. He tossed the towel into the basket, then sat down across from her. She cursed inwardly. Great, looks like I can't even eat ramen in peace. Hey, I've been a little worried about you ever since we were on the way to Seoul, but you seem pretty fine for someone with scarlet fever. She flinched. Damn it. If he finds out I've been lying about having scarlet fever this whole month, I'm finished. She snapped. That's because of the weird things you've been doing. Sung Jae asked in surprise, Weird things? What did he do? Eungu lowered her head and said nothing. Do-hun admitted, fair enough. It was my first time doing that with a fox, so I didn't know it might ease your fever, or even cure scarlet fever altogether. Eungu thought, that's strange. I should be completely recovered by now, so why does my stomach still twist every time he looks at me? In the end, my stomach still feels awful, even though I barely ate. Koen Sung Jae, do you have any digestive medicine? Digestive medicine? Do-hun doesn't keep things like that around. I guess I'll have to go buy some. What's wrong? Do you feel sick? But you hardly ate anything. If someone like me can sit here eating with you IME and still be fine, that would be the real miracle. He rubbed her head and asked me, Or Do-hun? Obviously him. Can't you see him staring at me? I'll go out and buy the medicine. He turned and said, Do-hun, give me a key card. I'm staying here for a month anyway. I can't keep calling the front desk. Where are you going? To buy a few things. As Do-hun handed Sung Jae one, Eungu quickly thrust out her hand, making both men stare blankly. The atmosphere went silent for a moment. She said, Give me one too. A key card. Do-hun turned and walked into the room. He said, Wait there. I can't give you one without some kind of guarantee. Great. Looks like he's going to give me a card. It'd be even better if I could figure out where the cameras are. Where could they be? As she looked around searching, a large figure suddenly filled her view. She thought, a fox's senses are supposed to be sharper than a human's, but I didn't notice him until he was right in front of me. Is he just that strong? Or was I too careless? She stammered, Why do you come so close without saying anything? Suddenly, he grabbed her hand. Before she could react, she realized there was a bracelet with her mark on it. What is this? Suddenly, he pressed a bracelet on her wrist. What are you doing? Nothing. The bracelet slowly turned red, then strangely faded away. Only a small mark remained on her wrist. She asked in shock, Wait, what did you just do to me? He wondered, What is this? She's obviously afraid of me. But now this fox can look me straight in the eye without hesitating. What a hassle. It's better if you don't know. Whether that's better or not is up to me. To put it simply, it's like a GPS tracker. Within a certain range, I can reach your location. Reach me? Like teleportation? He really can spin around like a top. Huh? There's something like that? Holding her hand, he replied, Yeah, it works throughout all of Seoul, plus 5 kilometers beyond that. So you better not try to run out of Seoul. After saying that, He placed the access card in her hand. She angrily demanded, "You narrow-minded jerk. Hey, why do you have to do this? I already agreed to stay here for a month like you wanted, and now you still want to control where I go?" He answered indifferently, "That's right." Then he slowly stepped closer. "If the fox I worked so hard to catch suddenly disappears, I'm not sure I'd be able to let it slide." She thought to herself that the place where the seal had been carved into her burned like fire, as if proving that Lee Do-hoon was its owner. She returned to her room and cursed in frustration. "That bastard. How dare he carve something like this on my body? Sign a contract with a psycho like him? I'd rather die. No matter what, I'm going to escape." "You vicious beast." Suddenly, Seong Jae walked in and asked, "What are you doing in here by yourself? Did something happen again?" She raised her hand. "Look at this. He carved something weird onto me." He immediately realized it was a temporary seal. She had said she was bloated. Now she was fine. He had bought digestive medicine, and even the cheese snacks she liked. By the way, what does he do? If he's that rich, his work can't be normal, right? Don't tell me he robs banks or something. No way. But then again, judging by the way he behaved today, maybe he really could. Do-hoon is actually very strict about rules. He may not know how to talk properly, but don't you think he's quite considerate of others? He's better than you think. That's only because you're his friend. Besides, you know NJ Company, right? Of course. The staff in that company's media department are ridiculously difficult. Back when I worked in my old company, landing an ad contract with them was like trying to pluck a star from the sky. Seong Jae said, "It belongs to Do-hoon's father. He's also working there as a director." She gaped in shock. "What? NJ Group? The #1 company in food and the restaurant business, famous for strengthening its power through social philanthropy? Even the cheese I'm eating right now is from that company. Why does everything keep getting worse?" That guy was clearly born way past the finish line already. He was already the leader of the IME, and now he's sitting at the top, even in the human world too? That's so unfair. Doesn't he have any weaknesses at all? Hearing that, Seong Ji burst out laughing. He does have one. The fox with the matching seal. He still hasn't found the fox he wants most. That's Do-hoon's biggest weakness. Eun-gu's face darkened. "No, that bastard doesn't have any weakness left, because the fox he's looking for is already in the palm of his hand." Seong Ji got up and said, "Then I'll head back to my room." She asked, "But what if Lee Do-hoon find another fox with the same seal as him? What if he lets the fox already in his grasp slip away? That would be meaningless. The seal on your hand is only temporary. It only works within a certain range and for a limited period of time. There's only one way to remove a temporary seal before it expires. But signing a contract with a fox is a different matter. That has no limits at all. In other words, no matter where it goes, it will still remain in Do-hoon's hands. Other than Do-hoon, no one can break it. Once he finds the fox with the matching seal, no matter what the circumstances are at that time, he will make a contract with it. Only then can he completely possess his fox." She thought to herself, "In other words, if I get caught, it's over, right? If my seal is discovered and I'm forced to sign a contract with him, what will happen to me? I don't know anything about these contracts. What even is that contract? I never imagined I'd get tangled up in this one day." Meanwhile, Seong Jae wondered, "Why are you so concerned about it?" There are two kinds, a master-servant contract and a mate contract. The Aimi use a fox's blood when signing a master-servant contract, like vampires sucking blood. The problem is, the Aimi race likes tearing foxes apart and drinking their blood. That's why the Fox clan has to live in hiding. Eun-gu asked, "Then what about a mate contract? Just what it sounds like. If you had a mate, what would you do with him? Love him? Love? In your dreams. You'd stabilize your spiritual energy by joining with the mate you've made a contract with. And really, did you think signing that kind of contract would involve a ceremony and exchanging rings like humans do? You have to choose one of the two. Have your blood sucked or offer your body to your mate. I'm going back to my room. Get some rest." Seong Ji stepped out of the room, inwardly puzzled. Why did she react like that? Their seals are completely different. The next day, NJ Group's donation to the Children's Fund became a hot topic. Lee Tae-hwan, chairman of NJ Group, has donated more than 10 billion won to underprivileged children, once again reaffirming his positive influence through charitable work. Eun-gu lay on the sofa watching the news and groaned. In the end, she hadn't managed to sleep at all. So that man really is the leader of the IME. He really does look like Lee Do-hoon. Suddenly, she paused. The two stayed silent for a moment. Then Do-hoon noticed the news she was watching and said, "Looks like he's investigating the population. If you want to ask something, just ask." She switched off the TV and replied, "Forget it. If you answer one question, you'll just ask 10 more." Why should I go around in circles? Why? Haven't you already investigated me from A to Z? The room fell silent again. After a moment, Do-hoon said, Go Eun-gu, the only daughter of Go Jong-hwan and Lee Hye-in. After graduating from university, Go Eun-gu studied abroad for 2 years. She worked in content creation at the Dongheng Media office, but she has since resigned and will move to a company called Mai in 3 months. Hearing that, she could only stare in shock. May I continue? You investigated all that in just 1 day? Fine. It wasn't that hard anyway. Whatever. I have something to say now. Hearing that, Eun-gu ignored him and started walking to her room, but Do-hoon blocked her path. Annoyed, she asked, What? If you want to say something, say it. Starting today, the housekeeper Andy will be coming here. I'm telling you in advance in case you get startled and accidentally start swearing or say something stupid. You don't need to open the door or do anything. She'll take care of everything, so don't worry. After saying that, he let out a long sigh. Eun-gu thought, he looks exhausted, like he hasn't rested in a long time. Has he really gone that far, trying to find that fox? I've never wondered whether the Aimi are affected by this too, but when I look at him, I feel a little. She told herself, calm down. At this point, who is supposed to be sympathizing with whom? Suddenly, Do-hoon handed her a card. I don't know what might happen, but if anyone other than the housekeeper comes here, don't open the door. Call me. She accepted it and thought, as if I'd opened the door so easily. And I don't plan on calling you either. She read the contents of the card. Executive Director of NJ Group. You're a director at headquarters, and you're still not at work at this hour? Suddenly, he touched her forehead and asked, Are you planning to use your powers again like last time, before things get worse? What? Your forehead is really hot. You weren't actually resting when you said your rash hadn't fully healed yet, were you? She cursed inwardly. You can tell that lie so easily and still ask? What an idiot. Catching a cold in weather like this? That's the excuse you came up with? By the way, will you really let me go if our seals are different? I swore it to Kwon Seong-ji, so of course I'll let you go if that's the truth. She asked again, what about you after that? Hearing that, he thought, as expected, these foxes really are idiots. Soft-hearted enough to tremble after a little intimidation, and now who is worrying about whom? He turned around and said, I don't know. Do you think I'll survive the next 3 years? You said it yourself. Foxes have very short lifespans. She blinked blankly. What kind of expression had he just shown? Later, at a cafe, a girl exclaimed in surprise, What? Why didn't you tell me sooner? You really got caught by that Aimi? This cafe belonged to Hei Jiang, my cousin the same age as me. Compared to me, Hei Jiang was much more interested in the relationship between the Aimi and the Fox clan, so she would definitely be able to help somehow. What is this? You signed a contract already? No, it's just a temporary seal. Do you know how to break it? You know more about contracts than I do. So that's why the seal is on your wrist instead of the back of your hand. There is one way, but it's not easy. What way? You'll need the blood of the person who created the seal. Blood? You mean the Aimis? The seal is created using an Aimi's blood, so of course you'll have to use blood to break it too. She asked, how long would it take for it to disappear on its own? I'm not sure. I think about 1 month. She cried inwardly. He really did calculate the timing well. If I can't forcibly break the seal, then I'll have to run the moment it disappears on its own. Hei Jiang asked, how did that Aimi catch you? At home. Auntie, you know, I got caught while using my powers. Great, right? And that guy's the one who placed the seal. Don't cry. If that Aimi is the one who created the seal, why didn't he just make a contract with you right away? He doesn't know yet. I told him I had a rash, so I couldn't reveal the seal. What? You fooled an Aimi? No way. Yeah. He said he wouldn't hurt me until he saw the seal. Anyway, I still have to run, so when my parents come back to Korea, please take them somewhere safe for me. Hi, Yun stayed silent. Eun-gu waved goodbye. I'm going. Suddenly, Hei Jiang asked, You know, Eun-gu, if you run and then get caught again, things will only get worse. Not every Aimi treats foxes like merchandise. If that Aimi treats you well, it'd be best to just sign a contract with him. For a moment, that man's face surfaced in her mind again. It wasn't that she had never considered signing a contract, but after witnessing everything that had happened over the past 2 days, she had completely lost faith in Lee Do-hoon. More than that, not only she, but the foxes around her would also be in danger. Thinking that, she smiled and said, For now, I should do what I can first. If you really think so, then good luck. If you need help, call me. Your safety comes first. Remember that. She let out a weary sigh. I really don't want to go back to that guy's house. Maybe I should take a walk until Kwon Seong-ji gets home. By the time the sun was about to set, she finally returned to the 40th floor of the building. Did I really walk that much? I am exhausted. If I lie down on the bed now, I'll probably pass out instantly. Then she suddenly saw someone standing in front of the door. She wondered, who's that? I thought no one would come here. She remembered Do-hoon's warning. If an outsider comes, don't open the door. Call me, right? He told me not to open the door and to call him. But if I run into them outside like this, he didn't say anything about that. Should I just ignore him? But this whole floor only belongs to Lee Do-hoon. At that moment, the person turned toward her and slowly began walking closer. Only then did Eun-gu start to worry. This guy looks terrifying. The temporary seal means I can't hide the fact that I'm a fox. Suddenly, he broke into a sinister smile. Ah, she realized in shock. An enemy. She quickly turned around. Run. He stretched his hand out in front of him. Eun-gu suddenly froze, as if some kind of force had stopped her. Then, the moment he clenched his hand, a powerful pull yanked her back through the air. She slammed painfully into the wall and cried out. Meanwhile, he laughed in delight. Ah, oh, Luki. I didn't expect to run into a fox in a place like this. It's only a temporary seal, so it shouldn't matter if I play around with you a little, right? At that moment, Eun-gu remembered her cousin's advice. Not all of them are bad, so wouldn't it be safer to just sign a contract? She answered herself firmly. Right, not all of them are bad, but most of them are like this, so I have to run. But before she could get up, he stepped on her hand hard, making her cry out in pain. The seal on her hand began to glow strangely. She narrowed her eyes and looked up, only to see that someone had stopped that bastard. She was inwardly shocked when that voice rang out. What's going on? Do-hoon asked darkly, what exactly is happening here? At the same time, his hand had already tightened around the man's throat. Eun-gu thought, if I had to choose the most dangerous man in the world, it would be Lee Do-hoon. Unless my seal miraculously disappears, that fact won't change. But right now, seeing him here makes me so relieved I could cry. The other man let out strangled groans, pulling Eun-gu out of her thoughts. His face was turning red from suffocation, and Do-hoon's hand showed no sign of stopping. The atmosphere was incredibly grim. Eun-gu quickly tried to stop him. Stop, he'll die. Do-hoon pressed his lips together. Then he finally released the man. The man collapsed to his knees, desperately gulping in air. Eun-gu thought painfully, my hand won't move. Do-hoon's footsteps coldly approached the man. Her eyes widened in worry. Only then did the man finally speak in fear. Professor Ji-young. He banged his head on the floor and continued. I came here because Professor Ji-young sent me. Ji-young sent you? He hurriedly replied, yes. Isn't he overseas right now? He's supposed to return tomorrow. So he asked me to pass on a message that you should meet him at your parents' house because he has something for you. He instructed me to contact you in person because it's an extremely important matter. That's why I came here. After saying that, he thought to himself that he must have lost his mind. To touch a fox bearing that seal, this important matter you mentioned. Duol stupid closer. And then, please forgive me. With a sharp glare, Do-hoon asked, he must have given you more instructions too, right? He told you to harm the fox carrying my seal, right in front of my own house. And no, that's not it. I must have gone mad for a moment when I saw a fox with only a temporary seal on her. I had no intention of hurting or killing her. If it had been a formal contract, I would never have laid a hand on her. A dark smile curled on his lips. You may not have intended to, but you still hurt her. The man thought, I only stepped on her hand so she couldn't run. A tiny injury like that isn't even enough to really hurt anyone, especially not a man like him. Then he bowed his head and explained, I only meant to take a little of her blood. I swear. He laughed. Blood? I remember there are some idiotic rumors that if you drink a fox's blood, you can share the same seal as one, and that person's abilities will grow much stronger. There are always one or two fools who believe nonsense like that. Wait here. He walked over and pulled Eun-gu to her feet. How much longer are you planning to stay like this? Let's go inside. In a small voice, she asked, what are you going to do to him? What's that to you? Oh, look at him dodging the question again. Don't get angry. He did save me, after all. She hid her injured hand behind her back. I'm Yufine. He said it once. Your expression says otherwise. It hurts a little, but I'm okay. You're covering for him. What? You're worried about the person who threatened your life just a few seconds ago. No, that's not it. I'm not worried about him. What I care about is the peaceful life I had falling apart. I don't want to get dragged into things like what just happened, okay? Do you think I'd kill one of our own survivors over something this trivial? Something trivial? If an enemy harms a fox who hasn't signed a contract, we can't punish them. It's rare for an enemy to attack a fox who hasn't made a contract. Eun-gu thought his words and his actions don't match. By his own logic, There was no reason for him to be upset about it, and yet he was clearly angry. He said, and one more thing, your peaceful life is already over. She pressed her lips together, right? It shattered into pieces the moment we met. I'll talk to him, so go inside. Suddenly she asked, do you even know what a conversation is? The air instantly turned tense. Her words frightened the man, and he thought, has that fox gone insane? He is the next leader. He's so powerful that no one would dare object, even if he became leader right now. How could a fox dare speak to him as an equal? What a pity. Looks like a fox is going to die today. But Do-hoon only patted her on the head, then smiled and replied, I'll keep your words in mind. You should go inside now. She went into the room and pressed her ear to the door, thinking he said he'd handle him by talking. But what if that guy ends up outside with broken arms and legs? At least, judging by the sounds, it doesn't seem like he's using violence. She trembled and reassured herself inwardly. It's okay. Everything's fine now. Then Ungu walked over and sat down on the chair, her hands swollen red and trembling. A little later, Do-hoon came in. She guessed to herself his clothes are still clean. It doesn't look like anything too serious happened. She asked, is everything okay now? Did that man leave? I thought you said it was a secret that I was here. Answer me. I said I know. Why aren't you saying anything? He grabbed Ungu's hand. You talk too much. I erased his memory before letting him go, so don't worry about anything. Oh my god, he has this kind of power too? Can I really escape from him? I'm such an idiot. I think we should go to the hospital. What's wrong with me? I don't have the strength to walk anymore. He called her name? Go Ungu, and let out a sigh. Then he took her hand and pulled her along, but he hit her wound, making her curl up in pain. He let go and said, you didn't even care about my threats before, so why are you scared now? Don't you think it's strange that I'm not afraid of anything? It's not like I've ever experienced or even seen this kind of violence before, so of course I'm scared. I really don't want to cry in front of an idiot. Those at the top of the food chain have no empathy for fear. Suddenly, he said, I don't know what happened today either, so I promise it won't happen again. No wonder he wasn't worried about what had happened earlier. He just looked straight into my eyes, as if he were trying to engrave me into his memory. He held out his hand. I won't hurt you, so come with me. She was a little surprised, but she agreed and took his hand. After that, she was examined at the hospital. It was a sprain. Because it was swollen, her arm had to be put in a half cast, and she couldn't move it for a while. Thank goodness, it's only my left arm. You're driving a different car today. What happened to your other one? It's at the company right now. You have 2 cars? He stayed silent and didn't answer. She inwardly praised him. Nice, rich boy. Oh, I want to get out here. You have to work, and you'll need the car too. It was an unexpected emergency, but it can be dealt with tomorrow. Even so, you didn't even... He cut her off. I don't need anyone's permission to take a day off. Oh, is that so? Oof. Right. Just look who's worrying about whom now. He said he erased that man's memories. Why didn't he do that to me too? It would have been much more convenient than putting a mark on me and tracking me. Well, I guess it only works on. A little while later, the 2 of them arrived at the parking garage. Do-hoon was walking ahead when he suddenly heard her curse. That crazy bastard. Bring that bastard back to me. Do-hoon turned around in confusion, and she held up her smash phone and grumbled, I still had a year left on my device plan. Because of that jerk, now I have to pay to get it replaced. Hearing that, Do-hoon blanked out for a moment, then suddenly burst out laughing. Just a few hours ago, she had been trembling in fear, but it all vanished because of a phone. He walked over and asked, are you a timid cat or a brave one? What? Suddenly, Sung's voice rang out. What are you 2 doing here? Unga thought to herself, why does he look like that? Oh, right, my cast. She laughed awkwardly. Ahaha, you're here early. A few things happened, but everything's fine now. I didn't even say anything yet. Hey, stop frowning. Do you have to look so scary? Hearing that, Sung smiled and said, you go in first, Lee Do-hoon. I need to talk to you for a bit. So you only erased that guy's memory before letting him go? There's no point in making a big deal out of it. Lee Ji-young sent him. I don't care what you people are plotting. Just don't let Unga get hurt. You're always the one asking for help, aren't you? Help? No, you promised me. I want you to keep that promise. If Go Ungu isn't my fox, then I'll protect her like I promised. But if she has the same mark as me, then you have to let her go. Sung replied, I know. But will you really be able to do that? I'm talking about when that time comes. Can you really let Go Unga leave? Do-hoon said through clenched teeth, no matter what I do. Sung asked, why are you angry? Because you're acting like you're Go Unga's owner. In the room, Ungu complained, look at the state I'm in. Escaping was hard enough when I was healthy, but now I have an injury to recover from too. I can't even change clothes comfortably anymore. She suddenly paused when Do-hun walked in. She asked, "Where's Sunj? He'll be here soon." She thought suspiciously, "Are they even friends? If you're hurt, shouldn't you be resting? Why are you wandering around here? Huh? Do you have no shame at all? And whose fault is it that I got hurt?" He replied, "I don't know about that." After a moment of silence, he continued, "But I do know who saved you from danger." She thought to herself, what a nice scent. Did he really have to be this handsome? Anyway, why isn't Sunj here yet? Should I call him? She turned on her phone and saw a message. "Sorry, I just remembered I still have something to finish, so I have to go back to work." He's still working at this hour? Food was quickly laid out on the table, and she said excitedly, "Let's eat." But just as she brought food to her mouth, she stopped because of Do-hun's stare. Ah, as usual, that face of his is such a threat to my life. Do-hun walked over and pressed the coffee machine button. Unga spoke up. Sunj had to go back to work to deal with some things. He said nothing, only carried his cup of coffee over, pulled out a chair, and sat down. She spoke again. "Can you at least let me eat in peace? Aren't you going to eat? Or do Imals not eat normal food to survive?" Huh. If someone's talking to you, you should answer them. He drained his coffee and set the cup down. His fingers tapped the table a few times, but he still said nothing in response to her question. Suddenly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a piece of paper. Her eyes widened in shock when she saw it. Only then did he speak. "Has your family contacted you yet?" It was a note she had left in her room before leaving with Do-hun. "I've been captured by an Imal. I'll escape on my own. So, if you see this, make sure you get to the shelter as soon as possible." Go-ungu couldn't have been more shocked. "But I'm sure I locked all the doors before I left." She said, "My parents' mark disappeared a long time ago." "I didn't ask. A fox's mark disappears when the Imal with the matching mark dies. That means my parents are of no use to you. You don't have to snap at me like that, because I have no intention of harming your family. How am I supposed to believe you? I remember telling you I have absolutely no reason to behave in a trustworthy way toward you." Lee Do-hun already knew that Go-ungu was ready to run from him at any time. He reminded her, "Don't leave this house until tomorrow. You should stay put if you don't want what happened earlier to happen again." Later, in the bathroom, Unga thought to herself, "All right, in this situation, I have no choice but to wait for my parents to contact me." As she was coming out, she bumped into Sunj. "You scare me. When did you get back?" "Just now." "Why are all your clothes wet?" She raised her casted arm. "Because of my arm. You're going to catch a cold. You should change and get some rest." She quickly called out, "Wait, why do you smell so strongly of blood?" Her question made Sunj freeze. "Are you hurt?" I'm Fine. See? Did something happen while you were out? I thought you said you had to go back to work. Do I look like some guy who got jumped somewhere? Your mom sent you to kendo lessons when you were little because you were being bullied. Why are you bringing that old story up all of a sudden? Are you being bullied again? Don't worry. Ahaha, don't worry. I'm strong enough now to protect both of us." The next day at the table, Sunj spoke up. "There's something I need to tell you." Ungu paused and guessed to herself, "Is this about yesterday? I wonder what happened." "No, I should listen first." But Sunj said instead, "I'm leaving on a business trip today. I'll be in Hong Kong for about a week." At that moment, Do-hun stood up and left. Ungu stared blankly and wondered, "What? I have to be alone with Lee Do-hun for a whole week? You're going on a week-long business trip to Hong Kong? Hey, if you're gone for a whole week, I'll have to live here alone with that bastard. Even when I'm here, the three of us hardly see each other, and Do-hun is gone all day because of work. But you're really going to leave me here by myself? You promised you'd stay by my side. I really can't do anything about it. It's my job. Besides, all you have to do is not run away." She thought, that bastard basically said he doesn't care whether my mark matches Lee Do-hun's. Sunj warned her, "There's one thing you have to remember. When Do-hun gets angry, he's really terrifying. Actually, this could be delayed for 3 weeks, but I'm worried it might overlap with Do-hun's frenzy period." "What? A frenzy period?" "The cycle was originally scheduled for 1 month after your agreement. But who knows? It could start a week early or even later. Why are you only telling me something this important now? You never asked." She punched Sunj on the shoulder over and over in anger. "I didn't tell you because I thought you'd be scared, and I even changed my schedule because of you." "What are you talking about? If Do-hun's power goes out of control while I'm not here, it could be dangerous. During that phase, an Imal is very dangerous because they can't control themselves." "Is it really that scary?" "Yes. I think it's kind of similar to scarlet fever." "Well, it doesn't look like an Imal would die from that pain. It's only a week. It'll all be over if you reveal your mark." She thought to herself, "Why is he so certain my mark is different from Lee Do-hun's? Should I tell him the truth and ask for his help?" No, I can't. He's an animal too. I can't trust him completely. Suddenly, Sung said, Actually, I've seen your mark before. Since when? During summer vacation in our second year of middle school. But you said you'd never seen it. It seemed like you were deliberately hiding it, so I pretended not to know. Dohun doesn't know anything about your mark, so you drew a different one because you were worried. Actually, I'm the one who told Dohun where you were. She asked in shock why. The Imals had started the fox hunt. It was truly an emergency for them, because Dohun is a candidate for the next Imal leader. I heard they'd found 12 foxes within a year. Sooner or later they would have found you too. Since Dohun carries pure blood, there's a high chance the fox with the same mark as him would also be pure-blooded. So I made a deal with him. I told him I would tell him where the pure blood fox was. And if her mark was different from his, he would protect her from the other Imals. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. Suddenly she asked, What did my mark look like when you saw it? Sung searched his memory, then answered. It looked like a two-headed snake coiled around a crescent. She recalled that during the summer vacation of her second year of middle school, when Hee-jang stayed at my house for 15 days. Ungu, I'm so glad our scarlet fever came on the same day. What a coincidence. I know, right? It would have been awful if I got sick alone. And so she and Hee-jang slept in the same bed. It was the last day I was sick with scarlet fever. When Sung came over, her mother exclaimed, Oh my, Sung, you're here? Ungu is still asleep in her room. And Sung had gone into my house. The mark he saw must have been Hee-jang's. At that realization, she suddenly cried out inwardly, No, that wasn't my mark. Sung had mistaken that mark for mine when he saw it that day. Sung asked, Are you okay? Does something hurt? She forced a smile and said, It's nothing. Have a good trip. Of course. If you get sick, make sure you go to the hospital, okay? With that, Sung left. She sat there lost in thought when Dohun approached. She turned to look at him, but said nothing. He asked, Why are you looking at me like that? After hesitating for a while, she finally asked, The fox hunt, are you still doing that? Looks like you had a pointless conversation. Then what did you do with the foxes you found? Did you kill them all? What are you talking about? They're useless to me, but that doesn't mean they're useless to others. He said it as if they were just objects. Our fox clan isn't something for you to chew up and spit out whenever you please. As you like, whether you become useful or something that can be used. And as you know, the decision isn't yours. It's mine. Hearing that, she pressed her lips together in hatred. Suddenly, he touched Unga's forehead. You still have 28 days. If you're going to lie about that, you should at least say 3 months. With that, he left, leaving her frozen in place. Just then, someone called Dohun. Come home for lunch today. I brought you a gift. Very quickly, Dohun went over. The other person complained, What's this? It's been so long since we last saw each other, and you're not even going to greet me? Dohun demanded, Who told you that you could send people to my house without my permission? Li Zhejiang laughed and said, Sorry, I just figured you'd ignore my calls and messages anyway. Because of you, that guy was let go. But I remember when I released him, he didn't look like he'd been in an accident. Oh, don't say that. Are you saying it to make me laugh? Suddenly, the atmosphere turned quiet. What? You really don't know why he ended up like that? It was that half-blood. Sung showed up and did that to him. I thought you were the one who sent him. You really didn't know? That's strange. Anyway, what exactly are you hiding in your house that made you erase his memory too? It seems you've forgotten that useless curiosity will only shorten your lifespan. You're repeating that again? I already know, so you can be quiet. If you're really hiding something at home, then I'll make sure no one shows up in front of you so often. You're noisy about pointless things. Dohun was silent for a moment, then told the truth. I found a fox. Looks like you really found your fox. I really made a mistake then. Not necessarily. I still haven't checked. Then can I see her just once? I am curious. Be quiet. If you pull any more pointless stunts, I won't let you off. Really? So how is it? What is that fox like? Dohun lowered his eyes and thought. She always looks at me with hatred. She's fragile and weak, but she always says exactly what she wants without hesitation. Zhejiang pressed, You're not answering me. Is she hard to handle? She's not bad. In what way? At any cost. Well, that's good then. That's the problem. Hearing that, Zhejiang couldn't hide his surprise. Dohun added, I want to treat her badly. That evening, Dohun returned to the building. When he saw that Ungu wasn't in the house, he thought irritably, She went out? I told her not to leave the house today. She can't even stay still for a single day, and she just ignores what I say too. When Li Zhejiang asked, I should have said she's very hard to control. Suddenly, a loud scream rang out. Hey! Do-hun immediately ran over and opened the bathroom door, since the scream had come from there. What happened? The moment the words left his mouth, he froze. Ungu had collapsed onto the floor, and the shower head was wildly spraying water all over her. He quickly stepped forward and turned the water off. She asked, "When did you get back?" He helped her up. "What are you doing?" "I want to take a bath, but with things like this." Then she noticed that his shirt was soaked through. Blushing, she thought, "Too close." She looked up and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Suddenly, Do-hun moved his face closer to hers. His hands held Ungu by the shoulders, their bodies pressed close together. Flustered, she called out, "Lee Do-hun," then shoved him away and stepped back. But once again, he moved forward and grabbed both of Ungu's wrists, leaving her bewildered and unable to understand what was happening. "Can you let go of me now? I can stand on my own," Lee Do-hun. But he still didn't release her. His hand even brushed lightly over her lips, and his expression darkened. He recalled what Jijang had said earlier. If you weren't the one who sent him, then what happened after that changes things. Do-hun admitted, "I was the one who sent him. Don't do anything to provoke Won-Sung. You seem pretty close with him. Let's get to the point. Why are you here?" "All right, I found Fox. Not long ago, her mark was verified, and unexpectedly, she wasn't your Fox. I'm sorry this all turned out to be for nothing. I heard she had pure blood, so I really thought she was human." At that moment, Do-hun stared at her intently, starting from her face and slowly moving his gaze down her body, all the way to her legs, examining her carefully. She asked blankly, "What are you suddenly doing?" Do-hun stayed silent. He walked over, opened the cabinet, took out a towel, and draped it over Ungu's head. "Once you're done, go outside." Watching her run off, he thought to himself, I got close to her without even realizing it, as if something had taken control of me. There were times when I felt the urge to kill foxes, but this craving is a first. It felt like I would swallow her whole if I didn't restrain myself. He told himself, not yet, go Ungu. Even if I try to run, this isn't a place for a fox like her to hide. Meanwhile, Ungu shivered from the cold. It's so cold, and the water's cold too. My clothes are sticking to me. I tried taking them off with one hand, but they wouldn't budge. Suddenly, a hand reached over and grabbed her clothes. They were quickly pulled off and tossed to the floor. She froze in a daze for a few seconds. Why are you taking off my clothes? Were you planning to stay like that? Who asked for your help? Who else is here besides me to help you? Why is he acting like this today? Fine. Thanks for helping. Now would you please leave? He immediately turned his back, and she quickly put her shirt on. A moment later, he said, put that on. Looking at the bandage patch, she wondered, why? Am I hurt somewhere? What? Since when did that happen? Still, he really is a demon. Earlier, he was acting so strangely. Or was I just imagining it? He even bought me a new phone. Is he trying to be nice? Or did he drug me or something? Suddenly, he said, if you think I'm going to kill you, then go ahead and test it. Anyway, you seem unusually quiet today. Who was it that threatened me to keep quiet if I didn't want trouble? Starting tomorrow, you can go outside. She immediately replied, it's hard to move around with this arm. Do-hun looked at her in fox form. No matter what, she doesn't like any of it. What am I supposed to do with her? Sung isn't here right now. Aren't you worried? He said everything would be fine as long as I didn't try to run away. Since when did you start trusting me? I don't trust you. The person I trust is Kuin Sung. He let out a faint mocking laugh. Ha, is that so? Yes, she trusts him, but not me, because I don't trust her either. He thought gravely, IME are sensitive to fox blood. If a fox's blood bears the same mark as mine, it tastes so sweet it makes my whole body burn. Even the faint smell of her blood made my whole body heat up for a moment, and I nearly swallowed her whole. It's sweet. Come to think of it, the chances that Go Ungu is my fox have gone up. It's been a day since Kuin Sung left. I want to check her mark before he comes back. He heard a loud clattering from inside Ungu's room. It seems she'd gotten sick after soaking in cold water yesterday. TCH, first, I'll have to act like a friendly host. He went in and asked, do you need my help? She lifted a hand to signal him. Don't bother me, just go out. I asked if you needed help, and I said get lost. Don't bother me. Suddenly, Lee Do-hun came over, pulled away the blanket, and unexpectedly lifted her into his arms. Startled, she asked, what are you doing? You asked me to help you. Damn it, I just waved him off. So how did he misunderstand that? Her tired eyes slowly closed, and the atmosphere turned quiet. Looking at her in confusion, he thought, are foxes really this fragile? Even when I threatened her, she didn't back down at all. But seeing her cling to me like this isn't so bad. After getting in 4, my fever went down, and I was brought back home. I really thought I was going to die. I hope I didn't say anything weird then. That's probably impossible, right? He probably just answered vaguely because things were chaotic. She had just closed her eyes when Do-hun suddenly asked, "Can't sleep?" She glanced at him and thought, anyway, he's like a demon. He sat down and said, "Are foxes always this weak?" His body is hard as stone. Maybe it's the medicine, but sleepiness keeps washing over me. I can't sleep with an Aimee right next to me like this. He covered her eyes with his hand. Stop being stubborn and go to sleep. The cool temperature against her face felt strangely comforting. After a while, she drifted off to sleep. Do-hun thought to himself, a fox sleeping peacefully with an Aimee right beside her. She really has no caution, no wariness at all. Suddenly, he paused when he noticed Eun-gu's phone. Kwon Sung's call was on the screen. As Do-hun declined it, he thought. He called after just one day. "You think being with me is the safest place, but the fox hunt has already begun. Maybe leaving her here still won't put you at ease. Sung might come back and take her with him." He stepped closer and gently lifted her injured hand, then examined it carefully. There should be a mark here. At that moment, Eun-gu abruptly opened her eyes. She only looked at him without saying anything, probably because she was too tired. He wondered, should I check now? No, now isn't the time. I need to be certain first. Come to think of it, she probably hasn't eaten anything all day. That's better than dying. He went down to the garage, but as soon as his hand touched the steering wheel, he froze. What is this feeling? Have I caught her fever from being with her all day? Who knew how much time had passed before Eun-gu woke up? She turned and looked beside her. Seeing Do-hun sitting there with his eyes closed, she wondered, has he been here the whole time? What about work? If I collapse in pain or not? Wouldn't it be better for him to just ignore me or take me to the hospital and leave? He's still handsome, but he really doesn't seem very human. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and immediately looked toward Eun-gu. She hurriedly turned her face away. A wave of dizziness hit her, and she lifted a hand to her forehead. Do-hun quickly moved over and helped her lie back down. She looked up at him and said awkwardly, "Ah, saw thee." He raised a hand to check her temperature. "The fever's gone down. I made porridge. Come out and eat." She thought, that's unexpected. He's taking care of me? The bowl of porridge was set on the table, and he said, "Sit down." "What are you doing? Why aren't you eating? You said the same thing last time, too. If you're going to kill me, then just do it. Why are you pretending to be nice to me like this?" She asked, "Why are you suddenly being so kind? So should I be rude to someone who's sick? I could do that if you want. That's not what I meant. From now until then, I need to persuade her." Eun-gu silently marveled. This is so good. Should I say thank you? Seeing him look less exhausted, she asked, "Is something wrong? Who's worrying about whom here?" A few hours ago, someone looked like she was about to die. She didn't answer and stood up. "I'm done eating. It looks like something's going on with him. I deliberately scheduled a business trip for when Do-hun's power would go out of control, so of course I'd be worried." Suddenly she asked, "That time you lost control, when was the first time it happened? Is it really okay to say something like that to an Aimee? I could always ignore him and leave." Do-hun answered at 18. "When I was 18, I also got the red fever then. It hurt a lot, didn't it? Well, I'd say it was more tragic than painful. That was also the moment I realized I'd die if I didn't find my fox." Afterward, she thought to herself, "I'm alive. Honestly, it feels like I barely came back from death." Lee Do-hun, she remembered his words. That was also the moment I realized I'd die if I didn't find my fox. Why does seeing that look on his face make me worry about him? I can't believe I'm worrying about this. My nose is only 3 inches long. She called out, "Lee Do-hun." She brought him a glass of water. "What are you doing here? Why aren't you answering me? Humans basically can't live alone without help from others. But I'm not human. Even if you don't have those feelings, that doesn't mean you don't feel pain the way they do. Sometimes you even look like someone who needs help, at least to me." After saying that, she returned to her room, leaving Do-hun lost in thought. Meaningless, cold, and dull. He also went into his room to change. Suddenly, he lifted a hand to his forehead as dizziness hit him without warning. "No way. Did I catch a cold? Ridiculous. I've never heard of an Aimee catching a cold. Even now, it's still too early for that to happen." The next day, rain pattered outside, and Do-hun came out of the bathroom. She immediately shouted, "How many times do I have to tell you not to walk around the house naked? I think you should start getting used to it. Why would I need to get used to seeing you naked?" He put on a shirt and walked over. Sitting beside her, he said, "Why can't you stay quiet for a while? Why are you sitting here? I'm uncomfortable with you being here. Go sit somewhere else. You won't get fired for leaving work early without notice or not showing up at all, right?" Eun-gu stared blankly at his answer. "Because he's the chairman's son." She said again, "Then why don't you go?" I'm afraid you'll do something rash while Sunj and I are away. Oh wow, do you have no conscience? I'm surrounded by a house full of cameras and a temporary mark. And now you're not even going to the office and staying here just to watch me? The two of them instantly fell silent. A moment later, she irritably went into her room. Good grief, what is he even thinking? There's really been something off about him these past few days. Is he hiding something? Or is he just so bored he has nothing better to do? He's still hovering around me. Could it be he wants something from me? If I think about it, maybe I really can figure out what this guy is after deep down. Should I make dinner? There's so many ingredients. On rainy days like this, Mom and I used to make cold noodles together. Thinking that, she stuck her head out and asked, "Do you want cold noodles with egg?" I mean, I'm cooking anyway, so if you want some, I'll make extra. Dohan looked at her and asked, "You want to cook with that hand? Why don't you just eat the prepared food? It's only my left hand. I'm Yufine." Suddenly, Dohan snatched the knife from her hand. Then he even put on an apron. She asked, "What are you doing? Do you even know how to cook? What is there that I can't do?" She secretly doubted him. Does this guy really know how? Who would have thought I'd end up eating a dinner made by Lee Dohan? Somehow, I feel a little proud. A little later, he said, "Done. You can eat now." It looked unexpectedly fancy. She praised him. "It's actually good. Why aren't you eating? My head hurts a little." Suddenly, Ungu reached out and touched his forehead. "Do you have a fever?" "I think I may have caught a cold. This is cold medicine. You should take some, or you'll end up like me with a fever." He thought to himself, that's just ordinary cold medicine, and she used it when she had a fever? Suddenly, the corner of his mouth lifted in a smile, leaving her confused. Why is he smiling? Since that day, the fever kept coming and going. This is irritating. I hope my worry is wrong. If it really happens, what if my power erupts when it's only me and Jo Ungu here? The person at greatest risk is Jo Ungu. I could lose control at any moment and destroy everything around me. Just then, a voice came from the phone. "Oh, how are things going?" "Big brother, you actually call me first. Miss me? What is it that you're calling me in the middle of the night for?" Dohan asked, "Is father there?" "What? You need to talk to dad, not me?" That's kind of disappointing. He thought he's responsible for recording and managing the Imi's history. Even if Lee Yangji doesn't know, asking him carelessly could expose the fact that I'm hiding Jo Ungu. If that happens, I'll have broken my promise to Kuin Sunj. Seeing Dohan stay silent for too long, Jajang impatiently called out, "Hey, what's with you? Is it really that hard to say? I'll look into it for you. What's going on? Why are you hesitating so much?" At that moment, Dohan spoke up. "Find out whether there can be abnormalities around the time power goes out of control. About a 3-week period." "What?" "Big brother, as far as I know, it usually takes at least a week on both sides. I'll check to make sure and get back to you. So wait for me, okay? Since it sounds pretty urgent, I'll get straight to the point. This case seems rare, but in particular, the blood of a fox bearing the same mark can act as a catalyst that makes the power surge. It becomes more stimulating when an Imi's cycle is approaching. Even if you can't smell blood, just that scent alone. But why are you asking about this? It doesn't have anything to do with you, right?" In shock, Dohan thought, "It's clear now. Jo Ungu is my fox. What is it? Why won't you answer me?" But to make the contract, the Fox clan has to reveal the mark on their own. I'm sure the marks match. I have to find a way to make her reveal it herself. But Jajang on the other end said, "You're not in a condition to do that right now." At that moment, though, Dohan was already feeling dizzy. "At this rate, I'm going to hurt Jo Ungu." He called out through gritted teeth, "Lee Jajang, get over here now." "Right now? I'm in the middle of dinner with father." He shouted, "I said right now." As soon as he finished speaking, the phone slipped from his hand. Meanwhile, in Ungu's room, she was sitting there when her phone buzzed with a new message. Earlier, she had sent, "Are my mom and dad okay?" Lee Hajang now replied, "Auntie and uncle are desperately looking for you. Are you really okay?" Through Hajang, I can contact my parents. I'm okay. I'll find a way to escape somehow. Please take good care of my parents. All right, you take care of yourself too. After sending it, she blocked the contact for safety. Now all I need to do is free this mark. How am I supposed to do that? Should I pick a fight and make his nose bleed? My best bet is Kuin Sunj, but at that very moment, Kuin Sunj called. She thought, he's not all that trustworthy either. He's a lake spirit after all. She answered and said, "Hey, you sound tired. Has Dohan been bothering you?" "Bothering me?" "No, he looks like he's sick." "Dohan is sick?" "No way." "Really?" "Dohan's been at home for 4 days and hasn't even gone to work." "Dohan?" "Yeah, he really doesn't look well. It seems like he has a terrible headache." "Ah, and he's had a slight fever too. I think it's a cold. But after these 4 days, I think I've gotten used to being around him. He's not as scary as I thought." Hearing that, Sunj fell silent. Angu spoke up, "Ilo? Huh, did you hang up?" Sunj immediately replied, "Aw no. I'm still here. There's actually something I want to tell you." "What is it?" "You can tell me right now if you want. This isn't something I can say over the phone. When you return to Korea, let's talk in person." "All right." In the end, I have no choice but to turn to Kuin Sunj, even though he's the one who revealed my location to Lee Do-hun. He only did that because he was sure the two marks were different. Those Aimi have already started hunting the Fox clan. He did it to protect me. She told herself, "Trust Kuin Sunj." With that, she stepped out into the living room. "I'm so thirsty." Suddenly, she stopped short. She saw Do-hun standing in the dark room. She asked, "Why are you standing there?" He didn't answer. She walked forward and called louder, "Lee Do-hun." Only then did he slowly turn around. Eun-gu's expression changed instantly. Her eyes widened in shock. Black veins were crawling all over Do-hun's body. Around him, an invisible murderous aura spread violently, so heavy it felt capable of crushing anything that came near. Terrified, she stepped back, her voice trembling as she stammered, "Hey, your eyes." Do-hun's usually calm eyes had gone murky, gleaming with uncontrollable madness. His feet slowly moved forward. Do-hun was no longer himself, ready to erupt at any moment. Eun-gu thought to herself that an out-of-control IME was right in front of her. He had said losing control could happen after 3 weeks. So why now? What am I supposed to do? Can I run? Suddenly, Do-hun clutched his chest and cried out in pain. Right after that, bright red blood burst from his mouth and both eyes. Terrified and worried, Eun-gu asked, "Lee Do-hun, are you okay? Don't come over here." Do-hun opened his lifeless eyes and looked at her. His feet also moved toward her. Eun-gu wondered, am I going to die? At that moment, he reached out his hand. Eun-gu shut her eyes tightly in fear, tears spilling uncontrollably. But she didn't feel him attack. She slowly opened her eyes to look, and in front of her were shattered pieces of glass stained red with blood. His hand was still tightly gripping the shards. All she could do was call out, "Lee Do-hun." He clawed at his head with both hands and forced out the words, "Run, Eun-gu." His whole body trembled. "Hurry, get out of here, the parking lot, run." "Run, wait, Lee Jijang," and all of them, though before he could finish, he started coughing up blood again and again. She hesitated. No, what are you even saying?" He shouted urgently before he lost consciousness. "Hurry up." As soon as he finished, he turned and headed straight into his room. A trail of dark red blood stretched behind his steps. Eun-gu thought, if it's Lee Jijang, I've heard that name before. She steadied herself. Get a hold of yourself. Her legs trembled with every step. Then she suddenly stopped. It was Lee Do-hun's blood. She remembered what Hee-jang had said. This could remove the temporary mark. She picked up a pair of scissors, then cut into the mark on her hand, and smeared Do-hun's blood onto it. She wondered, if I do this, will it work? At that moment, the mark on her hand glowed, then slowly disappeared. A thread appeared on the ground. She rejoiced inwardly. The mark is gone. Now, before Lee Jijang gets here, all I need to do is run out of here as fast as I can. But Do-hun's agonized screams kept ringing out, making her stop. She looked back toward the door, telling herself, pretend you don't hear anything. Hold your emotions in. I'll cover my ears and try to escape. Do-hun's screams continued to echo. Go on, Gu, get outside and run. Wait there, because Lee Jijang is coming. Tears slipped down her face, and she laughed bitterly at herself. Losing control could really kill someone. So he bleeds when he gets hurt. Lee Do-hun screams in pain too. She remembered what he had said. Because I'm not human. I thought foxes were fragile by nature, right? Even if he said some pretty unpleasant things when I was sick, Lee Do-hun was someone who worried quietly behind the scenes. Do-hun. He learned so much in the past few days. This is insane. Yo Eun-gu, yore insana. Is this really the time to hesitate? I'm definitely going to regret this. She decided to walk to the door, then flung it open and asked, "What are you doing? Why do you look like this?" Seeing her approach, he shouted to stop her. "Don't come closer." She thought to herself, this pain is nothing compared to lupus. He had endured this pain alone every year for 12 years. Eun-gu walked up in front of him, then suddenly held out her hand. A mark appeared on the back of her hand, and she said, "If we make a contract, then everything will be okay, right? If it's possible, make a contract with me. Make a master-servant contract with me." As she spoke, tears kept falling without end. Do-hun tightly grabbed her hand and pulled her into his arms, then bit into his own hand, and drops of blood fell from it onto Ungu's mark. The mark on her hand glowed, and he gently reassured her it might hurt a little. He lowered his face toward Ungu's neck, then suddenly bit down. Ungu silently thought of the people who supplied blood to the IME clan, imagining him sucking her blood like a vampire. At that point, she collapsed unconscious against him. Afterward, Dohun laid her on the bed and wondered. She knew how to remove the temporary seal. But then, why did she come back? She said all that. Does she really think I deserve all of this? She'll be my little fox. Don't worry. He gently touched Ungu's face when suddenly a loud crash rang out. Then a voice followed. What is this mess? I figured you wouldn't open the door, so I let myself in. Did you buy some cheap junk? It broke with barely any force. Have you been doing well lately? And who's that next to you? Dohun stood up and answered him. A fox. She's my fox. Zhejiang thought to himself. I thought people died when they were completely drained. But it looks like that fox girl has the same seal as him. Congratulations. You finally got rid of that damn curse. Are you planning to return to the clan? Right now, that's the safest place for the next few days while the contract still isn't fully stable. Brother, you should go to the hospital and treat your injuries first. I'll take this fox back for you. Dohun immediately grabbed his wrist. No need. Get lost. Zhejiang smiled faintly at his reaction. Dohun picked Ungu up to carry her back to his room, even though blood was still pouring from his arm. All right, I get it. It's really hard to believe a mother fox would willingly hand her child over to someone else. I know you'd never hand your fox over to me, and I never expected you to agree in the first place. Looking at Ungu, he thought, this isn't the first time. I think we'll be seeing each other again in the future, Fox. Zhejiang followed them into the room and reassured him. She'll recover quickly. Don't worry, it won't take long. The Fox clan member who signed a contract with me only needed 5 days to recover. Downstairs, a group of people arrived, saying, this looks interesting. I'm really looking forward to meeting the one who signed a contract with Li Doan. In any case, father and aunt seem very pleased by this news. Over here, Zhejiang continued. You know you have to drink blood even if that fox girl doesn't want to wake up today, right? You still have to do that for the next 40 days to keep the contract stable. I'll take care of her, so stop talking nonsense and get out. Fine, I'll leave so the two of you can have some privacy. But you, at least go greet your family. Dohun said nothing. He gently lifted Ungu's hand. Why didn't you run away? Suddenly Zhejiang said, Brother, you've got a visitor. Dohun immediately objected. Send him back. I'd love to, but he's clingy as a leech. If you keep ignoring him like this, the others are going to get involved. He frowned and asked, What? Kwan Samjae is here. I'll go see him. Don't do anything stupid, and make sure you keep watch at the door at all times. A little later, Dohun came out and said to the bodyguards, He's my guest. Step aside and let him in. If he's a guest, then I should at least offer him a cup of tea, right? The atmosphere seems a little tense. Suis-je asked Kodli? Where's Ungu? She's in my room. Don't worry. I guarantee I'll protect her from the other IME. Samji pressed him. Why did you bring her here without me there? I made you a promise, but that was only if our marks were different. So, the reason you wanted the three of us to live together was just to confirm that? But why did you bring her there? Dohun replied, I found my fox. Samjae asked in shock, what? Dohun thought to himself, no matter what he says, there's only one way to verify whether it's true. He declared once more, Go-Ungu is my fox. It means signing a contract with a fox to regain a period of stability. In the room, Zhejiang complained, Are Fox Clan people always this weak? Why do they stay unconscious for so long after signing a contract? Anyway, the strangest part is that she came back after leaving this place. There must be something special about this fox. It was pointless talking to someone who was unconscious. I should have followed him and watched instead. Just then, she opened her eyes. Oh, you're awake? Are you fully conscious now? You slept all day. Hey, how did my brother find you? I heard you signed a contract with him while he was losing control. Was my brother the one who proposed the master-servant contract first? She thought, wow, he talks way too much. It's giving me a headache. She said aloud, You're so noisy. Her words made Zhejiang pause. He curled his lips into a smile and said, How interesting. I've never heard of a fox taking on exactly the same personality as its master after signing a contract. You should feel lucky that your master is Li Doan. She sat up and asked, Where is this? Zhejiang answered, The main house, also known as the Li IME headquarters. The Li IME headquarters? Where's Li Doan? He's meeting a guest. Aren't you curious who I am? She thought, This man is also one of the Lee IME. He doesn't seem safe. Thinking that, she said, why would I need to be curious? Uffed. You really are interesting. Ungu thought again. I slept all day. Kwon Samj must already be back in Korea. He'd definitely be shocked if he saw how messy and ruined the house is now. Then she asked, that guest came looking for me, didn't he? His face darkened as he grumbled. How troublesome. As he reached out his hand, he continued, be good and go back to sleep until my brother returns. Ungu couldn't help being startled. My vision is getting blurry. The person Lee Do-hun went to meet, I have to find out who it is. Outside, sumia est in surprise. You really signed a contract with Ungu? You also know that the seals of Fox clan members can't be detected unless they reveal themselves on their own. Go Ungu herself wanted to sign a contract with me. Take me to her. I want to confirm her condition for myself. Do-hun immediately put out a hand to stop him. Kwon Seum-jae, didn't I already tell you? If the seals are the same, then you'd better go back. Even if I regarded Go Ungu as a disposable product, you still have no right to interfere. So Miss hand clenched so tightly it trembled. From upstairs, Jijang watched the situation below. He really does seem furious. The atmosphere is getting pretty dangerous. Suddenly Do-hun turned around. He glanced upstairs. You're like a ghost. That's enough nonsense, Lee Jijang. He dared ignore my warning and go into the room? I took too much of a risk leaving Lee Jijang and Go Ungu alone. I need to get back quickly. He turned back and said to Seum-ji, we've reached the pre-stabilization period. If you don't believe me, I'll let you meet her after she recovers. Don't tell me you made a mate contract. To the IME, a mate is someone with the closest possible bond to them, and a clan maintains stability by becoming one with that person. Do-hun thought to himself, why did I even bother telling him that? Do-hun didn't answer and simply walked away. Receiving no answer, Seum-ji lunged forward angrily and grabbed Do-hun by the collar. Why you? What did you do to Ungu? Do-hun raised a hand and pulled Seum-ji's hand away. Why should I explain myself to you? He shouted, Lee Do-hun. You know it too. Go Ungu is mine, and there's nothing you can do to me. If you want to see Go Ungu, come back after the pre-stabilization period. In the room, Jijang sighed in annoyance. This is exactly why I never want to come back to the main house. I'm going to die of boredom. Just then a phone rang. He thought, I wonder if word of brother Do-hun signing a contract gets out. That child who grew up overseas. The fox he finally found with so much difficulty. Now isn't the time. It's still too early to let outsiders know. A notification appeared on Ungu's phone. Lee Sejang, missed call. Who knew how much time had passed before Ungu woke up again? She thought, that devil's the one who forced me back to sleep, isn't he? She slowly sat up, a little surprised in the eyes. Then called out, Lee Do-hun, seriously, you look like you were about to die, and now you're fine. Your healing ability really is terrifying. Hearing her, he opened his eyes and asked, Go Ungu, after the temporary mark disappeared, why did you come back? I felt sorry for you, though I don't even know who's supposed to pity whom. She thought, risking my life to save Lee Do-hun, I really regret it. He said, I established the master-servant contract just as you wished. If there's anything else you want, say it. Not even a word of thanks. Guarantee my family's safety. That's all. I can't promise that in advance, he thought. While Go Ungu was asleep, to ensure the contract took effect, I drank her blood. But it wasn't enough. The reaction is too strong. At this rate, I'm going to lose control. At that point, he opened the wardrobe, then took out some clothes and tossed them onto her. He suggested, come outside and we'll continue talking. She asked, isn't it a bit strange to have tea this early? Do-hun didn't answer and instead thought, all the servants at the main house are IME. They rotate shifts 3 times a day and stand by 24 hours a day. Leaving Lee Jijang here is too risky, but it's also convenient for knowing where Go Ungu is. It's best not to let her know there are eyes and ears all around. Thinking that, he said, from now on, a contract between an IME and a Fox clan member needs 40 days to be completed. During that period of ensuring the contract takes effect, you need a daily blood supplement. If I'm not by your side, you can't take even one step out of here. She gaped in shock. You mean, he continued. By the way, there have been 6 cases where a Fox and an IME were separated before those 40 days ended. Every one of those Foxes vomited blood and died. If you don't want to die, you'd better not go anywhere. She stared at him in shock and asked, vomiting blood and dying just because they were separated? I can't leave here? You mean I have to stick to you all day long? This is IME territory, As long as it's within the area under my control, you can move around here. After 40 days, the mark will be engraved onto your hand. It will have enough power to protect you. However, during this period, that bond isn't strong enough yet, so you'll be very vulnerable to attacks. Once the mark is engraved, you can return to your normal life. Even though right now, I need to drink your blood once a day, later it will decrease to once a year, and eventually there will come a time when the contract won't need to be maintained anymore. She said happily, just as I thought. What a relief. So I won't be tied down for life. This contract isn't eternal. Suddenly Do-hun said, I only said there would come a time like that. I didn't say the contract would be canceled. So he thinks saving him was only natural? The main house is the safest place, so it's best if you stay here during this time. Wait, isn't this the IME headquarters? Even if I don't have to worry about coughing up blood and dying, I could still get attacked and killed by other IME. Do-hun asked, what's with that expression? When I woke up earlier, I saw a man. Who was that? He didn't look like a servant. Do-hun thought. Go-eungu's senses grew sharper while I wasn't here. She deliberately didn't bring it up. He said, that was Lee Jae-yang, the IME who stepped on my wrist before. Not surprising. The way he talks is really unpleasant. Hey, Chan, wait. She remembered what Do-hun had said earlier. Stop there. Wait. Lee Jae-yang. He'll come. She looked at him suspiciously. He called him like that. If they're not close, then what are they? Do-hun smiled and said, too bad Lee Jae-yang isn't here. Also, are you really telling me to live alone for 40 days in a place full of IME like this? I'll take a few days off after I finish some things at the company. It'll probably take about 4 days, so stay quietly in the room. I don't want to have to explain things to clients. After that, I'll follow your schedule with you. He paused and lit a cigarette. She listened closely as he continued. And also, don't be alone with Lee Jae-yang. He doesn't know how to control himself around foxes. She replied, got it. What's this? You're being awfully obedient today. Does this damn bastard think I'm some kind of dog? He got his feet. That's it. Let's go. Following behind him, she muttered to herself. Even so, she hadn't expected an EME to control everything related to the contract. Lee Do-hun had nothing left to lose, so she had thought he would be even more selfish and domineering. He led her to a room. This will be your room while you're staying in this house. She walked over and sat on the bed, but Do-hun still hadn't left. She asked, why are you still here? Is there something you want to say to me? He only looked at her without answering, leaving her flustered. What is it? Something serious? Suddenly, Do-hun reached out his hand and gently stroked her head reassuringly. Calm down. She let out a baffled, No one here can touch you without my permission. Oh, why are you suddenly being so kind? Then a servant came in and said, Master sent these gifts for you to use while you stay here. I think he sent them because he saw that you had nothing to wear. Wait, aren't all my clothes still at Lee Do-hun's house? I don't need any of this. All you need to do is bring my things over from Lee Do-hun's house. Master ordered me to throw all of that away. She fumed inside. Who gave him the right to do that? Be patient. Anyway, it's not this woman's fault. How does he even know my size? Still, that's not what matters. I can't go outside by myself. So what exactly is the point of all this? Is there anything important at Lee Do-hun's house besides my clothes? My phone. Mom and Dad are probably waiting for a call from me by now. She remembered what Sung Jae-yi had said. Because you were my childhood friend, I tried asking Do-hun. When he found out his mark was different from yours. He probably learned the whole truth by then in order to protect you from the other EMEs. When Lee Do-hun comes, I'll ask him to bring me my phone first. She flopped back onto the bed and groaned. Has it only been half a day? This is so boring. All Yuanga did all day was watch movies, eat, drink tea on the balcony, read, and nap. It had once felt comfortable and lovely, but there was a limit to how much fun you could have alone. I want to go outside. She stepped outside and called for Hyunju. I'm going to take a walk in the park. Hyunju, 25, Yuanga's attendant. Where is everyone? There's no one here. She thought to herself, I'll just take a little walk around. It feels nice to enjoy the fresh air. This park is huge. Suddenly, someone spoke. Hello. She froze. That voice. He appeared behind her out of nowhere. Have we met before? She recognized him at once. It was Lee Jae-yang. She quickly stepped back, frowning as she said, Move. Are you angry with me? Oh, are you upset because I forced you to sleep earlier? Didn't I tell you to move? Would you like to have a cup of tea with me? He wasn't even listening to her. They say you're Lee Do-hun's younger brother, right? Aren't you younger than me? Then why do you keep talking to me so casually? That's right. I'm younger than you. so I think it's perfectly fine to speak casually because I'm younger. You really have a talent for making people angry. I'm leaving, suddenly he asked. Don't you have a few questions about my brother? I'll tell you what you want to know. Fair exchange. I have a few questions for you too. Yuangu agreed and replied. I'll go first. Then the two of them went inside. You can only ask 3 questions. Fine, you ask first. How did my brother find you? Right from the start, he asked an extremely difficult question. I used my ability in front of Lee Do-han when I had a very high fever. That was stupid of you. She cursed him inwardly. This jerk is so irritating. Now it was her turn to ask, what exactly is your relationship with Lee Do-han? Oh, it's rather special. Annoyed by his vague answer, Yuangu immediately stood up. I'm leaving. He grabbed her hand. Don't be so hasty. She flinched a little. This bastard is strong. Saw thee. I still haven't fully gotten control of my strength. We're cousins. His father is my uncle. He and I are among the few pure bloods left. Now that I think about it, we're a little alike. Now it's my turn, right? Why did Do-han form a master-servant relationship with you? What kind of question is that? Because I asked him to. You asked for that? Do-han said he would form a companion bond if he found a member of the clan. If he had a child carrying pure blood, that child would have to suffer the same pain he did. So instead, he thought he would take someone from the family as his companion to look after his assets. But you mean Do-han changed his mind because of your request? How unusual. Just because you asked? Why? Irritated, she snapped. How would I know what Lee Do-han is thinking? It's your turn to ask. This guy is completely different from Lee Do-han. Do you ever feel like your power is going out of control? For a pure blood without a contract, I'd think they'd be quite sensitive. Why don't you seem worried? Jiang replied. The day my power suddenly surged, I immediately found a fox with the same mark as mine. Maybe I was just lucky. She thought bitterly, God is so unfair. Why does luck come to a bastard like him? Jiang continued. That fox cried and confessed that she liked me. She just happened to be my fox. She said she'd do anything I wanted. She'd probably follow me to death without hesitation. Yuangu found his expression strange. That way of putting it. Then suddenly he asked, then why did you sign a contract with Do-han? You could have run away then, couldn't you? She recalled that moment and answered him. I felt sorry for Lee Do-han's pain. Lee Do-han is pitiful. He burst out laughing without restraint. I knew he'd react like this. Now it's my turn again. The person who came to see Lee Do-han yesterday, was it Kwon Sung-ji? Do-han told me I'm not supposed to talk about that. If he hears about it again, seriously, he reminded me again this morning. Not to mention Kwon Sung-ji. As she was thinking that, he asked, what's your relationship with him? She blinked. Him? You still haven't answered my question. He smiled and said, that's right. Kwon Sung-ji did come. She stood up and said, that's 3 questions. I'm leaving. You're very patient. See you later. Be careful. When she returned, she saw Hyunju pacing back and forth anxiously. The woman stopped short when she spotted Yuangu. She asked, where did you go? I just went for a walk. You said it was fine as long as I didn't leave the house, right? That's not it. But there are still guests here. I thought you were in your room. Did you happen to meet a fox? No, I got a little tired from walking, so I came in here. She thought, it's so suffocating in here, then opened the door and stepped out onto the balcony. Having to live in a place like this for 40 days is so stifling. That evening, when she entered her room, she found Do-han there. Surprised, she asked, what? When did you get here? Instead of answering, he asked her, how was dinner? None of your concern. Did you tell the servants to throw all my things away? Was that really necessary? Do you think it's wrong to throw away someone else's things without asking? Isn't it? My phone is in the desk drawer. Get it for me. But Do-han turned away without responding and slowly took off his tie. Then his jacket. He slowly walked over and sat down on the bed. She asked, why are you suddenly doing this? You're too close. He looked at her for a while before saying, we're supposed to perform the ritual once a day, aren't we? All right. Blood-sucking. You should at least warn me first. You always ignore what I say. Do-han grabbed her hand and pulled her closer. His mouth slowly moved toward Yuangu's neck. After a moment, nothing happened, and she widened her eyes in surprise. Do-han was still hesitating. A moment later, he bit into her neck. Letting her go, he asked worriedly, hey, did it hurt a lot? Tears welled up in her eyes as she wondered, is it over? Then he bit her neck once more. She closed her eyes helplessly and said, again. He gently licked the bite mark, which left her a little dazed. Only then did Do-han begin to suck the blood flowing from the wound. Finally, Do-han released her. She raised a hand to her neck and thought, I'm exhausted. And I have to do this every day for 40 days. Suddenly, he took her hand and said, come here. She asked doubtfully, but does the ritual really have to be done like this? Can't you just draw blood and drink it like a blood donation? He answered, if you're uncomfortable, we'll do it that way next time. She immediately challenged him. If that was an option, why didn't you do that from the start? Why did you have to bite my neck? What a hassle. This way, I could drink it directly. What kind of person is this? How can he be so ridiculous? Do-hun said, come with me. A little later, the two of them arrived at the dining room. She said, I wasn't planning to eat dinner. If you have to lose that much blood every day, you shouldn't skip meals. What nonsense. Aren't you just fattening me up to eat me? There was even tonic this morning. It seemed they hadn't come here just for dinner. The atmosphere turned quiet, and she thought, is he trying to say something? Suddenly he spoke. What did you talk about when you met Lee Jae-yang today? She jerked in surprise and dropped the fork in her hand. How does he know? Did Lee Jae-yang tell him? Didn't you hear what I said? I didn't go to him. He approached me first. I clearly told him to move. Huh? What are you talking about? Angrily, she said, you're being way too controlling. Relax a little. We just sat and talked for a bit. Do I have to report every little thing like that to you? Do-hun frowned, then suddenly ordered, bring Lee Jae-yang here. Yuanga looked at him and said, it's not like we said anything special. He said he'd tell me more about you. So I asked, that's all. So what did you learn? She cursed inwardly. You're shameless for hiding the fact that Kwon Sung-ji came and cornering me just because I went out for a little while. That arrogant look on his face. Thinking of it made her snap. You there. At first, you weren't planning to do it, but you formed a master-servant relationship just because of my request, right? His expression darkened, just for finding out something so minor. And you ignored what I said and followed that Lee Jae-yang? I wanted to see you get upset, even just a little, because of me. And there's something else. Kwon Sung-jae came here last night. Why didn't you tell me? Please let me meet Kwon Sung-jae. Not because he's a threat to you, because he's already gone, but because I have to explain to him that entering the contract was my own choice. He must be very worried. A dark aura spread around Do-hun. Tapping his fingers on the table, he asked, do you really have to explain the contract? It seems he's very special to you. Her answer startled him. Of course, Kwon Sung-ji is very special to me. Do-hun glared furiously. The dense killing intent shattered even the flower vase, making Yuanga flinch in fear. At the sight of Do-hun's anger after hearing her say those words, she asked, what was that? Suddenly Do-hun said, go on. If you want to stop, then get up and go. She wondered, why is he getting angry? Please just let me meet Sung-jae alone. I won't agree to it until the contract is fully stabilized. I'm sure he thinks I was forced into this contract and that it was his fault. That would be just like him. Frowning, Do-hun said, you are not allowed to meet Kwon Sung-jae. Do you think he'll accept our contract? Kwon Sung-jae, even though we're not that close. After what happened, I'm sure that if he finds out the two marks are the same, he would have hidden Yuanga's existence until the very end. Even if I died right in front of him, Yuanga still believed it would be fine as long as she explained the situation to him, because Kwon Sung-jae was that kind of person. You said the two of you have known each other since childhood, but it seems you don't know him at all, do you? Lowering his eyes, Do-hun retorted, you're the one who knows nothing about him. Just then, someone entered and said, young master, here's what you asked for. Do-hun took the phone and handed it to Yuanga. If you want to contact Sung-jae, I'll allow it. Why don't you add something like, I can only call him in front of you or something like that? She thought, he's always like this. Even though he grants every request I make, in the end, I really can't do anything without Lee Do-hun's permission. As she was thinking that, she jumped at the sound of Do-hun tapping the table, his voice cold. You're crossing the line, and I'm enduring you as much as I can. You know as well that most foxes and IMEs simply obey whatever they're told. I've ignored his warnings too many times. Even now, I'm deliberately provoking him. Ever since that night, somehow, I had kindled an uncertain kind of faith, but at least for now, I trust Lee Do-hun. He won't risk his life at this point. Thinking about it, the other IMEs wouldn't let their foxes do whatever they wanted. After thinking that, she said, I'll go make the call in my room. A little later, in Yuangu's room, Sung-jae's voice came from the other end. Yuangu. She thought he sounded so sad. Then he said, are you okay? Is this because of me? Just as I thought, he's blaming himself. She spoke to explain, it's not your fault. You thought my mark was different. I'm the one who didn't trust you enough to tell you the truth. Sung Ji ran a hand through his hair and said, you should have told me first. Back then, I said we should meet in private. When you come back, I want to see you in person and talk. Let's meet first, then talk. Sung Ji asked. You were forced into the contract, right? She replied brightly, no, I asked him to make a master-servant bond. How else could he confirm the mark? Did Lee Do-hun threaten you? I was really worried about you. Actually, I could have escaped, but I was the one who revealed the mark first. What? She thought. He probably thinks I'm an idiot now, but I'm like him. I was also trying to carry Lee Do-hun, just the way he's trying to now. At that moment, I just wanted to save that selfish bastard. She explained. Do-hun's power was out of control then, and I felt like he could die at any moment. If you had been there, before she could finish, Sung Ji raised his voice. Why would you do that? Startled, she asked, huh? Sung Ji's tone gradually turned cold. What exactly did he say to you? I'll find out whether there's a way to break the contract. She asked, then what about Lee Do-hun? If the contract is broken, what will happen to him? I know better than anyone what happens to an IME without a fox. Hearing those words, Yuanga suddenly remembered what Do-hun had said earlier. You know nothing about him. Her eyes widened in shock. Sung Ji continued, Yuangu, you matter more to me than Do-hun. Or are you saying you're fine with your life being in someone else's hands? She replied, it's really been much better than I expected. Lee Do-hun is still selfish, but he's kind too. Sung Ji asked, how long do you think that will last? Yuangu fell silent, wondering. It's strange. I thought I understood you better than anyone, but what are you thinking right now? I can't even guess anymore. Then she said, it would be better if we talked in person. Let's meet and continue this later. Yuangu, I am sorry. At that point, she hung up. On Sung Ji's side, he pressed a hand to his forehead, thinking. A little later, he called someone. A voice answered on the other end. What's the matter? You rarely call me. A dangerous look flashed in Sung Ji's eyes as he said, I need your help. Meanwhile, Yuanga stood in front of Do-hun's room. She hesitated for a moment, then raised her hand and knocked. His voice came from inside. Gomin. Still looking at the document in front of him, he asked, what is it? I want to ask you for a favor. Before the stabilization period ends, you shouldn't meet Kwon Sung Ji alone. Confused, she replied, that's not why I came here. He took off his glasses and said, please, my parents are back from their trip. They only know that you took me away. They don't know anything about the contract between us. Just this once, please act like a decent master. They'll be very worried if they find out about the contract. My mother thinks all IME are bad people. We are bad people, aren't we? Especially to someone like you. That used to apply to you too. I thought so as well. But from now on, I'll only believe what I see for myself. Then what have you seen? You. Before, you hurt me in order to save me, didn't you? Her words clearly caught him off guard. Seeing that he didn't answer, she thought to herself, maybe that was too much to ask. I'll just ask him to let me visit my parents for 4 days. She turned to leave, but then Do-hun suddenly spoke. Don't skip meals when I'm not around. I'll clear my schedule for Saturday. Hearing that, she smiled faintly. The next morning, the young master instructed us to start drawing blood from now on. Has he really bought all the equipment already? Please go to your room. I'll prepare dessert for you. Eun-gu quietly marveled at how attentive the treatment was. After finishing, Hyunju left. Rest well. Rubbing her eyes, Eun-gu wondered, by the way, why have I been so sleepy lately? Then she suddenly saw a large shadow fall across the table. We meet again. What's that on your neck? Did my brother do that? Where the hell did this bastard come from? Curious, Jang peeled back the patch. Wow, he bit you hard enough to leave this? You did the same thing too, didn't you? I heard you made a contract with a fox. I switched from a master-servant contract to a mate bond long ago. She cried and confessed her feelings to me. She was happy to be my fox. Fine, if you two like each other, then a mate bond isn't so bad. So are you married now? To her, there's no need for marriage. It's just a contract, so it can be destroyed at any time if the guarantor is no longer needed. By the way, let's have a meal together later. You've probably been lonely these days without a fox by your side. If she's that special, why don't you break the contract? She doesn't seem to want to leave me. I think you're the one who doesn't want her to leave. So why not take responsibility and marry her? Grinding his teeth, Jang asked who would marry a fox. Eun-gu was stunned by his expression. Even though he was with someone who had feelings for him, and even though they had become mates and shared a physical bond, the moment marriage was mentioned, he looked completely unwilling. This bastard treated foxes like disposable goods. I'll end my contract with her when the time is right, so don't worry about it. One-sided? You said she likes you, didn't you? When he hesitated, Ungu continued. If you keep looking down on other people's feelings and hurting them, someday it'll come back to you. Who says that? Heaven? I don't believe it. Ungu wondered to herself. Why would that girl ever like someone this twisted? I don't know her name or what she looks like, but this really bothers me. She said, fine, go eat later with your fox. No, I changed my mind. I'm not introducing you to her. Why not? Because I think you'll say a bunch of pointless things to her. You scammer. There's something I'm curious about. You seem close to Kwon Song. By the way, have you ever seen his mark? She replied, never. Then thought to herself, should I go inside? So the mark has appeared. The moment she finished speaking, Jang froze because Dohan had appeared behind Ungu, bracing both hands on the table. He said coldly, why are you so curious, Li Jang? Ungu awkwardly remembered saying before, I'm sure I told you I'd never been alone with him. Then she hurriedly explained, I was just on the rooftop. He barged in on his own. Dohan, don't be angry. Dohan, do you think I'd hurt her just because she's a fox? If you're done with your business, leave. Actually, I came here to see you, Dohan. Wait, let's talk a little longer. I have a few things I want to say. You go outside. Isn't this my room? You two should be the ones leaving. Hearing that, he stood there blankly for a few seconds. Aren't you supposed to be taking care of Dohan? Your personality is really awful. She shot back angrily. Who are you calling awful? Then Dohan suddenly spoke. What about your dinner? Hey, since when did you start caring about that kind of thing? Answer me. I already had dinner and dessert, and I took the nutritional supplement you gave me too. Take good care of your neck. It's not like I was seriously hurt or anything. This is all because of you. Jang cut in. You really don't know anything, do you? This is the time when a fox's scent makes an IME even more feral. Your kind is violent by nature. It's not quite that extreme, but when an unstable IME shares a marked bond with a fox, there are times when he grows more savage and times when he wants to mark you. Of course, there are also times when he feels sexual desire and wants you. She stared blankly and asked, what? That's why many IME and foxes form master-servant relationships, but still get physically involved. Do you understand what I'm saying? Actually, I don't really need to interfere, but Dohan seems to care about you a lot. Dohan pulled him away. Stop spouting nonsense and get out. Before leaving the room, Dohan glanced at her once more. Ungu then sat down and shook her head hard. Of course, there are also times when he feels sexual desire and wants you. Just thinking about it made her face turn bright red. In the room, Dohan asked, what's this about? Jang replied, it's about Kwon Song. Do you know that my uncle supported his family, his tuition, even his living expenses? And then that kid cut ties with the IME and left on his own? An IME who feels no kinship even for his own blood. Dohan calmly took a sip of tea and asked, so? Dohan, do you know something? Why were you asking about Kwon Song's seal? It's strange. He has power, but his seal still hasn't appeared. Have you seen his seal? It hasn't appeared yet, so of course no one has seen it. Disappointed, Jang replied, is that so? Then he stood up and said, boring. I'm leaving. Early the next morning, in Ungu's room, while she was still fast asleep, Dohan stood beside her bed lost in thought. Lately, it seems like she wants to leave this place, so I need to return as soon as possible. A fox usually gives blood to an IME. It's only natural that her appetite would increase and she'd feel sleepy. My heart suddenly feels at ease hearing her breathing. Is this the reaction of stabilization? He gently lifted the hand that bore her mark, then remembered what Jang had asked. Have you seen his mark? He murmured the name, Kwon Song. That day, on that stormy, rainy day, standing and looking outside, Dohan thought, has it finally appeared? Back then, Song had been scrolling through his phone while Dohan stood out on the balcony. That was when he saw Ungu, when she was using her power, making everyone and everything around them freeze in place. Standing there, Dohan marveled inwardly. How quiet. Surely even Ungu's power. He looked over at Song. Was he affected by that power too? Scene change. Song was on the phone with someone. Well then, let's meet again next time. Lisa Jang, remember to contact me when I come to Korea. Pressing a hand to his forehead, he thought. Ungu says she's fine, but an IME's possessiveness toward a fox is dangerously reckless. Of course it's dangerous. Even if I treat her very well, I don't know what he'll do if he starts feeling desperate. Honestly, Dohan, tell them your position depends on me. You, saying that right in front of me. I'll save you, Ungu. Back with Ungu, she said, you only slept 4 hours. He replied, that's normal. Since a little of your blood is drawn every day, if you feel sleepy, just get enough sleep. We're going out. So get ready. You came here early because you were doing something for me, right? You should have woken me up. He thought to himself, I don't like wasting time, and I'm not used to waiting. But strangely enough, I like this feeling of waiting. When she stepped out, he stared at her for a moment, then walked over and adjusted her clothes, reminding her, now that Li Jiang has left, you can move freely around the house. What if I run into someone? It's fine. Within the limits of your status, no one will dare speak to you disrespectfully. What does that mean? Li Jiang is the exception, right? If I do anything wrong, the next clan leader will be Li Jiang, so he'll be the one in power. She asked, no matter what, aren't you still the one at the top? He let out a small laugh. So you do understand. You understand my position, so why do you still act like that? He flicked Ungu lightly on the ear. Startled, she thought, why is he being like this? Sometimes he doesn't seem that scary. He can make an expression like this too. Somehow, it feels like we've gotten closer. After a moment, she asked, but where are we going? The mall. I think I need to buy a gift. What gift? Do you want me to help you choose? Who are you giving a gift to? Your parents. She cried out in surprise, huh? He explained, we can't go empty-handed. You told me to behave like a good person, didn't you? So let's go. Go on, go. After all, I owe you. You risked yourself to save me. I know that very well. Hurry up. We'll go there after dinner. So she quickly followed after him, and the two of them said nothing more. After that, they went to a restaurant. She said, this place is expensive. Have you been here before? Oh, Kwan Song's treated me to a meal here on my birthday. Wow, just mentioning Kwan Song changes your whole tone. What's going on between you and Kwan Song? Aren't you two friends? Did you have a falling out? Suddenly he asked, what did he tell you? She remembered, I'll keep looking for a way to end this contract. With Lee Do-hun, the contract directly affects his life. I can't tell him the truth. She stammered. Well, then she quickly changed the subject. Would you mind if I asked about your parents? Not at all. My father doesn't care much about me, as long as I sign a contract with my fox. So he probably won't pay much attention to you either. My mother is resting overseas because of health problems. Really? Then I should greet her properly when she comes back. Does your mother hate foxes or anything like that? I'm a little worried about meeting her for the first time. At that, Do-hun turned away in silence. She wondered, does she really hate foxes? Maybe I don't need to make a good impression on her after all. Still, of course it would hurt to be disliked by someone the first time you meet them. Then Do-hun spoke. My mother desperately searched for people who carried the same mark as me. She said, even if that child wants to take everything I have, bring them to me. So don't make that face. You're the one person who saved her son. How could she possibly hate you? Looking at this man, who would have thought he knew how to comfort someone? Then she suddenly asked, but what should I do? To my mother you are. The scoundrel who ruined her daughter's life, right? Hearing that, he burst out laughing. I know. She thought to herself, I said I'd introduce Lee Do-hun to my parents, but what if my mother really doesn't like him? In Ungu's imagination, Lee Do-hun declared, we've already signed a contract, so there's no need for a matchmaker. You should be grateful I came to visit you in person. What do you want? What do you want? Just imagining it made Ungu anxious. Wouldn't that be complete chaos? Later, in the car, Ungu said, you can't treat them the way you treat me, okay? He asked, how do I treat you? What do you mean? And you're still asking? You talk as if everyone has wronged you. Do-hun leaned in, then carefully unfastened Ungu's seatbelt. He reassured her, I'll try not to make you worry anymore, all right? His words and actions made her heart flutter a little. A moment later, the doorbell rang, and Hejang called out in surprise. Ungu, her mother abruptly stopped her father and Hejang. In a stern voice, she called her daughter's name. Ungu, sweating, Ungu let out a soft, Then Do-hun suddenly stepped forward to face them. She hurriedly said, Mom, this is... Before she could finish, he unexpectedly bowed politely and said, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm the Do-hun. She looked at him with a scrutinizing gaze, while Ungu gave an awkward smile and said, Mom, let's go upstairs and talk. After that, the atmosphere in the room was suffocating. She cried inwardly, I can't breathe. Lowering her head, she stammered, Mom, it's just... Her mother coldly cut her off. Explain everything properly. First of all, this is Lee Do-hun. After hesitating for a moment, she said, he's Kwan Song's friend. Oh my, so he's Song's friend? Yes. I met him through Song, and we have the same mark. How did he find out about your mark? How did he know you're from the Fox clan? I had a high fever and used my power, and he happened to see it. Goodness, how many times have I warned you? What terrible luck. She whispered, he didn't threaten you or anything, did he? No, nothing like that. But inwardly she thought so many times, too many to count. Then why did you send a message saying you were running away? And just recently you told me I had to escape too. I was so worried. It was just a small misunderstanding at the time. I thought all IME were bad people, but Lee Do-hun isn't like that. After getting to know him better, I realized he's not that bad. So I asked to form a contract. What kind of contract? A master-servant contract. Her mother placed a hand over her daughters. You were the one who proposed that. Your father, your mother, and even your grandparents have never met an IME. Then Do-hun suddenly spoke. IME do not hunt ruthlessly, but the IME are still actively searching for the Fox clan. This year alone, they've found quite a few. Every Fox clan member they found has already entered into a contract, of course through legal means. The days of forced contracts made through threats are long gone. Eun-gu's parents shared the same thought. He has a very trustworthy face. Her mother asked, anyway, how long does Eun-gu have to stay at the IME main house? She can return to normal life once the 40-day stabilization cycle is over. If you're worried, I'll buy you a house in Seoul so you can all live together. A house? Yes. Because she entered this contract unconditionally, I plan to support whatever the two of you may need. Eun-gu thought helplessly. He could seriously become an actor. Look at Mom's face softening already. Then her mother suddenly asked, are you the heir to a chaebol family or something? He answered, well, something close to that. Lowering her head, Eun-gu sighed to herself. He obviously can't say he's the next leader of the IME. Then Do-hun handed over a card. This is my business card. If anything happens, or if you need anything, please feel free to contact me. Looking at the information on the card, the two of them gaped in shock. Then they cheerfully said, please take good care of Eun-gu. We feel very reassured in trusting our daughter to you. There's nothing to worry about. Please stay and have a meal with our family. Ho ho ho. No, thank you. I'll come eat another time. Today must have been a busy day for both of you. Eun-gu cried inwardly. If his real personality were actually like this, I would have signed the contract ages ago. After that, the two of them headed back. He said, here, take this. Sweets. Did Hee-jang pack this for you? I bought it. Why did you buy so much? I heard you like it. Who told you that? He turned to look at her without answering. Her face suddenly flushed. Walking behind him, she said softly, thank you. You did even better than I expected, so I had a pretty good time. Thank you for saying those things to my parents too. But don't you think you went a bit overboard? What if my mom really asked for a house? He was silent for a moment, then said, that wasn't just empty talk. My mother said that if I ever found the fox with the same mark as me, I should bring that person home and give them whatever they wanted. Eun-gu thought to herself, but that was before the contract was made. Now that the contract has already been signed, he doesn't need to try so hard to make me like him anymore. When she got there, she asked, so what happened then? Are you trying to keep that promise now? Maybe, even if it's not exactly in the right order. Eun-gu fell silent for a moment and stared at him intently. Do-hun found it puzzling, but then a faint smile suddenly curved on his lips, making her face flush red. I must be crazy. Who am I even facing right now? Who is he trying to charm? Thinking that, she suddenly said, you, stop smiling like that. She thought that face was far too dangerous for her heart. Way too dangerous. A few days later, Do-hun asked Hyunjo, how's Eun-gu? She's asleep. He thought to himself, she's been insisting on going for walks at dawn for quite a while now, and I've been running around busy these past few days. Hurry up, Lee Do-hun. He had practically been dragged outside by her. Do you really think this stuff tastes good? Do you want to try it too? Sweet drinks don't suit your taste. Then, while they were out walking, he asked, if you like the park, why don't you come jogging with me? No, thanks. That's exercise. I prefer walking. Can we come here after dinner? Whatever you want. I even ended up walking through the park without doing anything else. What a surprise. If she wants to have dinner with me, I should make a reservation first. Thinking that, Do-hun told Hyunjo, forget it. Just let her rest. A little later, Lee Ji-young called him. He asked, what happened for you to call at this hour? Next week, Mother and Sejang are coming back to Korea. They're back? But why are you telling me that? They told me to, because they wanted to know Song's reaction in advance. But there's bad news. It looks like Kwon Sunj is investigating the contract. Aside from the usual way of directly removing it through the mark's owner, they say he's looking for other methods too. Do-hun laughed. There's no such thing. We don't know that, considering there are Im-hae who still never manifested a mark even after turning 30. Maybe there really is another way to erase the contract. Just then, Eun-gu's voice sounded from outside. Do-hun, may I come in? He told Ji-young, watch the situation and report back to me. He hung up and went to open the door. What is it? Are you busy today? There's somewhere I want to go. I have to go to the company today. Oh, is that so? Fine then. What is it? His expression doesn't look good. Suddenly he asked, your power doesn't work on Kwan's Sunj either. Did you know that? No. Wasn't it always the case that Fox Clan powers don't work on Imhei from the start? So even before, I never once thought of using my power on him. Besides, until I met him, I didn't even know Kwan Sunj was an Imhei. He thought to himself, Ungu really doesn't know anything. He said, there are two cases in which Fox Clan powers don't work on an Imhei. The first is pure resonance. The second is the owner of a mark. Kwan Sunj isn't pure-blooded, and he isn't a mark owner either. But your power doesn't work on him. She asked, is that a problem? That depends on the situation. If Kwan Sunj does anything excessive and you go along with him, that would be the worst possible outcome. Startled, she remembered what Sunj had said. You heard me, right? I'll find a way to erase the contract. Lowering her head, she explained, Kwan Sunj is only worried about me. That's all. There's no way I'd take his side, so don't worry. He thought, that's right. Ungu is my fox. She shares my mark. We made a contract, she added. Instead, if Sunj ends up in danger, please help him. I'm worried, because he's the type who really doesn't know how to take care of himself. Dohun's face darkened. But why? Is he that important to you? She answered calmly. Of course. Kwan Sunj is my oldest friend. Hearing that, he became certain of it. Now it feels like she could be taken away from me. Suddenly he said, today, don't even think about going back. She asked in surprise, what? The moment the word left her mouth, Dohun pulled her into a tight embrace, then firmly bit into Ungu's neck. Caught off guard, she cried out, stop. Her body trembled as she backed toward the wall. Lee Dohun, wait, please stop. He only tightened his hold on her more, drawing painful moans from her. Dohun kept fervently licking the blood from her neck while Ungu panted, her whole body drained. Only then did he let her go. Her eyes brimmed with tears that could spill at any second. Dohun's gaze clouded again, his pupils burning red. Once more, he wrapped an arm around her waist and pulled her close. She screamed his name, Lee Dohun, then shoved him away and demanded, what the hell is wrong with you? Tears streamed down her face. Dohun stayed silent for a moment, then suddenly laughed and said, that's right, exactly. If it weren't for Kwan Sunj coming out of your mouth, would I be this angry? The next day, she cursed in frustration. That bastard. No wonder he suddenly got so nice these past few days. He was just trying to see what I'd do in the future. Just then, Dohun returned. The moment he stepped out of the car, she saw him and immediately turned around and went inside. The next day, go Ungu. The place will go before he could finish, she cut him off. I'm not going anywhere today. I don't want to go out today, and don't just walk into my room whenever you want. The following day, what about your meal? She answered indifferently. I already ate. So Dohun stayed silent and said nothing more. She thought, I've been avoiding Lee Dohun for a while now. So annoying. I want to go out and eat something sweet. No matter how kind he acts, violence is who he really is. I can never let my guard down with him. Suddenly, an unfamiliar voice rang out. Would you like me to make you some tea? Ungu was startled. Who is that? This is my first time seeing her face. Where did Hyeonjo go? Just then, Dohun walked over and immediately asked, who are you? I started working here 2 days ago. Call Jun Hyeonjo over here. Ungu stood off to the side, blankly watching. Hyeonjo bowed. I am sorry. I should have informed you first. This child started working yesterday. What's her identity? I check her references thoroughly. Bring me the file, and don't let her get close to Go Ungu. After that, Ungu asked, are you always this sensitive? I can't help being sensitive right now. Why? Because you're here. He's just saying nonsense, right? It's just his way of saying that if something happens to me, he won't be able to drink my blood anymore. I shouldn't let my guard down, and yet I keep. Suddenly, he handed her a box of pastries. She blinked. What's this? No way. Did you buy this for me? He didn't answer, only smiled faintly. A while later, she happily enjoyed the pastry. Dohun watched her closely. Where did a piece that big disappear to? Is she really that hungry? If there's something you want to eat, just tell Jun Hyeonjo. You should try this too. He stood up and said, right now I want to eat something else. As he moved closer, with such a serious look on his face, she instinctively raised a hand to her neck. This jerk. Again? What a dangerous man. He gently removed her hand from her neck and reassured her, I won't hurt you. What is he even saying? Does he know what gentle means? That won't happen this time. Thinking that, she warned him, "Back off or I'll bite you." He grabbed her leg. "You've been very naughty." Then he pushed her down onto the sofa. "What do you think you're doing to your master?" As soon as he said that, he sank his teeth into Ungu's neck. She thought, "This is strange. Every time he sucks my blood directly like this, the pain quickly turns into pleasure. Whenever we're on the bed, it feels like our bodies are blending together, the heat never fading." When he let her go, she suddenly grabbed Do-hun's arm, then immediately bit down on his hand. She hurriedly ran off. "I told you I'd bite you. I'm still a fox, you know." Do-hun looked at the red mark on his hand and unconsciously smiled. After that, she demanded, "You're being punished and you're not allowed to cross the line. Don't come any closer than 5 meters. I'll come back in an hour. I've been bored to death staying in the house these past few days. If you behave quietly, I'll spend time with you however you want this weekend." "Since when was I not quiet?" "Since you kicked your master and bit him." "And whose fault was that?" "But I really do want to go out." Suddenly she spoke up. "Yes, sir. Please be careful. I'll be quiet. So please keep your promise. If you break it, I'll be very sad." "I mean it." Do-hun was left speechless at how completely she'd changed her tune. Sitting in the car, he laughed and said, "There's no fox harder to tame than this one." Then the car gradually drove away from the building. Ungu sat in the garden drinking tea in the warm sunlight. Suddenly, someone approached, carrying pruning shears and a bag. Ungu wondered, who's that? Maybe because the garden is so big, people like it are hired separately. A gardener dressed like that. Well, rich households usually have their own ways, I guess. But do they prune plants before winter? Just then she picked up her phone happily. "Oh, Harang." She answered the call. "I'm Fine. It's not like this girl is in some pitiful situation. Let's meet after everything settles down, okay? Good luck." Suddenly she paused. "Come to think of it, it's strangely quiet today." A drop of water fell onto her hand. I guess everyone left because it's about to rain. I should go inside and wait too." Then her eyes widened in alarm. The gardener had suddenly appeared behind her. Danger radiated from his sharp red eyes as he stared at the mark on Ungu's hand. He spoke. "So it's you, Li Do-hun's fox. Ungu instantly réalise danger." She raised both hands to block. Drops of blood splattered down. Attacked by him, Ungu was knocked to the ground. The huge shears stabbed toward her again, slicing a deep gash across her hand. Tears streamed down her face in terror. She screamed, "Ah!" then quickly scrambled to her feet and ran. As she ran, she shouted, "Help! Help me! Why? Help me! Why isn't anyone coming?" Elsewhere, Hyunjo and the new maid were chatting cheerfully. In a panic, Ungu wondered, "It's like no one is there. It's like no one can see me." The man laughed viciously. "Ha, hunting foxes is always fun." By then, Ungu had reached the door. She desperately gripped the handle. "No, please, open. Open the door." But the only answer was a terrifying silence. The man slowly approached and called out, "Hey, fox, nothing personal. This is just what my master wants." Trembling, she tried to calm herself. "It'll be okay. Calm down, go Ungu. I just need to use my power. I can stop him." Instantly, everything around them froze, and the man stood motionless. She told herself now, "Thank God, I can use this chance to escape through another gate." But contrary to her expectations, he suddenly spoke, leaving her utterly shocked. "I was wondering what you were going to do. You got guts. Fox Clan power? I didn't think it would work on me." She was stunned, thinking only someone pure-blooded like Li Do-hun could do that. In her eyes, all she could see was the sharp shears lunging toward her. "Fox Clan powers can't." In terror, she screamed, "Li Do-hun." Drops of red blood fell, along with a reassuring voice. "It's okay now." Do-hun gently took her hand. "Breathe." With his other hand, he was gripping the shears tightly. He continued to soothe her. Slowly, "That's right." He breathed a sigh of relief inside. "Thank goodness, there are no serious injuries." He clenched the shears tighter. "How dare you?" His voice was cold and murderous. "You dared lay a hand on my fox. How dare you attack a fox that made a contract with a pure-blooded Imhei? You do know you'll pay for it with your life, don't you?" As soon as he finished speaking, he crushed the shears in his grip and threw them aside. Then he punched the man in the face so hard blood burst from his mouth. Not stopping there, he drove his foot straight into the man's face and sent him flying several meters away. Do-hun slowly approached him. "How did you get into the main house?" The man answered calmly, "Young master, now isn't the time to worry about that." He looked over at Ungu, who was sitting there, and suddenly laughed in satisfaction. The next instant, blood poured from his mouth and nose. and he collapsed to the ground, motionless. Do-hun thought suspiciously. He died without the slightest regret, as if the purpose of coming here had already been fulfilled. Eun-gu stood up, still trembling all over. She asked, "Is he dead? What has happened? Is your hand okay?" Her eyes suddenly widened in shock. My throat." She raised a hand to touch her neck, then abruptly coughed up a mouthful of dark red blood. Looking at her trembling hands, she called out, "Blood." She looked up at Do-hun with a face that couldn't have looked worse. Seeing that, Do-hun stood frozen like a man who had lost his soul. She wondered, is this a dream? Why am I? She dropped to her knees, her hands clutching at her throat. Lee Do-hun could never make a face like that. Only when she collapsed did Do-hun snapped out of it and rushed to her, shouting, "Eun-gu!" Afterward, the doctor said, "It appears to be a poison mixed with imhe blood. She'll have to endure for 10 full days until the toxin is completely gone. She'll keep vomiting blood, and her fever won't go down. There's no other way except to inject painkillers to ease the pain." Do-hun called out darkly, "Jun Hyunjo, submit your report." She answered, "The intruder was an imhe reported missing 10 years ago. He had an access pass to the main house. Using the power of pure-blooded imhe blood, he disabled the garden surveillance cameras. He blocked the young lady's presence and concealed himself. They said that meant even the servants couldn't help her." Hearing that, Do-hun thought, he knew exactly when I wasn't by Go-eun-gu's side. He could even enter the main house. Someone masterminded this assassination attempt on a fox contracted to a pure-blooded imhe. Who could do something like this? He ordered, strengthen security and investigate all the recently hired staff. Yes, sir. Not every imhe even knows who the head is, let alone breaks the rules while throwing away his own life. There must be some lunatic behind this, someone doing things beyond all reason. Is it really that simple? Are the outer buildings safe? In case I overlooked something. He let out a weary sigh. Suddenly, his phone rang. Li Jiang. I told him to investigate Kwon Sunj. Did Kwon Sunj do something? Thinking that, he answered. On the other end, Jiang said, "Hyung, I heard there was trouble at home. Was Eun-gu badly hurt?" He was startled. It's only been a few hours since it happened. In a cold voice, he asked, "How do you know that?" "How do you know?" "I was worried you drown in love or something. You're so cruel. Is Uncle still there? Can you talk? Did Kwon Sunj meet your father? This seems unusual, like some guest came by. I heard Uncle's own secretary personally escorted Kwon Sunj. Do you know anything about this?" Gritting his teeth, he warned, "Calm down. Don't cause trouble." Do-hun lowered his head in thought. Kwon Sunj met father. He remembered the message Sunj had sent Eun-gu. "I'm sorry for getting angry last time. I'll call you back soon. Take care of yourself." Meanwhile, Hyunjo said, "Young master, let me change the sheets." But Do-hun sat there with his head bowed. "This is driving me insane." Inwardly, he called his name, Lee Do-hun. Just then, Eun-gu woke up. She immediately started complaining. "You said I'd be safe. You bastard. What is this? It hurts so much. It really hurts." He looked at her sadly, then gently reached out and caressed her face. She softly closed her eyes and drifted off again, still murmuring, "It hurts so much." Do-hun sat there, unable to take his eyes off her, thinking, "Before midnight, I have to perform the blood-draining ritual. If it isn't done within the allotted time, not only will it affect me, it'll affect Go-eun-gu too." Watching me cough up blood. Was that how she felt? That's why kind-hearted Go-eun-gu couldn't run away. My fingertips are tingling, my throat hurts. It feels like I'm doing something terrible. At that moment, he bit into Eun-gu's neck. Holding her in his arms, he sucked her blood. Eun-gu let out a faint cry. It hurt. It really hurt. I know. He carefully covered the wound on her neck. This will last for 10 days. According to the doctor, I won't die. But suddenly he bit his own finger. If an IME offers blood willingly, it's the same as transferring their power. Seeing that, Hyunjo asked in surprise, "Young master, you only need to endure 10 days with painkillers. You don't have to go this far. But it's such a dangerous time," he said. "I'll stay here. You go outside." After that, the doctor came to examine Eun-gu again. "She's very lucky. Recovery will only take a few days." Do-hun asked, "Is she all right?" "She's fine. Her fever is down, and the poison is gone, so don't worry. For the next few years, drawing blood won't be a problem." The doctor's words made his expression darken. "Young master, did I do something wrong?" "That's right. If Go-eun-gu dies, I die too. God must have taken that into account. I'm only Go-eun-gu's now. I was furious because I thought something had happened to Go-eun-gu. My blood is no longer my life anymore. It belongs only to her. I've been worried about her this whole time. The next day, Eun-gu woke up feeling completely recovered, as if pretending she was dying had all been a lie. Why am I still in Lee Do-hun's room? She asked. Why are we sleeping together? If you're not within my sight, then what's the point of me being here? I'm doing this to protect you. Stop being stubborn for no reason. So I have to sleep with you? Is that a problem? What? What are you worried about? A little later, she sat on the bed hugging her knees. In the end, it turned out like this again. She hesitantly asked that guy, why do you want to kill me? Attacking a fox that has already made a contract is forbidden. Anyone who breaks that rule is considered an enemy of all IME and will pay with their life. She thought, so that was what happened. The moment that man saw the mark, he tried to kill me. The reason was probably because if I died, Lee Do-hun would die too. Once a contract is made, escaping is almost impossible, and killing him directly would carry too much risk. It was a backup plan. I'm used to things like this. Do-hun said, since intruders managed to infiltrate the place, I've sent everyone away except the servants assigned to the detached house. I need time to get everything in order, so stay in my room with me for the next 2 days. Is the detached house really safe? What if one of them has an accomplice? They're all from my mother's side. Don't worry. Their identities are clearer than any of the other servants. By the way, he placed a hand on her shoulder. I still haven't had any blood today. She stared at him in shock, eyes wide, as Do-hun started pushing her down. His hand grabbed her leg. Why, you bastard? He's being way too sudden. Do you think I'm that easy? Hey, you could just draw blood instead. I'm still a patient. It's just drinking blood. What's the problem? Just lie still. Didn't you say you're patient? Then I'll handle everything. She thought to herself, that's true. Resisting would only waste my energy. I can't beat him with strength anyway. I can't defeat him with power either. What are you doing? Master, hurry and drink. There's only 30 minutes left until midnight. She blinked mischievously and asked, don't you like this sort of thing? He smiled, thinking, for a fox like you, you really don't know what I might do. So bold, with this warmth and her breath against my skin. It's funny that she's so calm at a time like this. Then he suddenly said, I've been thinking about this ever since you woke up. He kissed her lightly on the neck and continued, not a master-servant bond. From the beginning, I should have made a mate contract. She thought, what? Her face flushed red. He lightly licked her neck, and after a moment, he bit down, drawing blood. He thought to himself, I really like this face. A face I can only see when I'm drinking her blood directly. He looked at her for a moment, then let her go and said, sit up. I'll go get the first aid kit. After that, he gently wiped the wound and carefully covered it with a bandage. He reassured her, you don't need to be afraid. I won't force you to change the contract. Go to sleep. In the end, I couldn't sleep all night. It's a relief Lee Do-hun left early. Does he even know what he's saying? What does it mean to be his mate? The expression on his face at the moment I collapsed. I never thought he'd make a face like that. Maybe I was hallucinating then, but perhaps. I won't be able to stop this heart much longer. At that moment, Hyun-jo came in and called out, Miss, you've been asked to come to the office. The young master has something to say. She was a little surprised and said nothing. A little later, in Do-hun's room, he told her, my mother has returned to the country. She came here secretly to meet you. She thought, I'm not ready to meet his mother yet. I am scared. Do-hun continued, my mother also has pure blood lineage. She was the youngest of 5 siblings, but now they're all dead. My mother was left all alone. How do pure bloods who fail to find a fox die? She knows better than anyone because she witnessed it all firsthand. A person like that would never mistreat you or look down on you when you saved her son's life. No one will despise you just because you're a fox. Anyway, don't worry too much. She said she'll come to see you after everything settles down following the accident. That's all I know. There are a lot of things to deal with today, so I have to go out. I've sent all the servants elsewhere so you can move around the main house freely. Just tell Jun Hyun-jo anything you need. She thought fearfully, what? He's leaving? She lightly tugged at his clothes and asked, can't you stay? Do-hun was a little surprised by her sudden action. She looked dejected, almost acting spoiled, but quickly let go. Sorry, they said I need to become stronger. Now that the main house is safe, I know I shouldn't cling to people like this, but my heart is still uneasy. Memories of that day keep flooding back. As if sensing her anxiety, he said, here, right now, I'm the only one who will stay by your side and protect you. If there's anything you want to say, just say it. I feel like I've changed. When we first met, I didn't seem to care about other people's feelings at all. She answered hesitantly, I am still a little scared. Can't you leave work for another day? He thought again. Right now, she trusts me a lot. I'd be very happy if you stayed with me. He looked at her without replying, then suddenly turned to his assistant and said, cancel all of today's appointments. And so the two of them sat in the room, talking. You read a lot of books, don't you? If you get bored, spend some time in the library. There's a library? That's right. It's right next door. Other than you and Hyunjo, no other IME are allowed in. So feel free to use it. All right, she thought. It's strange how warm this feels, almost like comfort. Someone as dangerous as Dohan can make me feel safe. Just having him here is enough. Suddenly he asked, is giving blood difficult? I saw you bleeding as soon as you woke up. Why is he suddenly bringing this up? Could it be? From the start, I really should have made a mate contract. This again? I'm still not ready. Then he suddenly asked, are you hungry? She responded blankly, huh? I asked if you're hungry. You must be starving after having your blood sucked. All the tension that had built up completely vanished just because of that natural, ordinary question from him. It made me happy. I couldn't control my feelings anymore. Thinking that, she broke into a bright smile. At Dohan's puzzled expression, she thought, I like the look on his face when I tease him, and the expression he has now is pretty nice too. I've changed. Because of that little fox, this is definitely going to become troublesome. After that, the two of them went for a walk together. She thought to herself, today he skipped work and even came out with me. That's strange, but I really like it. Suddenly, someone dressed in black passed by. Frightened, she pressed herself against Dohan. The attack that day still lingered like a trauma. Seeing people dressed similarly made me afraid. But thanks to Dohan, I quickly calmed down. He asked worriedly, are you okay? After that, she returned to her room. I haven't had such a good sleep in a long time. Master had urgent business to take care of, so he went to the office. I still don't want to go out into the garden alone, so what should I do? Maybe the library? As soon as she stepped inside, she exclaimed, there's so many books. Why is there a desk here? Does he work here too? Huh? What's this? Is this Lee Dohan's mother? So he really loves his mother too. He's even hugging her. Is there anything else? Then she noticed a few books on a high shelf and reached up to take one down. This is a photo album. If it's something I shouldn't see, well, it should be fine, right? If it's left here, then it can't exactly be a secret. She opened it and immediately gasped, wow, what's this? His face really tells so many stories. Even if he's the head of the IME, he still had a happy childhood, didn't he? Then her eyes widened. She saw a picture of Dohan smiling brightly and kept staring at it intently. The next morning, while Dohan was still asleep, the phone rang. He answered, what is it? A voice on the other end said, Kwon Sung has started making his move. Don't lose him. Watch him carefully. Find out who he's met and what they talked about. Understood. Dohan quickly got dressed. He thought, it's a bit inconvenient to show up at this hour, but it'd be better to act immediately. Suddenly, Unga came over and asked, do you have to go? He turned around, hesitated for a moment, then replied, yeah, something important came up at the company. She lowered her head gloomily and said, there's still time. Have breakfast before you go. Suddenly he noticed something. He fell silent for a moment, then held out his hand and asked, what's this medicine? She hurriedly hid it. It's just mild cold medicine. Really? I don't think you have a cold. You were fine yesterday, unless it's something serious. You hardly ever go to the hospital. He wondered what's going on. She's a little different from usual. I need to check what kind of medicine this is. He smiled and said, wait, why are you acting like this? Aren't you going to work anymore? Of course I am. But first, I need to find out what my fox is hiding. His hand was just about to touch the paper on the table when his phone suddenly rang. Making him pause, he answered, what is it? The voice on the phone said, young master, Kwon Sung. Kwon Sung met Miss Song. Elsewhere, what's this about? You never pay any attention to me. What is this? Looks like you want something from me. In Director Lee Do-hun's office, there have been all kinds of rumors going around about you and Go-on-Gu. They say you're obsessed with her, so much that you sent all the servants away and are determined to hide the identity of the fox contracted to you from the other IME. They say a new servant accidentally opened the gate, and that servant was fired. Looks like it's all over. Or does anyone still suspect something else? You seem pretty free these past few days. What are you talking about? I'm very busy. Hyun gave me some instructions related to work at the company. Do-hun said, go do your work. Stop hanging around here. Zhejiang thought to himself, what's this? There wasn't anything added to the schedule. Then he asked, did something happen? No way. Could it be because of that fox? I heard he's been by that fox's side for 4 days. Hey, I heard her body has completely recovered, but mentally she still hasn't stabilized, right? I guess Hyun doesn't know how much you care about her now. Wouldn't it be better to change the contract into a mate contract? You were planning to do that from the start, weren't you? Or is it that Go On Good doesn't like you? But if that's what Hyun wants, there's nothing we can do. Do-hun said through gritted teeth. Lee Jijang, what are you trying to say? Have you spoken with Uncle? Why did he meet Kwon Sung-ch? That's father's business. It has nothing to do with me. Don't you think we should look into it? Considering what that reckless brat has done to us, what could that idiot possibly have to discuss with the head of the family? Do-hun warned him, don't cross the line. Stop investigating Kwon Sung-ch immediately. I'll handle the rest. Jijang said. Kwon Sung-ch sold the house he used to live in with his mother. It looks like he needs money. Anyway, no one was living in that house anymore. Money? Wouldn't everything be solved if he just asked Uncle for help? Lee Jijang, I told you not to meddle in what he's doing. Can't you tell the difference between what you should and shouldn't do? I'm doing this because it's right in front of you. If not for you, who else would I tell? It wouldn't be a big deal if he'd only sold that house, but he also sold the place he was living in Seoul. He even submitted his resignation and transferred to the hospital where his mother is staying. It seems they heard about what I was planning to do, so finding things out has become very difficult. Are you even listening? That guy is arranging everything around here right now. Is that all you needed to say? It's late. Go home. What are you going to do now? The hunt isn't over yet. So now you're talking about catching and eating the hunting dog? Both you and I know that a dog that bites its master doesn't deserve to live. Or do you think I'm involved in what happened to Go On Gu? Do you suspect me? I'll ask you one thing. Kwon Sung-ch sold his house and resigned. Yet at the same time, he sought out my father? Why? No way. Didn't you mention his meeting with Lee Sejong? Ha, damn it, what an idiot. I thought if I just hid it well enough, Hyung would never find out the truth. Jijang continued. It's only been a few days since then. I want to hear in full detail exactly how they met. Lee Sejong came from a pure-blood family, and she had a strong impression of Kwon Sung-ch. He's a half-breed, that mongrel abandoned in the human world. Look, Lee Sejong is hanging around that half-breed again. So what if everyone mocks you for being a half-breed? At least you weren't born from a fox. Sung-ch said, don't talk to me. Kwon Sung-ch didn't even pay attention to Lee Sejong. The problem was that Kwon Sung-ch had met Lee Sejong before. Lee Jijang's twin sister, Lee Sejong, the only daughter doted on by their father, was the one who recorded and built the family's history. Back to Sung-ch's side, Sung-ch now asked, so what do you want? Since I don't have my family's approval, I want to know how to erase a contract with a fox. I hope you'll tell me. I think I need to look for that in father's study. But why should I tell you that? I wonder what benefit I get from it. He touched Sung's hand. Because I have something you want. He stepped closer. I am. Then he whispered something, making her ask in shock, what? That's ridiculous. How could someone like you possibly? Help me, and I'll give you what you want. Back to Jijang. Otherwise, I wouldn't have mentioned it. It's been some time since he came to Korea. I originally thought they were just meeting as acquaintances, because Sung is very close to Kwon Sung-ch. Do-hun said, whoever it is, if anything happens to Go Un-gu, that person will die. Ye-gang swallowed hard, his clenched hand trembling. I'll remember that. With that, Do-hun left, and Jae-gang stood there alone. Then he suddenly burst out laughing. What the hell are you people doing, seriously? At the same time, Seong-ji said, I'll contact you as soon as I figure out a solution. Then he added, there's one more thing. Could you check on Un-gu's current condition for me? That fox. I heard from Lee Jae-gang that recently, some member of her family suddenly came back and stabbed her with scissors, apparently. Seong-ji froze at that, crushing the glass in his hand. Blood ran from his palm as he asked, what? You're bleeding. Are you okay? At that moment, Do-hun had returned. Welcome home, young master. He walked in and asked, how's Go Un-gu? She's probably still studying. I'll go check again. No need. I'll go myself. When he went to the library, he saw the door slightly ajar. He quickly stepped inside. Why was she sleeping here? He quietly approached the chair and sat down, unable to take his eyes off her. Then he noticed she was holding a picture of him. He raised one hand to cover his smiling mouth, while the other tapped lightly against his thigh in amusement. Just then, she slowly opened her eyes. Still groggy, she asked, what? Lee Do-hun, when did you get here? Just now. You should have woken me up. Did I really doze off for that long? She sat up and accidentally dropped the photo. She froze in embarrassment, then hurriedly tried to cover it. Unbelievable. She fumbled out an explanation. I came here to read and saw this picture. I'd never seen you smile like that before, so I was only leaning in to get a better look. Don't misunderstand, Du-hun suddenly said. That was before I realized my power was going beyond its limits. That summer, when I was 18, right after that picture was taken, it was the first time I realized my power was beginning to spiral out of control. She thought in surprise. So before he went through all that pain, he was someone who could smile that brightly? He must have had such a hard time. Who's supposed to be worrying about whom here? Thinking back on it, I could have met you sooner. Around that time, I went to Kwon Seung-jae's house a few times. She thought to herself, Seung-jae found out I was a fox and kept me from meeting him. Sorry, Eun-gu, something came up at home. Really? Then okay. Du-hun said again. It's a good thing we didn't meet back then. A good thing? The first time I realized my power was slipping out of control, I became violent and overly sensitive. I also hated foxes intensely. If I had met you then, I would have done things I know I would have deeply regretted later. He thought, if you had met me and made a contract with me when I was 18, you wouldn't have had to endure that pain until you turned 30. If I hadn't met you in the end, I might have died this year. She thought, how is that supposed to be a good thing? I suffered so much. And yet he says it like happiness matters more. She lowered her head awkwardly. Anyway, I didn't draw blood today, so I'll go do it now and come back. He caught her by the hand. No need. From now on, I'll drink it directly. What? I've always wanted to do it that way. I just never said it out loud. You're not an IME, and I'm straight. If it's a master-servant relationship, then being misunderstood because of blood-sucking is only natural. I guess we've already formed a life partner bond. Right? After that, our positions will be even clearer and we won't have to waste time anymore. She turned her face away and replied, in the end, it's all the same blood. So why does he insist on biting my neck and making it hurt like this just to drink it? He explained more clearly. This is completely different. The exciting part is that you can actually feel the process of having your blood sucked, and the taste of the blood is completely different too. At first, you may not have noticed, but lately, you've been feeling more than just the pain. It was even more intense than the pain. Just as he said, if my nerves are becoming more and more taut, then my whole body reacts to his movements, and as my strength gradually drains away, it makes me want to lean on the person standing in front of me. Suddenly he said, honestly, I want to do much worse than this, but I'm holding back. It's not as if I'm saying I'll keep you here right now. Then what about just letting this slide? It's only a tiny bite mark on my neck, and you noticed it already? I can tell you look different from before. By then her face had flushed red, and his words left her unable to argue. Du-hun slowly moved closer to her neck, but suddenly she spoke up. Wait, I'm doing whatever he wants again. Feeling her hands push him away, he lifted a hand and took hold of Eun-gu's. Then he said softly, don't push me away. She thought, if I push him away now, Lee Du-hun will definitely stop here. But in that moment of waiting, I realized I couldn't bring myself to refuse. Du-hun gazed at her with burning eyes. He slowly pressed in against her neck and bit down, making her eyes fly wide. The room sank into silence. Du-hun was drinking her blood, and she trembled from the pain. He held her tightly and slowly guided her down into the chair. After a while, he finally let her go. Eun-gu still sat there with her head lowered, face flushed red. Right after he finished drinking her blood, even the slightest brush of his fingers was enough to undo me. At this rate, I want to keep him here. Du-hun looked a little flustered. He covered her eyes with his hand. Don't look at me like that. If I go any further, you'll probably hate me for it. I've already gone a bit too far. The silence settled over them again, so complete that only the pounding of their hearts could be heard. Suddenly, Du-hun spoke. Go Eun-gu. He paused for a moment, looking at her tenderly. Are you thinking about changing the contract? She looked up at him, her face burning red. She thought, he's not forcing me. More than that, I do have a choice. What happened today is already more than enough. Even so, I still know what he wants from me. Then she asked, do you mean you want to sleep with me? Du-hun lowered his eyes and stayed silent. Eun-gu seemed to understand. That can't happen. He thought, over the past few days, I've sucked her blood several times. By instinct alone, my body would be drawn to her. This may change with time, and I might lose interest in her. Eun-gu awkwardly explained. And what about you? I don't really know about all this. But as for me, I'd only do that with someone I have feelings for. Besides, there's no actual relationship between us, so changing the contract and spending the night with you is something I can't do. After saying it, she thought, he'll probably be hurt hearing something so harsh from me. Du-hun turned his face away. He lifted a hand and gently smoothed back his hair, then suddenly said, "So what you're saying is, you want to date me?" How on earth did he reach that conclusion? Even after I said all that, how can he still look so shamelessly calm like nothing happened? Is he trying to provoke me? Lee Do-hun dating me? That's impossible, him doing that, or anything like it. Before she could figure out how to answer, he said, "Then do that." He raised his hand and touched her neck. Her eyes widened. What? The moment he finished speaking, Do-hun pulled her closer. The distance between them vanished completely. Without hesitation, he claimed her lips. Time seemed to stop, and every sound around them disappeared. Only the warmth spreading between them remained. He slowly pushed her down onto the chair, and once again the distance between them was erased. He paused and looked at her for a moment, then pressed his lips to hers again. Eun-gu thought, his kiss is so rough and intense, just like him. It feels like I'm being swallowed whole. I can barely even breathe properly. At that thought, he looked at her and said, "You said you couldn't do that with someone you don't have feelings for." He traced her lips with his finger, stopping her from speaking. "Then let's create those feelings now." With that, he captured her lips once more. At the same time, elsewhere, "Are you okay? That blood." Say that again. There was no one else. Only that old fox belonging to Lee Do-hun. I thought you'd lose control and die. But in the end, you found a way to cure yourself. The struggle for dominance has only just officially begun. Seong-ji, he thought, just as she said, the battle for the throne has only just begun, and the way to defeat an opponent is to assassinate his fox. Once the sculpture is completed, the mark will automatically protect Eun-gu from any threat. But before then, everyone will try to kill her by any means possible. First, I have to protect Eun-gu. Back with Do-hun and Eun-gu, the two were still locked in a heated kiss. Eun-gu's hands unconsciously gripped his shoulders, then wrapped around him in return. She thought his fierceness and that burning kiss. How can they feel so gentle? At that moment, Do-hun let her go. "I don't think I'm the only one who's changed since this began. You won't be able to refuse me for long. I won't force you to change the contract, but I won't break the original one either." She thought, even if I refuse, nothing will change. I just listen to my heart. Suddenly, a voice came from outside. "I'm sorry, young master, but it's urgent." Earlier, someone had entered and bowed. "Are you here, Chairman?" The man stepped forward and lit his cigarette. He said in a low voice, "That brat, does he think he can turn that fox into his companion?" Back in the present, Do-hun asked, "What is it?" "Father is here." Do-hun and Eun-gu quickly went out to meet him. "Why did you come here without saying a word first?" "I heard there had been a major incident here, so I came to see how things were." He glanced at Eun-gu. "Why don't you have some tea?" She immediately picked up the teacup. "Ah, yes, thank you." He frowned at Eun-gu, studying her closely. The scrutiny made Eun-gu lower her head in tension. She thought, oh no, Do-hun no chisid. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "If you keep staring at her like that, she'll be scared. She still hasn't mastered her IME yet." His father stared at Do-hun's hand. After a moment of silence, he asked, "And what about stabilization?" "There's no problem. It seems things are better than I thought. Besides, there are cases where if partners support each other well enough, 5 years is more than sufficient. So that means after 5 years, he won't need a fox's blood anymore. And that would also mean Eun-gu's value disappears. Before I met Eun-gu, I thought exactly the same way he does about the Fox clan. But now, the way father is looking at her makes me uneasy." Then he suddenly asked Eun-gu, "Are you still hurt?" "I'm fine now. This is the first time in our family's history that we attacked a fox, so my attitude wasn't very good. I apologize for that." "No, it was only an accident. I recovered quickly because everyone here has taken good care of me." After everything IME had done to her, she still looked at him with such fearless eyes. She thought, because it's called basic courtesy, obviously. "You entered into a contract with my son. If there's ever anything you want, tell me anytime." "Yes, I really don't want anything, sir." At first, everyone says that, but in the end, they still want to gain something in exchange for this contract. In the past, even after the Fox clan regained its power, there were still people who came to make contracts on days like this, hoping to reclaim what they considered their fair share. Hearing that, Eun-gu couldn't help feeling annoyed. How could he compare her to those people? "Then what? Are you going to give me at least a building?" "Lee Do-hun still needs me, so I have nothing to be afraid of." She replied firmly, "Thank you for saying that, but what I want is something you could never give me." "What do you mean? Something I can't give you?" She smiled and said, "I mean a safe life." "What? I just want to live peacefully." I don't think my life will be peaceful over the next 5 years. She thought, thanks to your son. Hearing that, Do-hun thought helplessly. Who would dare say something like that to him? You're really brave at times like this. There were times when I was terrified of father. He must feel insulted now. At that moment, the man laughed. You really are a different kind of fox. But if you receive what you want, I'll maintain the contract with that young man you mentioned earlier. I think that's enough greeting for now. I have a few things I want to say to my son in private. Could you leave first? She inwardly rejoiced, great. Then she glanced at Do-hun, asking silently. When she saw him give a small nod, she finally left. Only the two of them remained in the room. His father said, she really is an interesting girl. I heard the master-servant relationship has been sealed. Yes, good. You followed Ungu's request. If she wants to change that in the future, will you do it? At first, I only wanted to sign a contract or establish an equal partnership. But there aren't many pure bloods left these days. I've also considered having a child of mixed blood. Would that be acceptable? I don't want my child to have to live in the same pain I did. That might make the child more stable. Your duty is to find a fox bearing the mark of noble blood. So that's why you weren't in a hurry to find her. Suddenly his father frowned and slammed his teacup down on the table. Do not change the contract. He asked in confusion why. You will marry a woman of pure blood. I do not want a mixed blood grandchild born into this family. If bloodline matters that much, then put Lee Jae-gang in this position instead. He would never marry a woman without pure blood. His father fell silent, his hand tightening on the armrest. You know very well that's true. Do-hun thought, this isn't an order, yet it sounds like a plea? Then why is father trying to interfere with the master's contract now? That girl is involved with Sung-jae. I received a request from Sung-jae. Right, now I remember. Kwon Sung-jae met with my father. So that was what happened, something I never could have anticipated. You decided to show charity to an outsider without thinking it through first. I owe that bastard a debt I still haven't repaid. Why should I be the one to pay that debt? You know you've already provided substantial financial support to his family. Since when did you start prying into my affairs? Do-hun stood up and said, I have no intention of involving myself in your business, but please don't drag me into this debt. Just as he turned to leave, the man slammed the cup onto the table. Shards of glass flew up and cut Do-hun's face. I'm not finished. Sit down. You and Sung-jae grew up like brothers. Not long ago, you signed a contract and became obsessed with that fox. I'm sure that once things settle down, you'll lose interest in her. If you're doing this because you want a mixed blood child, then there are countless other foxes. Leave this one to Sung-jae. If I wanted Ungu only because she's a fox, then I would hide her away where no one could ever see her. From the moment I saw blood pouring from her, I regretted everything like a madman. I care more about your safety than my own life. Can't that feeling exist without the seal? If all I wanted was a mixed blood child, then it wouldn't matter who the mother was. But now, thinking that, he said firmly, I'm sorry I couldn't repay my father's debt, but I can't give up on Jeongu. With that, he turned and went back to his room. Inside the room, Ungu paced back and forth nervously. I'm worrying for no reason. I already went outside alone. Nothing serious happened at all. Leaning against the wall, Do-hun spoke up. I'm the one who should be worried, not you. You look like the sky is about to fall. Please stay away from here. If they drag me away, won't your brother be the one suffering? Huh? You're hurt. Is this because of what I said that made your father angry? Wait here. I'll go get some ointment for you. She gently treated his wound, and Do-hun quietly thought to himself, how can I bring this to an end? When an IME is overwhelmed by power, it gradually goes mad. That's why there were times when I started losing control and locked myself away. Even my mother couldn't face her own son in those moments. But this timid fox, the one who kept trying to run away, in the end, she was the one who stayed by my side then. And after that, she still didn't leave. Like just now. It made me realize that maybe this is how it all comes to an end. Thinking that, he said, what you said today. Then he suddenly stopped and thought, I need more time to think about that first. He asked, when the completed stabilization happens, answer me just once. Why is it that you can't give me up? Is it only because of the sealing mark? The moment you do, you'll be able to make the right decision. Of course, if you already have an answer before then, you can tell me first. He thought, the deadline for stabilization is getting close. There isn't much time left. If this cowardly fox accepts my feelings, then everything will be fine. But if she rejects me because of the cursed sealing mark, then no matter what, she still won't be able to leave. The next day, Do-hun said, I'm going out to visit my mother for a bit. I think I'll be back late, so don't wait up. She let out a scoff and said, huh, like I would. He smiled and reminded her, don't skip meals. I'll have a little blood after I get back. Didn't you say you'd be back late? So are you saying you're planning to come to my bed tonight? If I'm already asleep, then that's not happening. Startled, she thought, he's going to do that on my bed while I'm asleep? Is that dangerous? Since it has something to do with sexual desire? There's something I want to ask. What is it? Please put a lock on my room. Then you could lock it from the inside. Make it a really big, sturdy one. A lock so strong that even an IME couldn't break it. Do-hun turned back to look at her and replied with a smile. No, her face flushed faintly. Things seem a little better now. There's only 1 week left. Now that we're almost at the end of the 40 days, does he dislike this too? No, I think things have gradually gotten better. When things stabilize, I'll tell him that I love him. Elsewhere, Zhejiang sat in his car muttering, she's not picking up again. But I remember she said she'd be home today. Is her phone on silent? He reached out and entered the door code. The moment he stepped inside, he heard the noise of a TV. Looking over at the girl watching intently, he wondered, what is this? She doesn't even notice me. So Zhejiang called out, CEO Jun, Yona, but she still didn't hear him. Annoyed, he thought it's so loud, then picked up the remote and turned it off. Only then did she notice. When did you get here? You didn't even notice me coming in. Why didn't you answer your phone? I got a little distracted. Have you eaten? No, I was just about to. Want to eat together? Do you know Do-hun? He's my cousin. Recently, he found himself a fox, and the two of them signed a contract too. She even willingly showed Do-hun her mark and made the contract. She replied indifferently, I see. After that, we talked about you. That old fox told me, if your fox has grown this attached to you, then you should cancel the contract. That's ridiculous. You trying to hold on to me, aren't you? Worry showed in her eyes, and her hands trembled. Zhejiang thought, I'm sure of it. Seo Jun is afraid of becoming meaningless to me and of me throwing her away. So she would never be the one to cancel the contract on her own. Then our contract is still in effect. Thinking that, Zhejiang suddenly asked, another time, would you like to have a meal with her too? She's the same age as my cousin, so that means she's a year older than us. A little later, Zhejiang looked at his phone and hesitated. Should I leave now? Suddenly, Sion stood up and asked, it's time for you to go already? You have work early tomorrow, right? You must be tired too, so go get some rest. Zhejiang wondered, why is she acting like she's upset that I'm leaving? Before, I felt miserable when she left and didn't know what to do. As Zhejiang stepped out the door, she hesitated. Drive safely. Zhejiang suddenly stopped in his tracks. What is this? I'm supposed to go home. I've got piles of things to do. I need to check them myself. I have to go. But suddenly, Zhejiang turned back around. Looking at his beautiful fox in front of him, Zhejiang asked, do you want to go to sleep? She blinked and said, huh? What? Zhejiang raised a hand and loosened his tie. Then let's sleep together. Next, he kissed Sion on the lips. At the same time, he stepped closer. Zhejiang thought, I really hate foxes. But if it's her, then whenever she wants, I'll cancel the contract. I don't feel any regret at all, even though I thought I would. But every time I see her, I get stirred up in a way that I can't control. Zhejiang remembered that someone had once asked, why don't you take responsibility and marry her? Marry a fox? If I don't intend to cancel the contract, then maybe marriage wouldn't be so bad. Elsewhere, Eun-gu sat looking out the window, lost in thought. Without Lee Do-hun, the house suddenly feels so quiet. It looks like it's about to rain too. I wonder if he brought an umbrella. He said he'd be back late. But when exactly is he coming back? Suddenly, her phone vibrated. She quickly picked it up. Is it Lee Do-hun? But it wasn't. Mom, what is it? I'm calling because you haven't contacted me in a while. I should have called first. I've had a bit of a headache these past few days. Thinking that, she laughed lightly and said, haha, I'm fine, Mom. Don't worry. MHM, I heard about it. About a week ago, Lee Do-hun came here and said you were doing well. Lee Do-hun came? Yes. He even ate with us and called a car to take your father and me home safely. I never thought that young man would treat us so thoughtfully. She couldn't help being surprised. I never once thought he would do something like that. I thought all his actions that day just made him look like a good owner. But he even took special care of my parents? Her mother continued, I always thought all Ims were bad. But after seeing Lee Do-hun, I started thinking maybe this contract isn't such a bad thing. He's polite and considerate. And his personality seems very upright too. Honestly, I'm really grateful that Lee Do-hun has always been passing news about you on to us. Oh my god, now my mother's fallen completely under his spell too? She imagined a change, from violent, monster, awful person, to polite, considerate, upright. Doesn't he look more like someone with a terrible temper and a demon's face? Suddenly, her mother asked, anyway, Did something happen on Sung's side? Their house has been sold, and his parents haven't contacted Sung's mother either. It was rather sudden for them to move away without saying goodbye. Sung's mother isn't the kind of person who would do that. She replied calmly with a smile. That house felt empty after Kwon Sung left for college, Mom. So maybe she just decided to sell it. I also told her she should go ahead and sell it. Now that I think about it, I haven't heard anything since that day either. I'll find a way to cancel the contract somehow. Ungu. To me, you're more important than Dohan. Do you really want your whole life tied down by someone else? Am I sure he really won't find a way to cancel the contract? Her mother interrupted her thoughts. Still, just in case, try contacting her and see. I'll call her later. Have you been eating well? You need to take blood every day, right? Mom, you worry too much. I eat really well here. They even give me extra portions. After ending the call with her mother, she called Sungj. But all she got in response was, "The person you're calling is unavailable. Please leave a message," after the tone. Worried, she thought, did something happen? She quickly typed a message. "If you see this, text me back." It's raining. The sky is so gloomy today. She quickly put on clothes that covered her well, then sat by the door waiting for him to return. Knowing Lee Do-hun's personality, he probably forgot his umbrella again. It's cold. A little later, Do-hun's car finally returned, and she picked up an umbrella, then walked over toward the garage. Do-hun stepped out and looked at the pouring rain, when suddenly an umbrella appeared above him, along with Ungu's voice. "Were you about to go out without an umbrella again? But you said you wouldn't wait for me. You didn't lock the door. What if something happened while I was asleep? Then wait inside. Why did you come all the way out here? It's cold. I thought you didn't bring an umbrella." He blushed, touched. She even knew when I'd arrive and waited for me like this. A little rain like this is nothing at all. She handed him the umbrella and said, "I already have a big umbrella, so use this." But instead, he grabbed Ungu's umbrella. His arm wrapped around her shoulders and pulled her close, and one umbrella was enough for both of them. He said, "1 week feels longer than I thought." She realized, 1 week. Reaching the day of stabilization really isn't easy. And then, the answer I give will begin a new chapter in our relationship. A little later, the two of them entered the room. Do-hun said, "Be honest with me." She asked, "Did you never think I might reject you after a week? Are you plotting to reject me?" How can you be so confident? Do-hun took off his coat, then walked over to Ungu. Suddenly, he lifted her up and set her on a desk. She thought, during the blood-feeding process, my legs keep getting weaker, so I should sit down. But isn't this position a little too close? Then she asked, "You're standing too close. More importantly, does standing this close really prevent danger? The desk isn't even that high." He snorted with amusement and teased her. He whispered in her ear, "You wanted this, didn't you? Shall I carry you back to your room? I knew you'd wait for me like this." He kissed her lips. "I told you that you'd wait for me. Bear with it a little. I'll try not to hurt you. Trust me." She thought, 3 minutes have already passed. If he and I don't finish before midnight, it could become dangerous, especially for Lee Do-hun, who made a contract with me during a period when he was out of control. Odadlikish. Coming from Lee Do-hun. Worried, she said, "There's no time left. Not even 3 minutes. When we completed this contract, they said a fox's life depends on the IME. But in the end, my life became bound to you instead. So when you give me your answer, I hope you'll remember that." He silently told himself, "No matter how strong I am, I might die without you." Scene change. Lee Sung focused on the shooting target, and a gunshot rang out. Each shot landed precisely on key points. Suddenly, her eyes widened in surprise, because someone behind her had removed her headphones. Sung turned angrily and snapped, "Which bastard is messing with me? This one, obviously. Long time no see, sis. You're awfully calm for someone who caused such a huge incident. You were lucky, Lee Sung. What do you want? I don't understand why you suddenly came here and started talking." Zhejiang reached for the gun. "Can we stop the nonsense? It was hard enough for me not to shoot you in the head. Kwon Sung, why would he come here? Are you crazy? If I ask, then answer. Why would Kwon Sung, who hates talking to you, come see you?" The fox contracted to Do-hun is Kwon Sung's childhood friend. He asked me to check whether she was okay. That's all. Yes. Since I can enter the main house. Did you think he had any other reason to contact me? Zhejiang frowned. He lowered the gun. Kwon Sung had gone abroad, and he warned, "Forget anything related to Kwon Sung. Don't do anything. Don't even think about anything. Just live quietly like you always have." She clenched her trembling hand in anger. "Live however you want, idiot. Is this really true? Go back to the main house. There'll be a surprise." It would be better if you went with me. After that, at the main house, Song and Jijang arrived. The moment she saw Do-hun, she ran over and threw her arms around him. Do-hun Appa, have you been well? His face darkened as he thought, get lost, bitch. He pushed her away. Mother said you've been back for a while. Welcome back. Thank you. Please send my regards to your mother. Hiding behind Do-hun, Eun-gu wondered, who is that? Understanding the situation, Jijang said, let me introduce her. This is my twin sister, Lee Song. Nice to meet you. I am Lee Song. Nice to meet you. Emi Eun-gu. Eun-gu thought in admiration. She's really beautiful. Lee Song said, your mark seems pretty faint. Looks like the stabilization will be completed soon, right? Sungj said he misses you very much. Eun-gu immediately asked, you met Sungj? I haven't been able to contact him. Is he okay? He seems pretty busy these days. If he's okay, then I'm really glad. Do-hun wrapped an arm around Eun-gu's shoulders, making Lee Song widen her eyes in surprise. This is the first time I've seen you like this. Normally, you don't care about anyone, but now you're taking such good care of your fox. I'm lucky I lived long enough to see this. I thought you'd die before you ever found your fox. The two of you look great together. Eun-gu thought, is she joking? So many things have changed. Do-hun said sternly, stop talking nonsense. Jijang, come out here for a moment. In a low voice, he warned his sister, don't do anything. At that point, only the two women remained in the room. Lee Song suggested, so, want to have a drink with me? Eun-gu asked, how do you know Sungj? I met him the first time I came to the main house. We're not that close now, but we used to talk from time to time. Eun-gu thought, Sungj had friends like this? Neither Do-hun nor Kwon Sungj ever told me. Wow, it looks like Sungj has a lot of friends too. Suddenly, Lee Song said, by the way, Sungj Appa may be dying. Hearing that, Eun-gu sprang to her feet in shock. Lee Song calmed her. Settle down. There's one at the entrance, one in the middle of the bookshelf, and one up in the corner of the wall. There are surveillance cameras at the window and the desk too. Worried, Eun-gu asked, how could he be dying? What do you mean? My father was the one who recorded the history of the Imes. I understand the contracts between Imes and nobles better than anyone. Lee Song, have a lot of interesting things I can tell you. Stop beating around the bush and tell me about Kwon Sungj. Then let me tell you about Kwon Sungj right now. There was only one time when two siblings were born with the same mark, and there was only one noble family whose marks were identical. Because they were siblings, they had the same mark, so their contract had to be divided into two roles, master-servant and companions. But the greedy younger brother refused to yield to his older brother, and in the end, he killed him. Then that younger brother took the title for himself. Before he died, the eldest brother left behind a curse. At some point in the future, your descendants will suffer the same fate. Hearing this, Eun-gu grew anxious and immediately asked, what does this have to do with Seong-ji? It's fate. It seems history is repeating itself in this unfortunate way. A mark has appeared on Seong-ji's body, and it's exactly the same as Do-hun's. Eun-gu cried out in shock. What? Luckily, his power hasn't grown too much yet, but that only makes it more dangerous because we have no idea what the consequences will be. If he doesn't make a contract soon, he'll lose his life. Eun-gu froze for a moment. She remembered how Do-hun had suffered when his power exceeded its limit. Seong touched Eun-gu's hand. You saved Lee Do-hun when he was on the brink of death. Of course you'll save Kwon Seong-ji too, right? I know a way for everyone to be happy. It's something only you can do. If you want to save Kwon Seong-ji, contact me when Do-hun isn't around. I'll help you. Oh, and don't tell Appa about this. If he finds out there's someone with the same mark as him, who knows what he might do? After saying that, Ada left. That evening, dejected Eun-gu called Seong-ji, but the response was the same as always. The number you have dialed cannot be reached at the moment. Please try again later. She grew suspicious. No, maybe Aisarang lied about the marks. But out of a million chances, what if a similar mark really has appeared? She remembered what Seong-ji had once told her. Don't ever let this truth be discovered. I'm so confused. They've already started hunting foxes, and since Do-hun, the next candidate for the leader's position, has reached his limit, the situation is urgent. And now, right in front of the resolute Do-hun, another being with a similar seal has suddenly appeared. That could never be a welcome existence to all IME. Seong-ji, what happened to you? You sold your house, and Seong-ji's mother isn't answering either. He's hiding somewhere no one knows about. Is he waiting there alone to die in pain? Why didn't he tell me? Was he afraid of putting me in a difficult position? Seong-jae has always cared about me. I asked him to protect you, so no one else could lay a hand on you. Eun-gu, are you okay? She wondered. How can I help you? She remembered Seong's words. I know a way for everyone to be happy. Of course you'll save Kwon Seong-jae too, right? Kwon Seong-jae has the same mark as me. I have to make a contract to save him. They'll say I'm just a greedy Imai who doesn't know how to compromise. Seong's words kept echoing in her ears. In the end, he took my brother's lives and stole the fox. While she hesitated, Do-han suddenly opened the door. What are you doing outside the door? Gumin. She walked in and said, It's nothing. I was just bored. Scene change. Oh my, that was fast. Go Eun-gu. Have you made up your mind? Eun-gu replied. You can contact Kwon Seong-jae, right? Let me confirm the mark myself first, and then I'll help you. Seong asked. Do-han isn't there right now, is he? I'll come to the main house. Then she sent a text. I'm already at the front gate. Come out alone. Eun-gu thought to herself. I'll just go check Seong-jae's mark and come right back. After that, I'll discuss it with Lee Do-han. When Hyun-jo saw her going out, he asked. Miss, before he could finish, Eun-gu said, I'm just going out for a short walk. Outside, Seong was already waiting for her. There you are. You said you wanted to confirm the mark yourself, right? I brought Kwon Seong-jae. But if he shows up right now, it'll turn into a rather troublesome situation, so I can't let him get out. There are too many surveillance cameras at the main house, so we can't go there. If you want to confirm his mark, you'll have to see him in person. Eun-gu stayed silent for a moment, then looked at her and said, It must be hard for you to help like this, but I appreciate the effort. Seong-jae Appa is also a precious friend to me. It hurts to see him being bullied since childhood, and now he's hiding away, unable to tell anyone that he's about to die. I really do want to help Appa. Dying from a power outbreak is more horrifying than you think. Eun-gu thought. Lee Do-han mentioned something like that before. Now they're all dead, and my mother is all alone. She's the only one who truly knows how a pure blood dies when they can't find their clan. Did Do-han also lose someone to a power outbreak? He has the same soul, so that's why he knows how futile that kind of death is. That's why he wanted to help even more. He was desperate because he knew the mark came from the same clan. Eun-gu decided to open the door. As she walked toward the car, she thought, right? If I help, everyone can be happy. But when the car door opened, Seong-jae was not inside. She asked, Where is Seong-jae? Seong smiled and said, I knew it. I thought you'd be taken in by such a pitiful little act, and you really were. Startled, Eun-gu thought, I need to get back right now. But Seong had already grabbed her hand tightly. They say Lee Do-han, the one who lost control of his power, is so pitiful. Did he walk right up to you and make a contract all on his own? Eun-gu didn't answer and demanded, Let go. What is this power? She took out a vial of dark red blood. Do you know how to break the contract between a soul and a clan? Originally, the soul, the one bearing the mark, has to willingly drip a drop of blood onto the mark to break the contract. Both the soul and the clan leader must then recite the agreement again to end it once and for all. However, since the contract hasn't fully stabilized yet before it does, you can destroy it using only the soul's blood. As soon as she finished speaking, Ada dripped that blood onto Eun-gu's mark. The drop of blood slowly dissolved. Eun-gu cried out inwardly in shock. The mark. It disappeared. Ada continued. I knew your mark and Kwon Seong-jae's were the same, so destroying the contract was much simpler. Eun-gu began to stagger. I'm so dizzy. I can't stay conscious. She slowly closed her eyes and called out in her heart, Lee Do-han. Then she collapsed against Seong and lost consciousness. Smugly, she said, Thank you, Eun-gu. If you hadn't trusted me, this would have been much harder. Just as she placed Eun-gu in the car, a voice suddenly rang out. Stop. 2 bodyguards ran over. You can't take the young lady away. Oh dear, what can you possibly do now? Ada quickly got into the car and sped off. Too late. Meanwhile, Do-han asked, Why is everyone hesitating so much? If no one has anything else to say, I'm leaving now. His mother said, Do-han, stay for dinner. Do you have other plans? Maybe next time. I've already stayed here too long. How unsettling. Then she suddenly said, That fox you made a contract with is said to be important to Seong-jae. You only need blood, right? When the time comes, I'll break the contract for you. His face darkened as he asked, Who are you to decide that? Is blood all I need? Then what else do you need? You. Don't tell me. Do-han cut her off. You told me to find my fox no matter what. So I'll do whatever it takes to keep Go Eun-gu by my side. She hesitated. Do-han, there are some things I need to tell you. Just then, Do-han's phone rang. He had a bad feeling. Why is it from main house? He answered, "What is it?" "Sir, Miss Ayang has taken Miss Ungu. She said she was only going for a walk, but after checking the surveillance footage, it looks like she lost consciousness and was taken away." Do-han immediately looked at the back of his hand. Sometime before, his mark had disappeared. His expression turned utterly stunned. He remembered Jirang saying, "Kwon Seong-ji is looking for a way to break the contract." The voice on the other end asked, "Can you hear me, young master? Should I try contacting young master Jirang?" In shock, he recalled that Kwon Seong-ji had gone to Isirang first. Is this why he went to see father? The people involved in this kidnapping must be Isirang and Kwon Seong-ji. And Seong-ji asked me for a favor. I owe his family a debt. You and Seong-ji grew up like brothers, didn't you? So they were both involved in this. At that, Do-han spoke. "There's something important I need to say to both of you. You mean Seong-ji and I look like brothers, right?" He clenched his palm so hard that his phone cracked. "Do-han, mother never meant to deceive you. I truly had no other choice. You know that I lost all my siblings right before my eyes, so the thought of having a child of my own was terrifying. But your father needed a son." She remembered it all, especially with pure bloodlines disappearing. How could she possibly say she hadn't given birth to the clan's heir? Do you know what that means? It isn't in the records, but they say children carrying human blood are less likely to die from their powers going out of control. Seong-ji's mother was your father's student and my friend. So, with her consent, I pretended to be pregnant. I promised I would raise the child as my own once he was born. But then, in the end, I became pregnant around that same time. I told you everything, Do-han. I swear. So are the two of you choosing between me and Kwon Seong-ji? What are you talking about? Seong-ji only asked us to break the contract after you had stabilized. That's all he asked of us. At that moment, Do-han's eyes suddenly clouded over. A crushing pressure burst from his body, shattering everything around him. He shouted, "Answer me. If you weren't weighing the two of us against each other, then why was my contract destroyed?" Both of them stared in utter shock. What? Do-han clutched his chest in pain, then suddenly coughed up a stream of red blood. They cried out, "Do-han, once the contract is destroyed, unstable power is barely restrained at all." It began to spread. What is happening? How could this happen? Why did the contract suddenly? "Do-han, are you alright? Lee Do-han, what is?" He cut them off. "Why are you acting like you care so much? Isn't this what you wanted? That can't be. Even if your blood is mixed, how could her contract be broken?" His body began to tremble. You'd better pray right now. If I don't survive this, you'll lose the son you've raised all these years." The two of them hurried away. "Honey, let's get out of here. Lock the door right now," Do-han said again. "If I survive, father will lose another son he's been hiding." The two of them ran to the door. His mother looked back over her shoulder. Then the door slammed shut. Do-han braced himself against the wall and collapsed to his knees. Blood was everywhere beneath him. He remembered that day. "If I make a contract, everything will stabilize, right? Make a master-servant contract with me." In his heart, he called out, "Go ungo." In the dark room, only Do-han's cries of pain could be heard. At that same time, somewhere else, in a remote house, Sunj sat beside Ungu, unable to hide his worry. It's already been 4 days, and she still hasn't woken up. Could something be wrong? Leaning against the door, Seong asked, "Why don't you eat something? Some people risk their lives to trust you. Don't worry, this little fox won't die. She'll wake up soon enough." Sunj said, "When I'm not here, you have to protect Ungu." That was one of the conditions of our deal. Earlier, he had whispered to her, I'm the rightful heir." After hearing that, I joined hands with Kwon Sunj. Killings between IME with inheritance rights had long been tacitly accepted. If someone other than Kwon Sunj killed Lee Do-han, there would be punishment, and they would never escape the leader's wrath. You will take Lee Do-han's life, and then hand the leadership position over to Lee Jijang. No matter how much Lee Jijang claims he doesn't want that position, he won't stand by and let a half-blood like Kwon Sunj become leader by taking Lee Do-han's life. You said all you wanted was that fox, right? At least get her to eat something first. I'll bring the food right away. At that moment, Ungu opened her eyes. Sunj immediately called out, "Ungu, are you okay? Can you sit up?" "Kwon Sunj, where the hell is this? Does it still hurt a lot?" She suddenly remembered the contract. "It's gone." Trembling, she said, This can't be. What did you do? Do we have the same mark?" Sunj didn't answer. He simply showed her his mark in confirmation, leaving her stunned. She remembered what Do-han had said. "Your ability doesn't work on Kwon Sunj. You know that, right? If Sunj ends up doing something wrong and you still cooperate with him, then the worst possible outcome will happen. Had Lee Do-han already foreseen this situation too? She asked. When did you realize it? A few days after my last call with you. After almost 10 days of suffering, the mark finally appeared. Your ability doesn't work on me, so to make sure whether the mark on me looked the same as yours, that's why I introduced Do-han to you. But when I realized your mark was exactly the same as Do-han's, and even worse, you were the one who made the contract with him. But in the end, my mark appeared exactly like yours too. Ungu. Suddenly Ungu began trembling and gasping for breath. Then she coughed up blood. He tried to reassure her. It's okay, it's okay. It's just a side effect from breaking the contract. It'll pass in a few days. A side effect from breaking the contract? Then what about Lee Do-han? If something happens to me, what will happen to Lee Do-han? Is he okay? Suddenly Seong spoke up. Do-han made the contract during an episode, so he's probably going through that rage again. If this had gone smoothly, we could have ended things easily, couldn't we? Ungu shouted angrily. You. But before she could say more, she coughed up blood again. Sunj caught her. Ungu, she said, let go. I have to go back and save him. He immediately raised his voice. If you go back to Lee Do-han now, I'll die, Ungu. Ungu froze, and silence filled the air. After a while, she said, promise me you'll share that contract with Lee Do-han too. Sunj bit down hard on his teeth. He won't let me live. No. If I ask him, even if we only share half the same blood, the two of us are still blood brothers. Only after the mark appeared did I realize it. Ungu asked again in shock. What? She remembered what Seong had said. Back then, all the brothers were born with the same mark. Before the eldest brother died, he cursed them, saying that one day their descendants would suffer the same fate. At that time, I already had a bad feeling, but I still hoped the curse was wrong. Sunj continued, because I still have mixed human blood. I was tormented by the IME until I was 7 years old. I grew up without ever knowing who my parents were. I was even tortured while living with them. She explained, but that wasn't Do-han's fault. He shot back. Even though Do-han had everything, he still stole you from me. He knew I had feelings for you. I only needed you. He has the company and even sits in the director's seat. Couldn't he at least give me this? Ungu shook off his hand. Don't talk like I belong to you. What do you mean, stole me away? Then what about you using tricks to break the contract and kidnapping me? I got word that you were attacked. If you had stayed in that mansion, things would have become far more dangerous than this. Right now, countless IME want to make a move and seize Lee Do-han's clan. I'm truly sorry for having to use force to break the contract like that. Even so, what you did still wasn't justified. She thought, why am I suddenly having trouble breathing? Immediately, she coughed up blood again. It hurts so much. It feels like my body is burning up. Thinking that, she collapsed and fainted. Sunj hurriedly caught her. Seong said, her condition will keep going like this for about half a month. How are things over there? Lee Do-han is already in the hideout. If we're lucky, sooner or later some IME will come after us. It'd be best if he just dies in that rage. But if he somehow survives, then we'll need to prepare the next plan. Sunj thought to himself, don't regret it now. There's no turning back anymore. This will only end when one of the two dies. A few days later, at the main house, everyone in the clan had gathered. They murmured among themselves, it's already been 6 days. Shouldn't someone go check by now? What if the rage still hasn't ended? Anyone willing to volunteer? That half-breed really dares to do anything. Why would he do something like that? Then someone else spoke up. He's not the one who kidnapped the fox. Sun's target was Lee Do-han's fox, so put that aside for now. If Lee Do-han dies, the best candidate to lead is Lee Jajang, so it would make sense if Lee Jajang were behind the kidnapping. Wow, lucky him. He benefits the most from all this. On the other side, Jajang asked in shock, you said you'd postpone Sun's punishment? That was your uncle's decision, so be quiet. Why isn't my father saying anything? He thought to himself, Lee Do-han is about to die, and uncle is letting the one who instigated this go? I get it now. Not long ago, my brother gave me a toothbrush and told me to run an ADN test against Kwon Sunj, and the result was a match. It matched someone, and my uncle had been giving that guy enormous support. The two of them even had a few secret conversations. In the end, it turns out that half-breed is his hidden son. At that, Jajang asked, so that's why my uncle won't order Kwon Sunj executed? Because he has inheritance rights too. It's only natural for the strongest to become leader. Lower your voice. Do you even know what you're saying? If anything happens to my brother, I'll kill that half-breed myself. Ah, he's a victim too. By now, he's already sacrificed far too much. If only we had realized sooner that sister-in-law was pregnant with Dohan. Lai Dohan is about to die, so why should we pity Kwon Sunj? Ah, I guess my father still sees him as a nephew. Where are you going? To my brother. Are you insane? Absolutely not. It's still not time. Why? Are you afraid I'll die like mother did? Well, if I were so easy to kill, then I wouldn't be fit to become leader anyway. Don't. I'm begging you, Zhejiang. If that's really my fate, then there's nothing I can do. He suddenly shouted, Lai Zhejiang, drawing everyone's attention. Zhejiang then said, tomorrow will make a full week, and no one knows whether my brother is alive or dead. Someone needs to go check, right? Can anyone go in my place? If so, raise your hand. That's why I'm going. After that, at the place where Dohan was being confined, Zhejiang went there to check, seeing bloodstains all across the room. Zhejiang thought to himself, just as before, why? Are you afraid I'll die like mother did? He closed his eyes. At 58, that was the first time a young IME had gone through a frenzy. It was no different from a ticking time bomb. That day, by unfortunate chance, one of his mother's friends from the Fox clan had wandered into the main house. To save that friend, his mother entered the forbidden area. It was a horrific accident caused by pure coincidence, and that was how she died. That woman was Zhejiang's mother. At the time, Sayong had said, I'll deal with that bastard like Dohan the same way he killed our mother. I'll tear him apart the way he tore our mother apart. Zhejiang tried to comfort his sister. I'll do it. Later, when Dohan went to the cemetery, he found Zhejiang kneeling there in anguish, tears streaming non-stop down his face. Dohan spoke up. So this is where you are. Dohan walked over, knelt in front of Zhejiang, and said, I've been looking for you for a long time. I wanted to apologize. Yeyank, I'm sorry. Zhejiang was stunned when he saw tears falling onto his hand. I am truly sorry. When he looked up, Dohan's face was drenched in tears, his mouth repeating over and over, I'm sorry, Zhejiang. And in the end, I forgave him. But Zhejiang didn't. Did you erase all of Li Dohan's memories? That was the leader's decision. His first frenzy, combined with that recent accident. He killed your mother, and now he gets to live in peace after forgetting everything? No punishment, yet he gets all the privileges? Father isn't even angry. After that, Zhejiang went to his father. Father, can we talk for a moment? He thought to himself, maybe we'll have to erase Li Seijiang's memories too. But Seong realized it and said, don't even think about tampering with my memories. If you do, I'll bite my tongue and kill myself. I'm not letting this go. I'm going to kill him for sure. Back in the present, Zhejiang thought, I should have erased Seijiang's memories back then. If it weren't for those stupid foxes, I want to kill every fox I see. Suddenly Seong's face came to mind, along with her words. I like you. Why did that face suddenly appear? Come to think of it, it's been a long time since I contacted her. Is she worried? Maybe she's even crying. This is not the time to be thinking about that. Then Zhejiang heard a sound, and when he turned, he saw Dohan walking toward him, completely unharmed, though his face had grown more drawn. Seeing that, Zhejiang let out a breath of relief and said, well done. Hey, are you okay? Suddenly Dohan asked, you knew? Zhejiang lowered his head and avoided his gaze. Ah, of course not. Dohan reminded him, from now on, stay out of this. I don't want your hands stained with your sister's blood. The messy room fell silent. Then Dohan said, go back to the main house. At the main house, everyone was visibly tense. Then Dohan appeared. The moment they saw him, all eyes turned toward him in shock. He thought to himself, looks like some people have sided with Kwon Seongji. A man came forward and called, Dohan, I'm so relieved. Go see your mother first. First, let me speak with uncle for a moment. With that, the two of them left. In a room with only the two of them, Dohan asked, if the contract is destroyed and everything becomes unstable, what will happen to the Fox clan? He warned, choose your words carefully. The man replied, they won't die. I didn't die either. I'm not dead, but I've suffered enough. With that small, frail body, how could they endure pain like this? Do you know how they plan to destroy the contract? I have a guess, but I'm not certain. What is it? The man hesitated and did not answer. Dohan angrily warned, don't make me ask a second time. If Li Seijiang is involved in this, I won't go easy on you anymore either. He then said that once, a pair of twin Ims have been born with the same mark. Dohan asked in shock, so Kwon Seongji's mark is the same as mine? Is that why Goengu's power didn't work? Did my father know about the two identical marks? If he knew, do you think my father would have let Seongji go? But in the end, he still put my life on the scales. Yes, and I know Sejang hurt you very deeply, but the reason he did this, he bit his teeth, inwardly torn. Lee Do-hun's memories have been erased, and an order was given that nothing about it was to be revealed that day. It's over. You don't need to defend him. As long as Go-eun-gu is safe, I can overlook that girl's childish prank. But if anything happens to Ju-eun-gu, then you can forget ever seeing Lee Sejang again. Then Ji-jang came over and called out, Young, this is the list of IMs we've lost contact with. I told you to stop. I'll keep monitoring them. You should focus on recovering. No one knows how far Kwon Seung-ji's power has developed, and they already know all our plans. Do-hun thought to himself, this is the worst-case scenario. Go-eun-gu is being held hostage. Our people have been exposed, and even my own condition isn't stable. In a situation like this, the only one who hasn't betrayed me, Lee Ji-jang, is now my greatest ally and my right-hand man. I need Lee Jae-jang to find Go-eun-gu. Then Ji-jang said, the problem is if Go-eun-gu and Kwon Seung-ji have already formed a contract, then if we seriously try to destroy it again, the Fox clan could die. Can you guarantee that Go-eun-gu won't abandon you and make a contract with Kwon Seung-ji before we find them? There's something between those two that I don't know about. A relationship built over more than 23 years, built on mutual trust. They were both hunter and prey in a struggle for power. It was a completely different kind of relationship from mine, where I used only force. Why would Go-eun-gu abandon Kwon Seung-ji and choose me? I can't think of a single reason. Meanwhile, on Eun-gu's side, after being unconscious for 4 more days, my fever had gone down and I was no longer coughing up blood, but I was still trapped within these 4 walls, unable to step outside even once. Seung-ji said, eat something, Eun-gu. She asked, where is this? He answered, a place far from Seoul. Where's my phone? Lee Sejang probably threw it away on the way here. We could be tracked. What is this room? Are you planning to lock me up here now? No, it's not like that. As long as you don't go down to the first floor, it's fine. She said, it's not like I'd run away anyway. How could I, when I know your life is in danger? So promise me we'll share the contract. He turned his face away and said, I have no intention of doing that without you. Eun-gu, Lee Do-hun will find this place soon. Before that happens, make the contract with me, as long as you don't intend to abandon me. Eun-gu fell silent for a moment, lowering her head in thought. After a while, she withdrew her hand and said, no. Let me make this clear. Whether Lee Do-hun kills you or you kill Lee Do-hun, I won't make a contract with either of you. Even if Lee Do-hun kills me, and he's the only one left, you still won't make a contract with him? Will you resent Lee Do-hun for the rest of your life? She answered at once, I will. That doesn't sound so bad. Get some rest. Eun-gu called after him. Just tell me one thing. It's been 8 days since the contract was destroyed. Is Lee Do-hun still alive? His hand trembled on the doorknob, and then he reluctantly answered, yes. Eun-gu lowered her head and thought to herself, thank God. Her hand clenched the blanket tightly. What relief. Tears began to fall from her eyes nonstop. Now that contract has been destroyed, unless I reveal the mark, it'll be impossible to make another contract if I can't get out of here right now. I'll have to endure it until Lee Do-hun comes. Then Seung suddenly said, enough of this 23-year friendship. It means nothing anymore. She should hurry up and make the contract before Lee Do-hun kills Kwon Seung-ji, right? Eun-gu thought, maybe that's why they keep pressuring me. Do you really see Lee Do-hun as a murderer? Because I don't. Ridiculous. She's never even seen him kill anyone. Look at you. You hear that someone's a murderer and you don't even blink. She thought to herself, honestly, I'm not confident I can persuade him. But Lee Do-hun has changed a lot over time, so I'm going to make my feelings clear. I'll ask to have a friendship relationship with Lee Do-hun and a master-servant relationship with Kwon Seung-ji. I can never have a friendship relationship with Kwon Seung-ji anymore. I've never felt anything for him beyond friendship. Suddenly, Seung asked, could it be that you like Lee Do-hun? Otherwise, your trust in him wouldn't be that strong. Is it because you only see his good side? And what about you? Why do you hate Lee Do-hun so much? You're family, aren't you? She fell silent for a moment, then walked over and asked, why do you want to know that? She grabbed Eun-gu's hair and yanked her head back, then pressed a sharp knife to Eun-gu's throat. If you hadn't appeared, things wouldn't have become such a mess. Strands of hair stained red fell to the floor. On the other side, Ji-jang said to Do-hun, ridiculous. How childish. I can't even understand this backward way of thinking. Do-hun's face remained cold and silent. Back to Eun-gu's side, a blood-drawing needle lay on the floor, and Eun-gu raised a hand to brush up her unevenly cut hair. There was arguing outside the door. and she hesitated. In the end, Eungu decided to go out. Just then, Seung-ji's voice rang out in accusation. "Didn't I tell you not to touch Eungu?" Seung shot back. "Did I torture her or anything? I only cut a little hair and took a bit of blood. Weren't you busy anyway? All of this is for your precious childhood friend. How can she still ignore the contract even with her life threatened? I gave her time to think. She must not be in any danger right now. For how long? Or am I supposed to hide here until Lee Do-hun dies? If you keep acting like this, what will you do if Go Eungu finds out you never went through that?" Eungu cried out inwardly in shock. "What?" Seong continued. "Before that, one of the two will die. He definitely has to die." As she said that, she suddenly stopped. Eungu suddenly rushed out and slapped Seong-ji across the face. The atmosphere fell silent. "I didn't think you would lie to me like this. Go back to your room. At least explain yourself, bastard." He gave a calm smile and said, "So what if I lie to you? If that's how it is, I'd rather hide it forever. With your soft heart, you'll never give up on Lee Do-hun. I almost wish my power had spiraled out of control for real. Why? Now you know I can live without you. So you're going to abandon me again, aren't you?" She pressed her lips together. "Listen carefully, Kwon Seung-kye. At first, it's true that you saved me because you couldn't live without me. But you weren't the only one. That day, I wanted to say how I truly felt. And now, the contract has been broken and the mark has disappeared. I'm even more certain of how I feel. It's not just because of the mark anymore." She clenched her hands tightly. "Illegally doing," Seong exclaimed. "Have you lost your mind?" Seong-ji, on the other hand, darkly ordered, "Go back to your room." Eungu turned away at once. Now only the two of them remained. Seong said, "That's actually best for you. Now it'll be easier to use Go Eungu as a hostage." "Don't call Eungu a hostage. Calm down. Your enemy is Lee Do-hun." She grabbed Seung-kye's shirt tightly. "If you really want that, then use everything you have to hold on to it. Lee Do-hun is coming here alone. If he doesn't come next time, I'll send him a finger. Of course, Lee Jae-jang will understand immediately. Settle your own business first. Otherwise, everything will become a complete mess." With that, she turned and left, leaving Se-young standing there in thought. Scene shift. Do-hun asked, "What's the address?" "Jayang Gansword, a villa in Pyong. I've been there before. It's very secluded. Kwon Se-young is there. Go Eungu won't be in danger. Even if I think about it, I still need to see it with my own eyes to be sure." Jae-jang asked worriedly, "Do you really want to go alone?" Do-hun turned and said, "You." But Jae-jang cut him off at once. "No, I'm going too, no matter what. Do you know how many men are there? If I'm not out within an hour, go in." "An hour? If we go in too soon, Go Eungu might get hurt." "Of course she'll get hurt. As long as she's alive, that's enough. After the contract, we only need to provide her with blood for 5 years, and then she won't." Do-hun's face darkened as he said, "If something happens, I'll leave everything to your judgment, but Go Eungu's safety comes first. If you can't guarantee that, then stay behind." "Ha, what a sly old fox. Truly crafty. He's not someone with a mark." He wondered, "Lee Seong, what the hell are you doing? This is the only way. I know how reckless and dangerous what I'm about to do is. But every time I tell myself that, that face suddenly appears in my mind again. Am I hesitating? No way." Thinking that, Jae-jang knocked and entered, calling Hyung. Do-hun immediately said, "If it's not important, get out." Suddenly Jae-jang said, "I'll give you my blood. In exchange, don't kill Se-jang. I know this is a difficult request. While you're fighting, I'll protect Go Eungu. No matter what happens, I'll make their safety my top priority. So please, spare Se-jang's life. I'm begging you, brother." After saying that, Jae-jang bowed deeply, pleading in earnest. Do-hun stared at him in silence. A moment later, he said, "Lee Se-jang's life means nothing to me. There's no reason for me to do that, but only on the condition that Go Eungu is brought back without a single scratch." "Back with Eungu," Shaun said. "Want me to trim your hair? You look so messy." Eungu shoved her away. "Don't even think about touching me. If you do, I'll bite my tongue and kill myself." "Oh wow, I'm terrified. If you die, things will just get simpler. If I die right now, no one will be able to control Lee Do-hun's rage. So that's why you took me hostage, right? Is Lee Do-hun always this sly? Why is he so arrogant and irritating? Is that so? Thanks for noticing. You've gotten even more insolent, haven't you? Hey, should I poison you and make you suffer like last time?" Hearing that, Eungu was stunned. "No way. The person who attacked me back then. You figured it out, haven't you? That's right. I was the one who sent them. Honestly, I wanted to kill you, but I missed my chance. Anyway, I have good news for you. Li Du-hun is coming here soon. She jolted and asked, what? Xiao placed a hand on Ungu's shoulder. So I need your help from now on. Like you said, you're an excellent hostage. Suddenly, she forced Ungu down. You haven't felt too stifled staying here alone all this time, have you? Let's go downstairs. We have a distinguished guest arriving soon. You should come greet him too. She slung Ungu over her shoulder and slowly walked down the stairs. Seeing that her people had arrived, she remarked, quite a crowd. Xiao set Ungu down in a chair. Her body was tightly bound, and her mouth was gagged with a strip of cloth. Ungu thought to herself, where is Se-young? Jae-jang must have done all this on his own. Se-young would never do something like this. But just then, her eyes widened in shock. She saw Se-young standing with them, and cried out inwardly, Kwon Se-yoon, Kwon Se-yoon. She tried desperately to make sound. MMPH, MMPH. Didn't he hear her? But then she realized the truth. It wasn't that he couldn't hear her. He was pretending not to. At that moment, he deliberately avoided her gaze, then hesitated a little. Then he suddenly turned and looked at Ungu with sharp eyes, leaving her stunned. Then he turned away without a word. The house stood isolated in a bleak, barren wasteland. Inside, the air was deathly quiet, broken only by soft breathing and pounding heartbeats. Xiao, Se-young, and the others had all taken their positions. Ungu wondered, will Li Du-hun really come? I almost hope he won't. But before the thought could finish, her eyes went wide in shock as Du-hun kicked through the glass door and slowly stepped inside. To everyone's astonishment, Du-hun stood before a crowd of killers, looked at Ungu, and said, it's only been a few days. Why do you look thinner already? I told you not to skip meals. At that moment, Xiao pressed a knife to Ungu's throat. You got here earlier than I expected. For a threat, that was childish. It seems that's the kind of threat that works best on you. This fox isn't just some ordinary sealed fox anymore. She seems to have become important to you. Am I wrong? Do you really love her? Mid-sentence, she stopped. Du-hun calmly took off his coat. Impressive. Out of everyone, you're the only one who thought to use Go Ungu as leverage against me. Then he turned and called out. Kwon Se-yoon, Se-young asked, who was the one who started pressuring me during the fox hunt? If not for that, I never would have revealed Ungu's whereabouts. You're the one who came up with your own solution and dragged Go Ungu into this mess. Du-hun rolled up his sleeves. Is that so? So what now? Should I just stand here and let you beat me to death? Se-young glared at him. You think you're leaving this place alive? With that, he lunged forward and punched Du-hun straight in the face. Blood dripped onto the floor. The powerful blow left Du-hun reeling. At the same time, Ungu had a gun pointed at her head. Se-young stared at Du-hun with a frown. Xiao said smugly, isn't this fun? Normally, you can't even lay a hand on me, but now, thanks to her, I get to stand here and enjoy this spectacle. Ungu silently blamed herself. This is all because of me. As Du-hun stood still and took the beating, Xiao continued, I let Kwon Se-young take some of my blood. After all, I can't kill him myself. Still, he's one of the candidates for the next leadership position. Who would have thought he'd die like this? Ungu could only watch helplessly as Se-young beat Du-hun mercilessly. He slammed a fist into Du-hun's stomach, sending him flying into the wall before he collapsed, coughing up bright red blood. Just say you're giving up, Ungu. If you say it, I'll stop. Du-hun gave a cold laugh. So that's how this works? Because you're not completely an Immugi. First you use Go Ungu's life to threaten me, and now you're pretending to be the good guy. Do you expect me to thank you? Xiao asked, why are you hesitating? You're hesitating now, aren't you? Really, you can't do a single thing right, can you? With that, she pulled out a gun and aimed it at Du-hun. Shoot him in the head, then smash it in, and just say Kwon Se-young did it. Ungu cried out in alarm. What? Immediately, a gunshot rang out as Xiao fired. Just as the bullet came within a few centimeters of Du-hun's head, he remained standing there completely motionless. Then suddenly, everything froze. Xiao screamed, what is this? He knew from the start, that ability. Damn fox, how dare you act so arrogantly? At that moment, Jae-jang appeared and grabbed the gun in her hand. He reminded her, sister, didn't I warn you before not to do anything? So what if you did? What? Are you going to kill your own sister? Jae-jang frowned. He tightened his hand around Xiao's throat. She let out a cry, then passed out. She fainted from just that? Exactly how much blood did you give Kwon Se-young? He laid her down and asked, is it done over there? The girl in the hat replied, yes, sir. Meanwhile, Se-young thought to himself. Since when? He suddenly became alert. Then Du-hun abruptly rushed in and struck him. Du-hun's eyes were dark as night. Jae-jang said to Un-gu, "Go upstairs with Hyun Jo-jun. But Lee Du-hun, if you stay here, you'll only get in his way. I'll handle Lee Shaon. She's about to wake up." She hesitated and said, but still, watching the two of them fight, she worried inwardly. If this keeps going, someone's going to die. She said, "I can help both of you." "No, listen carefully. The one who dies will not be my brother." Just then, Se-young was slammed into the wall by Du-hun. Du-hun slowly approached, raising his hand. A deafening crack split the air, and the wall collapsed, burying Se-young beneath the rubble. Un-gu could only turn her face away from the horrifying sight. When the dust settled, Du-hun came over and said to her, "Go now." "Un-gu, you really never listen." She faltered for a moment, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry." The mark appeared on Se-young's hand. He said only I could save him. "I just wanted to clear everything up. I didn't want to break the contract, and I wasn't trying to run away from you." Looking at the back of her hand, Du-hun thought to himself, Go Un-gu never made a contract with Kwon Se-young. She never abandoned me. In a gentle voice, he replied, "I know. I thought about it on the way here. If at the very end, you still couldn't let Se-young go, what should I do? I don't know." The Omi could have answered easily. "As long as I could bring you back, nothing else would have mattered." She said, "Kwon Se-young won't have to go through his power going out of control." Jae-jang sighed from the side. That bastard's lucky. He lied to you and pressured you to break the contract. I would never make a contract with Se-young." Suddenly, a noise rang out. Du-hun stiffened and turned. Se-young had crawled out from the wreckage. He glared at them. Looking at Un-gu, Du-hun said, "You know, there won't be another chance if I don't say it now." Then he confessed, "I love you." She froze for a moment, then said helplessly, "Who confesses at a time like this? The contract is gone, so these feelings are more sincere. When this is over, we can make a new contract, but I want to go through that process with you, the one I told you about before." Un-gu was so moved that tears spilled from her eyes. She told him, "Don't get hurt." Du-hun smiled and turned away. Look who's worrying about whom. Hyun Jo-jun came over and said to her, "Let's go." Then she carefully led Un-gu upstairs. Un-gu looked back over her shoulder. Seeing that, Jae-jang raised a hand and waved, smiling to reassure her. "Go on, don't worry about pointless things." She gave a faint smile and quickly walked away. Just then, Shaon let out a groan. Jae-jang turned back and said, "This is your last chance, Lee Shaon." Then he stepped closer and continued, "When my brother finishes dealing with Kwon Se-young, you'd better apologize to him." She was startled, and Jae-jang added, "I gave him my blood." Shaon immediately shouted, "Are you insane? That was the price I paid to save you. So stop this and apologize to him for what you've done." Grinding her teeth, Shaon asked, "Why? Why should I do that?" Meanwhile, Se-young was gasping and coughing, and Du-hun coldly advanced on him. He stomped hard on Se-young's leg. A shrill scream rang out, making Jae-jang and Shaon both turn in shock. Seeing this, Shaon asked, "You want me to beg that lunatic?" Why should I? Why should I beg him? Do you know who killed her mother?" It was Lee Du-hun. Her words made Du-hun freeze. She continued, "Lee Du-hun, you don't even remember the day your power went out of control, do you? Know why?" Jae-jang tried to stop her. "Lee Shaon, stop. Because that day, you killed our mother, and that damned council of elders erased all your memories of it." Stunned, Du-hun turned back and asked, "What nonsense are you talking about?" Jae-jang said, "She's joking. Just ignore it." Shaon went on, "I will never beg you for anything. You should have died the moment your power went out of control. Please." Suddenly, a scream rang out. Hyun Jo-jun was struck and thrown down the stairs, and Un-gu cried out in panic, "Hyun Jo, what? You're saying there was still someone on the second floor?" Suddenly, Shaon picked up a knife. "You should experience what it feels like to lose someone you love too." With that, she rushed straight at Un-gu. Do-hwan shouted, "Go Un-gu." Shaon raised the sharp knife high. In the next instant, a sickening thud sounded. Un-gu slowly opened her eyes and wondered, what happened? Then she realized in horror that the one who had been stabbed was Jae-jang. He said calmly, "Damn, that hurts." Un-gu cried, "Are you crazy? Cough. You're so loud." Shaon staggered back on unsteady legs. "No, why you? Why would you? I was the one who got you hurt," Jae-jang thought. "Normally, I would have healed by now, but because I gave him too much blood, I don't know if my body can endure it. Go and go. Can you pull the knife out?" Trembling, she reached out her hand. "I'll try." She grabbed it with both hands and yanked it out. Blood spurted from the wound, horrifying her. "Wait, wasn't I not supposed to pull it out? Why is there more and more blood? Oh no, am I really going to die this time?" Don't go, Jing. It's dangerous. You go to die. I don't need anything else. I just want you to stay with me. You're everything to me. Jing, I told you I'd break the contract if you kept acting like this. I guess that won't be necessary. If I die, the mark will disappear on its own. Jing, please. Don't go. If I'd known that was the last time, I would have looked at you a little longer. Hey, go. My fox's name is Xion. Sal Xion, that's her full name. She has no family left. If I die, she'll have nowhere to go. I have a few buildings and shares in my name. Let her have all of them. What are you trying to say? Is this your will? As he said that, he coughed violently. Unge jerked in alarm and called out, Li Jing, don't die. I'm begging you. Jing thought of Xion. I used to hate the noble class, so I treated them terribly. But you never blamed me, and you always said you liked me. You foolish fox. In truth, you were my first love too. No matter how harsh I was, you always stayed by my side, because you liked the way I treated you. But the very way I possessed you pushed you to your limits countless times. I am sorry, Xion. Just one last time. I want to see you. Xion screamed, No, why is this happening? It can't be. Du-hun clenched his hand tightly. Outside the house, snow fell thickly, and blood stained the white ground red. While Du-hun and Se-young were locked in a fight to the death, Ungu suddenly stepped forward. Raising a gun, she said, Stop. Se-young stared in shock. Ungu, she demanded, How could you threaten him with my life? You of all people, I lied to Li Du-hun, who trusted me, because I was afraid your uncontrollable power would kill you. I can't treat you the way I used to anymore, even if it cost me my life. Se-young thought, even if I keep living like this, I can never go back to the way things were. I can't stay by your side anymore, not even as a friend. Then Se-young said, Do you really think he truly likes you? He's only using you because of his own uncontrollable power. The moment you're no longer useful, he'll throw you away like a broken tool. I don't care. That's fine. Even if Li Du-hun is trying to use me, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you something. I love Li Du-hun. Even if he disappeared from this world, I would never make a contract with you. He realized it in shock. That's right. Now I know. I can never have you, even if it kills me. With that thought, he burst into laughter. Ha. I lost from the very beginning. Kill me. Go on, kill me. Suddenly, a voice rang out, Fine. Let's leave this world together. Se-young's eyes widened in panic. A flash of light swept past Du-hun's face. Shaun suddenly rushed in and wrapped herself around Unge. Du-hun reached out and shouted, Go Unge, but he couldn't catch her hand. He stood there numb, staring in shock at what happened before him. Shaun had dragged Unge down the cliff with her. Du-hun immediately jumped after them. Se-young also ran over in a panic and shouted, Go Unge. By then, Du-hun had already landed below. He saw her lying in a pool of blood. His hand trembled as he gently touched her. No pulse. Go Unge. Answer me, Go Unge. He shouted, I said answer me. A feeling I had never experienced before. Not even when facing my uncontrollable power. Never in my life had I imagined I would feel this. This is fear. Unge, please answer me. The fear of losing someone. The fear of being unable to save them. It was unfolding right before my eyes. He picked up a nearby stone, then sliced open his wrist. Blood poured out from the wound and into Unge's mouth. Sung Ji-yi stood behind them in shock and said, Li Do-hun, are you crazy? He shouted, Don't touch her. Go Unge, wake up. Wake up. At that moment, tears began to stream down his face. Please. Sung Ji-yi froze and thought, No one has ever given that much blood before. At this rate, he's going to die. Do-hun suddenly spoke up. If you're miserable because you have nothing, then take the leader's position. Take everything if you want. But I will never hand Go Unge over to you. Even if I die, I'll take her with me. After saying that, Do-hun shut his eyes tightly, then collapsed beside Unge. The scene suddenly changed to the moment Unge fell off the cliff, and Do-hun shouted her name, Go Unge. At that, she jerked awake. Again. That dream again. After that, at the hospital, Go Unge stood outside the door and thought, He's being discharged today, right? Then a voice suddenly called out, Go Unge, you're here. As expected, you really can't underestimate an IME's vitality. She said, Can you believe you slept for 3 whole months? Quinjo donated her blood to you. If it weren't for her, you would have died a long time ago. What were you thinking, throwing away your life to save me? Zhejiang said quietly, I made a promise to my brother. Unge thought to herself, when I opened my eyes again, so many things had changed. Was all of that to save me? I heard that Li Do-hun who gave me so much blood while his own life was in danger, had collapsed unconscious, but the main house sealed everything off and hid him away. And Lee Seong's memorial tablet. The funeral was held. I'll take care of everything, so just focus on recovering. At that, Ungo lowered her head and said, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. You almost died, and you're still apologizing? The one who should apologize is Lee Sejang. Forget it. Let's not bring it up again. At that moment, Jajang set down the patient clothes. As he changed, he thought, while we were at it, honestly, I thought Zeon would be the first one to call, but she didn't call me at all. If she saw me, she'd probably throw herself into my arms, ask if I was okay, maybe even burst into tears. All right, I'm not leaving her again, not even once more. Jajang opened the door. Maybe she's at home. But when he opened the bedroom door, his expression turned to surprise. Zeon asked coldly, You're back. Zeon, your face. You haven't had a proper night's sleep, have you? The day they took you away, I ran outside like I was crazy. It wasn't until I heard you weren't dead that I realized I was barefoot. Back then, just being by your side was enough for me. Jajang, I can't stand liking you anymore. She held up the mark. Wasn't it you who said it? That you'd cancel the contract whenever I wanted? Then cancel it. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but we were never meant for each other. No matter what happened, even at the moment my life was in danger, I promised I'd cancel the contract if that's what you wanted, so I have to keep my word. Jajang pressed his lips together. Zeon stared at him intently, then looked slightly surprised. Jajang bit his own arm, then smeared the blood over the mark on Zeon's hand. The mark quickly faded and disappeared. Should I force her to stay? If I grab her hand, drip blood onto the mark, and make a new contract? While he was thinking that, Zeon said, Thank you, Jajang. Even though being with a fox like me must have been hard, you still stayed by my side because of your condition. After saying that, she pulled her suitcase and left. Jajang asked in shock, What? How do you know that? No, since when? She turned back, tears running down her face. I like you so much. Then the door closed. Jajang stood there blankly and wondered, Is this really over? Is it really over? I thought this was a relationship that would never end unless I let go first. But now I realize that was just arrogance. I finally worked up the courage to confess my cowardice to you, and now you're the one leaving me. Later, on a peaceful day, with traffic filling the streets in a high-rise building, the production team said, Manager Go Ungu, your boyfriend is here to pick you up. He's waiting in the hallway. Ungu replied blankly, He's not my boyfriend. What? He's not your boyfriend, but he dressed up and brought flowers? I thought he was a model. Seriously, he's not my boyfriend. Please explain it to everyone for me, Jian. All right. After that, Ungu went down to the first floor and saw that it was Jajang. Ever since he was discharged, he had been coming to the office every day. Now everyone here thinks Lee Jajang is my handsome boyfriend. Still, he is pretty witty. She walked over and called out, Hey, why do you keep coming here? It's because of you that this ridiculous rumor started. What rumor? That you're my boyfriend. Have you even thought about how much trouble I'd be in if my brother heard that? So stop coming here. I'm really fine. And you should stop going to that house too. Weren't you kicked out again yesterday? I've burst into tears more than once, even fainted just from looking at Lee Do-hun sleeping. And when his breathing suddenly stopped. Because of things like that, his family banned me from seeing him from now on. Every day, I have to endure all kinds of horrible thoughts. Even if I can't see his face, please, don't take him away from me. Let's go outside for now. How's your health these days? Are you okay? I'm fine. Totally fine. What happened between you and that fox girl? I canceled the contract. What? Then what are you going to do now? Is the contract completely over? No, I'm just going to ask her to let me stay by her side. Ungood thought. I didn't know he could make an expression like that. Now I know who those flowers are for. She teased him to break the gloomy mood. I thought that bouquet was for me. Suddenly he asked, Are you feeling sick? I told you already, this is the price you have to pay. Go beg her to forgive you. That's your only way. I'm not giving up. Yeah. If it works out, introduce me to that fox girl. We should all go eat together sometime. After that, she went back home. She grumbled inwardly, Oh God, Mom insisted I come home for this break, so I gave up my precious vacation to come back. If you don't come home, I'll go to your office. But what is this? A trip? She used the excuse that Uni-Ion's mother got a free vacation package to Jeju Island. Mom, honestly, if that's the case, then why did you nag me so much about coming home? I'll be back early tomorrow, so just stay home and rest. I thought you weren't coming back until next week. You're doing okay, right? You're not sick, are you? I'm fine. I've been eating well and working hard. Is there anything you want to eat? I'll make it for you tomorrow. Soybean paste stew. That's all you want? Yes. I really love your soybean paste stew, Mom. I'll make it extra delicious, so wait for me. Love you, Mom's daughter. Love you too, Mom. That evening, I didn't eat much for dinner. Maybe I'll take a little walk around the neighborhood. Oh, there's a house here I don't recognize. So much has changed. This place. She suddenly remembered. This was the house where Kunz Ungji used to live. That was the last text he sent me. I'm sorry for hurting you, Ungo. After that, he disappeared without a trace. It's suddenly gotten dark. It's probably going to rain soon. Ungo quickly went back to her room. Tired, she lay listlessly on the bed. She suddenly remembered what Do-han had said back then. I like you. If everything gets resolved safely this time, then for all the days after that, even in the smallest moments, I just want you to be there. Tears began to fall from her eyes. She reached up and touched the scar still left on her forehead. You idiot. I miss you more than ever today. Rain pattered softly outside. Ungo slowly turned toward the window. Her phone was ringing, but she didn't notice it. I've rested for a while now, and the fever still hasn't gone down. Should I be grateful for that? I can use my ability to lower my body temperature faster. But ever since I came back to life through Do-han's blood, all my powers have been spilling out unconsciously. They were never mine to begin with. Every time I become aware that I'm living in someone else's place, the thought terrifies me so much I can hardly breathe. This is the first time I've had a fever since that incident, so I don't even know what might happen. At the very least, I have to try to bring it down. She walked to the window and opened it, then looked outside and thought, the rain is really heavy too. Her eyes slowly closed, then suddenly flew open. She let out a breath. I feel a little better now. Right? I had a missed call earlier. On the screen it showed Li Zhejiang. When she called back, he said urgently, "Go Ungo." Something happened. A sense of dread rose inside her. There is only one reason Li Zhejiang would call me so urgently. Which means, then he continued, my brother has disappeared. What? What do you mean he disappeared? Actually, he woke up 2 days ago. I thought it would be better if you met after he'd fully recovered. That's why I stopped him from running to you the moment he woke up. But he disappeared the second I stepped out for a while. At that, she lowered the phone. Do-han appeared on the balcony of the house across from hers, just like the first time they met. He stood there looking at her, a faint smile on his lips. She froze, her eyes wide, staring as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. The image and words from their first meeting flashed through her mind. Are you a fox? Then Do-han leaped into the air once more. His body cut across the space between the two buildings, and he landed right on Ungo's windowsill. She looked at him, and he looked at her. Neither of them said anything, but countless emotions swelled in their eyes after months apart. Then Zhejiang's voice rang out, "Hey, Go Ungo, are you even listening to me?" Do-han took the phone from Ungo's hand and said, "Hang up." Zhejiang immediately asked, "Where are you?" "You need to rest." Do-han didn't say another word. He ended the call and set the phone on the table. By then, silent tears were already streaming endlessly down Ungo's face. Do-han gently raised his hand and wiped them away one by one. He looked at her with tender eyes. Her tears kept falling from the sheer happiness of this moment. Do-han asked, "Why is your face so red? What's wrong with you? Are you acting or something? What do you think? I'm trying to start over from the beginning." The moment the words left him, Do-han kissed her. The kiss grew deeper, more passionate, and his low voice sounded in her ear. "Are you really okay? Why are you still crying?" Choking back sobs, she answered, "I thought I'd lost you because of me." He comforted her. "If it weren't for you, I would have died long ago too. Same with you. I thought you wouldn't make it either. I never want to go through that feeling again. The feeling of loss and terror when I held your small, ice-cold body in my arms. On the way here, I kept remembering those moments. My vision went dark. Even knowing you were alive, I still couldn't believe it until I saw you with my own eyes. And now, at last, I've seen you again. For the first time, I'm grateful that I'm an IME, because I have blood that could save you. Even if I die tomorrow, as long as you live and love me, I'm willing to throw away the contract or anything else, Go Ungo. Maybe I'm still selfish and reckless, because that's how I've lived my whole life. There will be times when I hurt you, but I can't live without you anymore. Without you, I can't even make it through a year without falling apart. Please give me one more chance to be both your master and the one who loves you once again." He gently kissed the back of her hand. Her eyes were still wet as she looked at him for a long time, afraid that if she blinked, he would disappear again. Without saying a word, she slowly lifted both hands and cupped his face. Her soft lips touched his, a gentle kiss, but one overflowing with emotion. Even without the mark, the two of us chose each other and longed for each other. We were no longer the strong and the weak, or hunter and prey, as we had been before. We loved each other like any ordinary couple. The story ends here. Thank you for following this story to the end. While waiting for the next series, please check out the other stories on the Q Muoi review channel to pass the time. Wishing you happiness and lots of energy. Goodbye, and see you again.